Body scanning in progress. Scan progress 5. 30. 50. 100. Ding. Scan complete. Compatibility 100. System binding in progress. Ding. System binding successful. Congratulations, human life Luo Ren, you are now the host of this system. Warning. The Doomsday virus will erupt in 12 hours. System. Doomsday. Luo Ren suddenly woke up, looking around blankly, finding himself in a strange environment. The small room had only simple furniture, a bed, a chair, a computer desk, and a cheap monitor on the desk emitting harsh white light. System binding. Doomsday virus. Transmigrated. Luo Ren got out of bed and walked to the mirror, seeing an unfamiliar face. It was somewhat handsome, but very thin, pale complexion, dark circles around the eyes. Clearly someone who had stayed up late many times. Hiss. He pinched himself. The real pain made him inhale, sharply confirming this was real, not. Panic flooded his heart, clutching his already messy hair, muttering, "What the hell? How did I transmigrate?" Frantic self-hypnosis, reluctant acceptance. After 3 stages, Luo Ren finally accepted the fact of transmigration. As the saying goes, take things as they come. Rubbing his brow, he asked, "System, what functions do you have?" Full name: Divine Base System. Can assist the host in building a Doomsday base. As long as the base reaches the specified population, it can upgrade, unlocking more weapons, equipment, and troop types. Holy crap. A base system and divine grade. Damn. The helplessness in Luo Ren's heart dissipated like smoke, replaced by excitement and exhilaration. Calming his excitement, he recalled the system's prompt from when he fainted: the Doomsday virus will erupt in 12 hours. However, after the mental processing and accepting reality, the remaining time was now less than 12 hours. No time for nonsense, time to get to work. Ding. Base construction guidance activated. Please follow the system guidance to build the base. As if hearing Luo Ren's thoughts, the system immediately gave a prompt, and an arrow indicator appeared in the air before his eyes. Following the arrow, he left the rental apartment, took the elevator, and finally arrived at the residential complex's open parking lot. The open parking lot had only a few cars, but was crowded with elderly people. Luo Ren's gaze passed over the elderly and saw a steel behemoth quietly parked in the lot. On top of this steel behemoth, the words "Mobile Base Vehicle" were displayed. This must be the base vehicle. Luo Ren remained calm on the surface, but was wildly excited inside. He squeezed through the circle of elderly and climbed onto the steel behemoth. "Whoa, young man, this car is yours." "Awesome. TSK Tisk, what brand is that?" "They'll tell my son to get me one." "You can barely walk with your cane, and you want to drive such a big car. Trying to go to heaven early." "Old lady, ho, your mouth is too sharp." "They'll have my son buy it for me. I won't drive it, just look at it." "What's it to you?" "Oomph." Virum virum. Luo Ren ignored the elderly, started the base vehicle directly. The deafening roar silenced the onlooking elderly immediately, all stepping back, no one wanting to depart early. Folks, stop wandering around all day, go home and stock up on food. The end of the world is coming. Luo Ren stuck his head out of the window, kindly warning the elderly. "Young man, how can you talk like that? This is our elderly social time, not wandering around. This kid has no end of the world. You've been reading too many novels." "All right, believe it or not, it's up to you. I want say more." Luo Ren couldn't be bothered with them. If they didn't believe him, fine. When they turned into zombies, he hoped they could still socialize. With that, he drove the base vehicle away, leaving the elderly bewildered. According to the system, the top priority was to find an empty space to build the base. Over an hour later, Luo Ren drove the base vehicle to the suburbs. Ahead lay a leveled construction site, still undeveloped. Looking around, green hills and clear water, the tall buildings were far away. When the virus broke out, this place would surely be safer than the city. Hands on his hips, he nodded with satisfaction. This is the place. Ding. Mission issued: deploy the mobile base at the chosen location and produce 10 soldiers. Completion reward, 5 million points. Holy crap. 5 million points to start. Luo Ren was first shocked, then ecstatic. As expected of the divine base system. No words, just do it. The base vehicle automatically drove to the center of the construction site. Luo Ren jumped out. A translucent blue screen appeared before his eyes, displaying text. Environment scanning. Terrain flat. Mobile base can be deployed. Deploy mobile base. What else? Choose yes. Boom. Clank. Machinery sounds erupted. The base vehicle began to transform like the Transformers in a blockbuster movie, but instead of a robot, it turned into a steel base. Soon the base vehicle finished deploying. Another translucent screen appeared before Luo Ren with various options: soldier production, food production, base upgrade. However, the base upgrade option was grayed out, not operable. No rush on upgrades of first produced soldiers. He checked the soldier production notes. One soldier cost 200 points, not much, but the embarrassing part was that his current points were 0. This was a bug. The mission required producing 10 soldiers after building the base. But producing soldiers needed points. Where was he supposed to get points now? Wait for the virus to break out and kill zombies himself. That definitely wouldn't work. Just him alone, no weapons, no martial arts. Then it wouldn't be him killing zombies, but zombies killing him. Ding. The system provides 100,000 starting points. Host, please check. Just then the system's voice sounded again. Just like a lifeline. Luo Ren's points jumped from 0 to 100,000. It was beautiful, it was. No, it was satisfying. I knew it. The system wouldn't give a mission without a way to earn points. Luo Ren chuckled. With points now, he immediately chose to produce soldiers. Maximum 20 soldiers can be produced, now total 4,000 points. Produce 20 soldiers. Without a second thought, Luo Ren chose production. After all, the points weren't his own, so no regrets. Looking at the blue screen, Luo Ren read, producing 20 soldiers takes a total of 10 hours. So that means 2 soldiers per hour. Sitting in the mobile base was boring. Production would take 10 hours. Waiting like this wasn't productive. Luo Ren had an idea, left the base, found a shared bike on the roadside. How it got to such a remote place was a mystery. Riding the bike, he followed the phone map and sped toward the nearest supermarket. The bike gave full throttle racing at a blazing 15 km/h. After nearly an hour's ride, he finally arrived at the entrance of a department store. Although the base could produce military rations, a change of taste was necessary. One lives for 2 things, 3 meals a day. Food must be top-notch. Besides, if he didn't spend the money now, there would be nowhere to spend it after the virus broke out. He found a small truck, negotiated the price with the driver, and asked him to wait outside. Then Luo Ren rushed into the department store, heading straight for the food section. Chocolate. Buy. Beef jerky. Buy. Bread. Buy. Leogama. Absolutely. One trip later, he had bought a full cart of food. Only 200 yuan left in his bank card for the cab fare. At checkout, the cashier looked at Luo Ren as if he were a madman. With his social butterfly personality, he didn't care about strange looks. They laughed at him for buying too much. Now he would laugh at them for growling stomachs after the virus. He urged the truck driver to drive back to the base. The whole trip took about 3 hours. The small truck sped along much faster than the bike. In just half an hour, they arrived at the construction site where the mobile base was. Sitting in the truck, Luo Ren saw 6 tall soldiers standing neatly in front of the mobile base. Excitedly, he jumped out of the truck, ran over, and walked around them, examining. Hurry up, unload the goods. I have things to do. I don't know why I came to this godforsaken place. The small truck driver complained as he got out, cigarette dangling from his lips. Squinting, he suddenly saw the steel base, and his words caught in his throat. He stared in amazement, wondering when this strange building had appeared here. His gaze moved to the 6 armed tall soldiers. The lit cigarette fell from his mouth. His heart was now only filled with fear. His 2 strong legs trembled uncontrollably. Terrified, he thought, could they be a criminal gang, terrorists? Damn him dead. Luo Ren walked over, placing a hand on the driver's shoulder, making him flinch. Smiling, Luo Ren said, "Relax, we are professionals." The driver forced a smile to show he wasn't scared, but his trembling legs betrayed him. Luo Ren stared at him for a moment, then ordered the 6 soldiers to unload the goods. Taking the opportunity, Luo Ren put his arm around the driver's shoulder and said seriously, "Driver, I'm being very sincere. In a few hours, the Doomsday virus will erupt. The whole world will be overrun with zombies. Many people will be bitten to death. If you stay, I will protect your safety." As he spoke, he stopped a soldier, squeezed the soldier's biceps and gun. "Look at this gun, look at these muscles." So reassuring. Hearing this, the driver thought Luo Ren was going to kidnap him. He immediately fell to his knees, trembling. "Boss, please. I have an elderly mother at home and a 3-year-old child. Spare me." Luo Ren was dumbfounded. What the hell? Believe it or not, get lost, get lost. If it weren't for the base needing population to upgrade, he wouldn't have wasted his breath. After the goods were unloaded, the driver quickly boarded the truck, floored the accelerator, and sped off 100 meters away, terrified that Luo Ren would stop him. While driving, the driver kept glancing at the rearview mirror. Too damn scary. I need to call the police. Watching the departing truck, Luo Ren shook his head. Opportunities slip away like that. When the virus breaks out, plenty of people will come here. We don't need you. Despite his words, his actions contradicted them. He took out his phone, opened the contacts, but was dumbfounded by, what the hell? Not a single familiar name. All are bicycle repair, computer repair. What was the life of the body I transmigrated into? What are these contacts? I was hoping to call relatives or friends, but there's none. Was this guy an orphan in his previous life? Faced with this situation, I want to recite a poem. It's so sad to be alone, so sad, indeed so sad. Ask me why I'm so sad, I don't know what. Hey, old Lu's home-style stir-fried pork, what would you like to order? Luo Ren held his phone, listening to the voice on the other end, and quickly said, "Hello, it's like this. Oh, by the way, I should tell you in advance, the delivery now comes with an extra 1 yuan for the container." Luo Ren exclaimed in surprise, I'm not even using a delivery platform. Why do I have to pay a container fee? Oh, come on, boss, prices are so high now. The platform charges 2 yuan, we only charge 1. That's really reasonable. Reasonable. Doing business like this. Luo Ren was about to argue, but then he remembered he wasn't ordering delivery. He stopped himself and got back to the point. Look, I'm not ordering delivery. If you're not ordering, why are you calling? Wasting my time. Idiot. Beep, beep, beep. Luo Ren kept his mouth open for a moment, then swallowed the words that were already on his lips. He muttered discontentedly, what lousy manners. I don't care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. Ding. Mission accomplished. Reward 5,000,000 points. Ding. 5,000,000 points have been credited. Damn that sudden sound. I thought I got a new order. Luo Ren instinctively pulled out his phone. The screen was black with a visible crack. When he saw that the notification light wasn't even blinking, he came back to his senses and remembered it was the system's voice. He summoned a blue light screen and saw that his point balance had skyrocketed to 5,096,000. His heart raced with excitement. What else could he say? Just get it done. The mission was complete and points credited, which meant 10 soldiers had now been produced. He looked toward the entrance of the mobile base and saw 10 robust soldiers standing at attention in a neat row, each holding an automatic rifle similar to an AK-47, but with slight differences. Luo Ren walked up to the soldiers and asked the first one, "What's your name?" "Reporting, sir. I am Unit 0. The soldier stepped forward and shouted with full force. "Unit 001. Luo Ren rubbed his ear. Standing too close, that shout made his eardrum ache. He walked to the second soldier, looked him up and down, and said, "Then you must be Unit 002. "Yes, sir." Another shout making his other ear ring, as well, like 2 flies buzzing around his ears. The feeling was truly unpleasant. Never learn. He stepped back a few more paces, rubbing his ears, then looked at the other 8. "You don't need to introduce yourselves. I know your name's 003, 004, right? That won't do. You're my first batch of soldiers. I'll give you surnames and proper names." He rubbed his chin for a long while, then pointed at 001 and 002, and said, "You two shall be called Luo Shan and Luo Hai." He then looked at 003 and 004. After thinking for a long time, he finally said, "You'll be Luo Ji and you'll be Luo Li." His gaze swept over the other 6. Luo Ren scratched his hair and racked his brains for half an hour, then finally gave up. Coming up with good names is too hard. Forget it. You'll be Luo Wu, Luo Lu, Luo Chi, and so on. "Yes, sir." "Good." Luo Ren looked at these big soldiers with gratification. He never thought that one day he would be addressed as sir. Time passed minute by minute. Under Luo Ren's command, the 10 soldiers built a simple defensive perimeter around the mobile base. Meanwhile, the number of soldiers had increased to 20. This immediately doubled Luo Ren's sense of security. "Luo Shan, how many bullets does each of you have?" Luo Ren asked. "Reporting, sir. Standard magazines hold 30 rounds. Each of us carries 3 magazines," Luo Shan replied. 3 magazines? That's only 90 bullets. Luo Ren shook his head. "Not enough. How can my soldiers have so few bullets?" Base start production. Having 5 million points made him bold. Batch after batch of bullets were produced until the interior of the mobile base could hold no more. A level 0 base is too pathetic. Not only is the soldier cap only 20, but it can only produce bullets, not even grenades. I need to find a way to quickly increase the population and upgrade the base. Luo Ren lay back in his chair, watching the setting sun gradually descend and night fall. Oh! A piercing scream shattered the peace of the night. The once bustling city instantly descended into chaos. Many people suddenly went mad, biting anyone they saw. Cries and moans filled the entire city. Although he was in the suburbs, the sounds of people in despair were extremely loud and penetrating. Luo Ren also heard the commotion. He jumped up from his chair and ordered the 20 soldiers to prepare for defense. If zombies attacked in small numbers, they should use combat knives. If in large numbers, open fire. Night and day alternated, and 3 days passed in an instant. That night the moon and stars were clear. Under the stars, Luo Ren stood with his hands behind his back like a scholar admiring the moon, while wondering why no survivors had come yet and no zombies were seen. Just then he suddenly heard, "Oh, it's the military. We're saved." He looked toward the sound. In the moonlight, he vaguely saw 20 or 30 people running wildly toward the base, with a dozen figures chasing closely behind. The situation was urgent. Luo Ren shouted, "Luo Shan, Luo Hai, Luo Ji, Luo Li. Draw combat knives. Attack. Kill." At Luo Ren's command, the 20 soldiers drew their gleaming combat knives and charged fearlessly toward Luo Shan. Luo Hai and the others were professional soldiers. One soldier could easily handle 2 or 3 mindless zombies. Under Luo Ren's watch, they quickly eliminated the dozen zombies. Ding. Killed an ordinary zombie. Awarded 1,000 points. 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 Holy crap, that's amazing. Killing one zombie gives 10,000 points. This system has plenty of points. Host, just kill, and you're done. Awesome. Who's in charge here? Just as Luo Ren was getting excited, a very grating voice caught his attention. The zombies were all killed, and the survivors had reached the base. While everyone was grateful to be alive, a plump woman who looked like a wealthy matron stepped forward and began berating the soldiers. What's wrong with you soldiers? When something like this happens, you don't go deal with it. You eat and drink well on our tax money, shameless. You're a bunch of parasites. The woman's voice was extremely shrill, and her words were very harsh to hear. That's right, that's right. We pay taxes to support you, and you don't care at all about the safety of the people. When disaster strikes, you just hide. No sense of responsibility at all. After the woman spoke, someone immediately echoed. Luo Ren stepped forward, blocking the woman's path. His eyes were filled with anger, and he said in a low voice, I'm the highest-ranking officer here. You'd better take back what you just said. The woman put her hands on her hips, wearing a shrewish face, pointed at Luo Ren's nose, and spewed venom. You can do it, but can't take hearing it. I said it, so what? Look at my lips, sights. Her ugly face truly disgusted Luo Ren. At a time like this, she was still acting entitled. Who the hell could tolerate that? Not him. Luo Ren wiped the spit from his face, sneered, raised his palm, blew a warm breath on it, and smacked it across her face. Slap. The crisp sound of the slap was exceptionally clear in the night. The woman was completely stunned. Luo Ren looked at the others. That's what you deserve. Disaster relief and emergency rescue. Who's on the front lines? Soldiers. When enemies attack, who goes to the battlefield? Soldiers. Besides, this is my personal army. We had no obligation to save you, understand? If you want protection from this base, you must follow its rules. After his words, no one dared to speak further. They had already realized this young man was not to be trifled with. Moreover, they understood the situation. So many people had turned into flesh-eating monsters, just like zombies in movies. At this moment, order had probably collapsed, and human society had returned to its most primitive law of the jungle. But the plump woman who had been slapped clearly hadn't grasped the situation and remained clueless. Oh, how dare you hit me? Do you know who my son is? Do you know who my husband is? Her sharp, piercing wail was extremely loud, immediately attracting nearby zombies. Luo Ren snapped, shut up. Are you out of your mind? But the woman ignored him and continued her shrill abuse. I'll kill. Before he finished, Luo Ren saw dozens of figures sprinting toward the base. He knew it was bad. He cursed, damn it. I'll deal with you later. Then he kicked the woman aside and commanded, load your rifles. Fight for your lives. Nearly 100 zombies were coming. Combat knives wouldn't cut it. They had to open fire. At Luo Ren's command, gunfire erupted from the base, blazing into the night. The zombies felt no pain, no fear, no fatigue. Only an extreme craving for fresh flesh. They were far more dangerous than ordinary humans. Aiming in the dark was difficult. Moreover, zombies could only be killed by destroying their head or heart, the sources of their power. Just to eliminate this group of nearly 100, each soldier had almost emptied 3 magazines. But killing these 100 zombies was just the beginning of the battle. The gunfire attracted even more zombies. This was exactly why Luo Ren hadn't wanted to use guns in the first place. Wave after wave of zombies attacked. They could only resist desperately. Fortunately, they had produced a huge amount of ammunition beforehand. The 20-odd survivors trembled, each more frightened than the last. Some couldn't stop screaming. But when they saw the soldiers and Luo Ren fighting desperately against the zombies, a few braver ones overcame their fear and volunteered to pass ammunition to the soldiers. The tongues of flames spitting from the dark muzzles were as dazzling as fireworks bursting in the night sky. The combined gunfire from 21 weapons illuminated the mobile base. After over an hour, the gunfire finally ceased. Luo Ren let out a long sigh, his gaze sweeping across the battlefield to find a dense carpet of zombie corpses numbering nearly 1,000 by his estimate. Strictly speaking, zombies were no longer human, yet apart from their pale skin and contracted pupils, they were indistinguishable from humans in every other way. Luo Ren did not know how many zombies he had killed, perhaps 3 or 4 dozen, or maybe none at all. Yet the feelings within his heart were unmistakably clear. Thrill, fear, guilt, and beyond these a seething rage. Fortunately, he was rational enough to suppress these inner turmoils. Seeing a dozen or so mutilated zombies crawling, limping, and leaping toward them, he ordered the soldiers to open fire again. At this point, the surrounding zombies had likely been drawn in, so there was no need to conserve ammunition and resort to blades. After the last scattered zombies were gunned down, the shooting finally ceased entirely. Luo Ren couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The first wave of the zombie horde had been repelled. Let me go. What do you think you're doing? They'll have my son throw you all in jail. With the gunfire gone, other sounds became clear. The shrill, piercing voice, shouting like a vulgar fishwife, once again invaded Luo Ren's ears. He turned toward the sound and saw the wealthy, middle-aged woman pinned to the ground by several other survivors. She struggled wildly, her strength so great that the young men could barely hold her down. Luo Ren mused that she must never need to give up her seat on the subway or bus. This is unlawful restraint. I swear once I'm out of here, I'll have every one of you rot in prison. And you, they'll have you court-martialed. Even now, the woman refused to face reality, screeching like a vulgar shrew. The rage within Luo Ren swelled. His gaze turned icy as he strode step by step to stand before her, waving his hand to dismiss the others. Freed from restraint, the woman sprang up like a macaque snatching food from a tourist, raking her sharp nails toward Luo Ren's face. His expression grim, Luo Ren raised his pistol and aimed it at the madwoman's forehead, his rationality slowly being consumed by violent fury. "Hey, who do you think you're scaring with that gun?" The woman showed no fear, convinced Luo Ren wouldn't dare shoot. She even pressed her forehead against the muzzle, sneering, "Go ahead, my head's right here. Shoot me if you've got the guts. TCH. If you don't, you're a son of a bang." The muzzle flash vanished in an instant, but for that split second it illuminated every face present. Many were stunned in horror. The bullet pierced the woman's skull, spraying brain matter. She fell stiffly, her eyes wide open, her face frozen in a mask of spite and arrogance. Luo Ren's hand trembled slightly. Reason returned to him stronger than before, and the inner rage vanished. This was his first time killing a human, and instinctive fear gripped him. But what was done was done. His strengthened rationality told him to calm down. At least in front of these people, he must remain composed. Luo Ren took a deep breath, his emotions rapidly settling. He looked at the remaining 26 survivors, his expression indifferent, his voice cold and devoid of feeling. "Let me say this again, the base is my base, and the military is my military. I can let you stay and offer you shelter, but..." His piercing gaze swept over each of the 26. "You must obey my rules." The survivors exchanged glances, and finally, driven by fear, they replied, "We will follow the rules." Luo Ren didn't care whether they were afraid or had simply come to their senses, as long as they obeyed. He nodded and continued, "Since you understand, then help the guard soldiers clean up the zombie corpses." The 26 heard him clearly, but they did not move, for fear was written plainly on their faces. Seeing their expressions, Luo Ren sneered. In this apocalypse, fear is the greatest obstacle to survival. Those who help the soldiers clean up the bodies will receive food and shelter. Those who refuse can leave. I won't force anyone. Having said this, he fell silent, leaving the final choice to them. As the soldiers began clearing the corpses, a few of the braver survivors hesitated briefly before joining in. After about 3 or 4 minutes, more found the courage one by one. In the end, only 2 remained huddled together, unable to overcome their terror of handling the zombie remains. These 2 had fair-skinned, delicate hands and wore elaborate makeup. One would hardly guess at first glance that they were grown men. Luo Ren glanced at them. He had said all he needed to say, the choice was theirs. In this new world, those who lacked even this much courage didn't deserve to survive. Dawn broke through the clouds. The sun still rose in the east, its light as warm as ever, but the land below had been utterly transformed. Yesterday was a scene of peace and prosperity, but today it had become a living hell. Waking early, Luo Ren's first task was to ask Luo Shan, who had helped clean the corpses yesterday. To his surprise, all 26 had pitched in. He had thought those 2 pretty boys wouldn't have the nerve. Seems he was wrong. Truly, people unleash incredible potential when pushed to the brink. Stretching, Luo Ren saw people leaning against walls, crouching or sobbing into their hands. He sighed softly, then used his points to exchange for some compressed rations and water, which he had the guard soldiers distribute to them, a small acknowledgement of their courage. After they had eaten their fill, Luo Ren gathered the 26. He looked at a burly man standing in the front row. He remembered this one. He had been among those holding down the old woman, and he was the first to volunteer for corpse cleanup. Luo Ren walked up to the man, looked him over, and asked, "What's your name?" The man was nervous, but managed to answer, "My name is Shate." Shate. Luo Ren's first impression of the name was that it sounded wealthy. Coming back to himself, he found the man agreeable and said, "Shate, from now on, you're the survivor supervisor. You'll be in charge of organizing the survivors to build shelters and fortifications." It was like a blessing from heaven. Shate was overjoyed and dared not be careless. He replied earnestly, "Yes, sir. I'll do my best." In this situation, survival was paramount, and to live well, one needed power and authority. Since this officer saw fit to make him supervisor, he had to seize the opportunity and work hard to secure a better life. With excitement, Shate finished his breakfast and immediately began organizing, assigning who would set up tents and who would reinforce the defenses, all laid out clearly. Luo Ren watched his performance with satisfaction and assigned a soldier to assist him. The current population was too small. Without upgrading the base, the number of soldiers couldn't increase. Strengthening his forces as quickly as possible in the early days of the apocalypse was a top priority. Otherwise, once major factions emerged, some would inevitably covet the base's resources. Without sufficient strength, he couldn't withstand the greed of those freed from the bonds of law and morality. Without delay, Luo Ren left 5 soldiers to maintain order and led 15 to the nearest industrial park to search for survivors. Northern Industrial Park. Luo Ren led the soldiers cautiously in search of survivors. "The army. The army's here to save us." "Sir, over here." Luo Ren followed the sound and saw 3 people waving from behind an office building. He made a shushing gesture signaling them to keep quiet. The 3 obediently fell silent. He then beckoned them. The 3 hesitated for a moment before gathering their courage and dashing out from behind the wall. Just then 5 or 6 zombies spotted them and charged. Terrified, the 3 sprinted faster toward the rescue party. Luo Ren ordered 5 guard soldiers to step forward and intercept the zombies with sharp military knives. With a series of thuds, the zombies were swiftly dispatched. The 3 survivors ran up to them. Luo Ren sized them up. One carried a steel pipe, another a cleaver, and the third, most impressively, a keyboard. Was he planning to talk the zombies to death with the art of rhetoric? Curious, he asked, "Why aren't you 3 hiding somewhere? Wandering around? Aren't you afraid of the zombie?" The industrial park had a large flow of people, so naturally there were many zombies. Even taking the less crowded paths, they had encountered numerous zombies and lost 1 soldier. "We didn't want to come out, but we ran out of food and water. Hiding in the office building would have meant starving to death sooner or later, so we figured we'd take our chances," said the one with the steel pipe. "We didn't want to come out, but we ran out of food and water. Hiding in the office building. I'm Li Cun, he's Li's son, and he's Deng Te. The office building we were in has 3 floors. Most of the survivors from the park are hiding there, probably over 300 people," said the man with the pipe. "That many?" Luo Ren was taken aback. Upgrading the base required 500 people, and this small office building alone held over 300, a real jackpot. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Then take me there immediately to rescue your colleagues." Li Cun and the others hesitated briefly before nodding. "All right, follow us." Under their guidance, Luo Ren saw the 3-story office building. According to Li Cun, most survivors were concentrated on the 2nd floor. Luo Ren nodded and carefully surveyed the surroundings. There weren't many zombies outside. "Sir, there are zombies on the 1st floor. That's why we had to climb through the windows," Li Cun explained. Luo Ren looked at him and asked, "How many zombies on the 1st floor?" "Probably 23, 25. Li Cun wasn't sure. "How many exactly?" "No more than 30, Li Cun quickly replied. "No more than 30. Luo Ren's eyes darted as an idea formed. It wasn't anything clever. He simply raised his hand and ordered, "Draw your blades. Kill the zombies. Rescue the people." Clang. 15 soldiers drew their sabers simultaneously and strode briskly toward the office building. Upon reaching the entrance, they saw the building's main door wide open, revealing the interior without needing to step inside. Over a dozen zombies wandered aimlessly, colliding with desks and walls without any sensation of pain, merely adjusting their direction to continue their aimless roaming. Luo Ren stepped out from behind the 15 soldiers, fixing his gaze on the zombies. His eyes narrowed, and with a single command he muttered, "Move out." The 15 soldiers obeyed without a word, charging straight into the office building. The sound of their footsteps was enough to attract the zombies inside, which lunged toward them with claws bared. Facing the zombies, not a trace of fear appeared on the soldiers' faces. Their eyes gleamed with cold, killing intent as they swung their sabers, swift, ruthless, and precise. Splat! Blades flashed with a chilling glint, blood and flesh splattering everywhere. In less than a minute, over a dozen zombies were completely slain. Having dealt with the trouble on the 1st floor, Luo Ren quickly led the group to the 2nd floor. Climbing to the 2nd floor with hurried steps, they immediately saw many survivors, roughly estimated at over 300. Most had cracked lips and weary expressions, and from time to time the sound of growling stomachs echoed through the crowd, a clear sign that many were starving. Seeing 15 tall, sturdy men armed with automatic rifles and dressed in military uniforms, though not the familiar uniforms of the Xia Kingdom's army, at a time like this, who would bother with such details? All they knew was that the army had arrived, and they were finally saved. Every survivor was immensely excited. Before they could burst out in joy and agitation, Luo Ren lowered his voice and spoke. "First, don't get excited yet. Listen to me. First, you're right. I'm here to rescue you. Second, no loud noises, or you'll attract more zombies from the area. Third, everyone must follow my orders." "Understood." This frail young man with the look of a homebody turned out to be the commander of 15 tall soldiers, leaving everyone astonished. Some even wondered if he was a relative of some high-ranking official. But it didn't matter. As long as he could save their lives, who cared about that? So the crowd nodded silently, afraid to make a sound. Some, whose stomachs growled, even pressed their hands firmly against their bellies. Luo Ren nodded in satisfaction. After a moment of thought, he glanced toward the 3rd floor and asked softly, "Is anyone on the 3rd floor?" As his words fell, the expressions of those before him varied, but no one answered for a long time. He then turned to Li Cun, pointing upstairs, and asked, "Is there anyone up there?" Li Cun dared not hide anything and quickly replied, "There are people, but very few. Only about a dozen." "A dozen? What does that mean?" Luo Ren frowned, puzzled by Li Cun's answer. From the outside, the 3rd floor seemed as spacious as the 2nd, yet the 2nd floor held hundreds while the 3rd had only a dozen. Why such a huge disparity in numbers? Could the structure of the 2 floors be different with the third only able to accommodate 10 people? Such a reason defied logic. No matter how different the layout, the usable space couldn't vary so drastically. Seeing Luo Ren's confused expression, Li Siyuan explained, the people on the 3rd floor are all company executives. 2 of them have some shady background and possess those things. Li Siyuan glanced left and right, gesturing with his thumb and index finger, and whispered, guns. Then with hatred he added, there was some food and clean water on the 2nd floor. If they hadn't taken it all to the 3rd floor, we wouldn't be in this state. Li Siyuan pointed at a man with a swollen, bruised face and said angrily, when we resisted, they beat us. They even forcibly took several pretty female colleagues. Those women are probably... At this point, Li Siyuan couldn't continue. Hearing this, Luo Ren couldn't help but recall Sun Zi's theory of innate evil. Human nature is inherently wicked. The apocalypse had only just begun, and already some had revealed their beastly side. But then again, it was the end of the world, survival of the fittest. He believed that if any of these 300-plus people had a gun, perhaps a third of them might act as beastly as those on the 3rd floor. Without further ado, he immediately ordered upstairs. Quickly climbing to the 3rd floor, the first thing they saw were several women with disheveled hair and untidy clothes lying on the ground. Compared to those on the 2nd floor, they looked even more haggard, with clear tear tracks on their cheeks and eyes that had cried dry, filled with deep despair. His gaze passed over these women and landed on over a dozen people who were drinking and playing cards at that moment. The ground around them was littered with snack wrappers. They were living quite comfortably. Luo Ren's arrival startled these people, who all turned to look. Seeing the tall, weapon-wielding 15 soldiers behind this young man, they were all terrified and dared not move. Only one man, heavily drunk, showed no fear. Instead, he staggered forward, cursing and swaying. Who the hell let you up here? Don't you want to live? He'll teach you a lesson today. With that, he grabbed an empty bottle and swung it violently at Luo Ren's head. What fighting ability could a drunkard have? Luo Ren kicked him, sending him sprawling on his back, face up. The man flew into a rage, lifting his shirt to reveal a pistol tucked at his waist, and cursed, "You bastard, I'll kill you." As he drew his gun, without waiting for Luo Ren's command, Luo Shan drew his saber, stepped forward in a flash, raised the blade, and slashed downward. Blood splattered instantly. The drunkard's entire right arm was severed at the shoulder. He froze for a moment, then searing pain swept over him, jolting his hazy mind awake. He clamped his mouth shut, held it for a while, then opened wide to let out a pig-like scream. But how could they let him have his way? Luo Shan casually crumpled a piece of rag into a ball, and the moment the man opened his mouth, stuffed it straight down his throat. The others, who were more sober, were terrified by the sight. They had relied on 2 homemade single-shot pistols to intimidate the hundreds of cowards, emboldening themselves many times over. But at most they had beaten a few disobedient ones and toyed with some women. To so decisively sever a man's arm, their courage clearly didn't stretch that far. Luo Ren's gaze swept over the few, his disgust evident, and he immediately ordered, confiscate their weapons. Tie them all up. If they resist. His eyes turned icy cold, and he enunciated each word, kill, without mercy. His gaze shifted to the women, and he shook his head, saying, put on your clothes and come down with me. These women had witnessed everything just now. They saw the criminals who had violated them have their arms severed, their weapons confiscated, and themselves bound. But how could that alone quell the fury in their hearts? They desperately wanted to know what this slender young man would do next to these criminals. Thus the will to die born from humiliation was suppressed by this glimmer of anticipation. They decided to follow Luo Ren until they saw those beasts dealt with. After only about 10 minutes upstairs, Luo Ren descended from the 3rd floor. The survivors on the 2nd immediately cast their gazes upon him, and when they saw the bound men following behind him, a wave of relief washed over them. Some shouted and rushed forward to strike these men, but Luo Ren stopped them. He said, stay quiet now and follow my orders. Once we reach a safe place, I'll deal with them. Those who understood immediately restrained their actions and voices. Those who didn't were silenced by others covering their mouths and holding back their legs, forcing them to be sensible. Without delay, he organized the hundreds of people and carefully left the office building, following the path they had taken to return to the base. The zombies roaming the path had already been cleared, so the journey went smoothly with no casualties as they returned to the base. After a brief rest, Luo Ren gathered everyone. Looking at the hundreds of starving people, he said, here you will receive shelter and food, but it won't be free. You must obey. Understood? Understood. The crowd responded perfunctorily. Luo Ren frowned. These people still didn't realize the situation they were in. It seemed necessary to make them understand. He then ordered the bound men to be brought forward. After a long silence, he closed and opened his eyes, steeling his resolve, and silently thought, "Ill use your lives." He said coldly, "Execute these scum on the spot." Yes. The guards obeyed, aiming their guns at the backs of the 10 men's heads. For the guards, killing was no big deal, as long as they had orders. Hearing this, the kneeling men trembled in fear. Two were so terrified that yellow and white fluids uncontrollably leaked from their pants, immediately emitting a foul stench. These men wailed, pleading with tears and snot not to kill them. Unfortunately, Luo Ren intended to use their lives to establish authority, and he had to do so. Their fates were sealed the moment he made his decision. Bang, bang, bang. After several gunshots, the cries and pleas abruptly ceased, and red and white matter splattered. The hundreds of people on the scene were all startled, their faces turning pale in shock. They wanted to flee, but seeing the tall soldiers and the corpses before them with the stench of death in the air, no one dared to be the first to act. Luo Ren looked at the bodies before him and fell silent for a long time. If shooting the wealthy woman had been out of anger, then killing these men was entirely his own volition. A sense of guilt crept into his heart. Sensing that such an emotion was wrong, he immediately hypnotized himself, imagining these people as zombies. After a strenuous effort at self-hypnosis, he succeeded. Though the guilt hadn't vanished, it was temporarily suppressed. His gaze swept over the crowd, and he said, "I know what you're thinking. These men did beastly things, but they didn't deserve death, right?" He gave a cold laugh and continued, "But I still killed them. Why?" Pointing at a thin, skinny boy he pressed, "You tell me. Why did I kill them?" The thin boy was terrified, his voice trembling as he stammered, Because. He hemmed and hawed for several minutes without finishing. Luo Ren immediately slapped him on the shoulder, and the boy let out a cry before fainting dead away. "What a coward," he muttered to himself, then ignored the boy. Raising his voice deliberately, he said, "Because it's to show you." A chill ran down everyone's spines. Killing people to show them. What did that mean? Luo Ren then said sternly, "I want to use these 10 men to tell you that in this place, anyone who breaks the rules will face this fate." Indeed, Luo Ren didn't kill these 10 primarily because of their evil deeds. The most important reason was to use their lives to establish authority. A base must have its rules, and those protected by it must abide by them, otherwise chaos would ensue. But before making people follow the rules, one must kill the chicken to scare the monkeys. Without authority, rules and leaders, even if superficially obeyed, might be undermined in secret. So in peacetime, these men would have faced life imprisonment at most. But now they had to die. Everyone suddenly understood, and their gazes toward Luo Ren were filled with fear. Many silently resolved to follow the rules here, if only to survive. Luo Ren noted the crowd's reactions. The purpose of killing the chicken to scare the monkeys had been achieved, which pleased him. After a long silence, he summoned Sha Te and ordered him to find 2 people to register all the new survivors. After witnessing Luo Ren's decisive killings, Sha Te dared not slack off. He worked quickly, registering the hundreds of people in less than an hour, then wrote a report and submitted it to Luo Ren. After reading Sha Te's registration report, Luo Ren was somewhat surprised. He had thought there were only about 345 people, but the count showed 397. Nearly 400 people plus the original 26 at the base brought the total to 423. They still needed 77 more to upgrade to a level 1 base. Thus, Luo Ren made a plan: leave 1/3 of the troops to guard the base and lead the rest to search for more survivors. Over 20 days passed quickly, and the base took shape. Tents had been set up, and the over 400 survivors no longer had to sleep under the open sky. The base's happiness index had improved significantly. Ding. Soldier Luo High promoted to squad leader, can command 10 units of regular soldiers. Ding. Population exceeds 500, base meets upgrade conditions. Please upgrade as soon. Ding. Soldier Luo High promoted to squad leader, can command 10 units of regular soldiers. Ding. Population exceeds 500, base meets upgrade conditions. Please upgrade as soon as possible. Ding. New mission released: upgrade base to level 1 and establish a weapons factory. Reward 20 million points. Finally got enough people. Luo Ren was so excited he nearly fell off his chair. He had been waiting for this day. Without a second thought, he upgraded the base. Ding. Base upgraded to level 1. Level 1 weapons factory unlocked. Ding. Base upgraded to level 1. Level 1 city wall unlocked. Huh. I can build a city wall now. No more manual fortifications. Ugly and weak in defense, Luo Ren exclaimed, startled. Without wasting time, he began construction, immediately pulling up the building interface. It displayed a map centered on the base, covering an area of 5 kilometers in radius. This was the city wall construction panel. After a brief thought, he started building. He chose to center the wall on the mobile base with a diameter of 300 meters, and then constructed a level 1 city wall. Building level 1 city wall consuming 6280 points. A flash of white light later, a red brick wall 20 centimeters thick and over 3 meters high appeared out of thin air. The so-called level 1 wall looked rather shabby. Still, it should be sturdy enough that zombies couldn't knock it down. The hundreds of base residents, seeing the wall materialize from nowhere, all widened their eyes and mouths in shock. Some superstitious ones even knelt in worship, muttering thanks to the heavens and God. After the wall was completed, Luo Ren proceeded to build the weapons factory. He designated a specific area as a military zone and selected the option to build the factory. The moment the factory was finished, the system's prompt sounded in his ear. Ding. Mission complete. Rewarded 20 million points. Staring at the vast amount of points, Luo Ren gave a wry smile, unsure whether to be happy. Soldier production had a cap. Base upgrades required population, and so many points had no real use. Could it be that the reason rich people don't like or touch money is that there's too little they can do with it? From this perspective, he still needed to increase the population and upgrade the base. Once he could produce tanks and artillery, these points would find their purpose. The base's population exceeded 500, upgrading to level 1A, and with the completion of the armory, all metrics saw significant improvements. First, the soldier capacity limit rose to 130. The production speed, previously 2 soldiers per hour, now doubled to 4 soldiers per hour, meaning over 100 soldiers could be fully produced in less than 2 days. Like the mobile base, the armory could also produce firearms and bullets, and additionally fragmentation grenades, which significantly bolstered the guard corps combat effectiveness. The weather was clear and sunny with a gentle breeze. Inside the mobile base, Luo Ren leaned back in his chair, holding a report submitted by Sha Te detailing the day's new arrivals. After this period of development, the base had gained some renown in the surrounding area. Thus, the report included not only survivors rescued by the guard corps, but also those who had joined voluntarily, totaling 124 people. With the steady growth of the base's population, it now numbered nearly 2,000. At this rate of development, it wouldn't be long before the population reached 5,000, allowing the base to upgrade to level 2. At that moment, Luo Ren was already fantasizing about what wonderful things a level 2 base would unlock, and how much the guard corps numbers, currently just over 100, would increase. Rubbing his temples, he put down the report and closed his eyes to rest, allowing his dry eyes some relief. Meanwhile, he pondered the growing population. Although he had enough points, he couldn't keep using them indefinitely to exchange for compressed food to sustain these people. The current population wasn't too large, and supplying food through point exchange was manageable. But as the base developed and the population continued to grow, now nearly 2,000, but eventually breaking through 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. Even if he could manage the exchanges, distributing the food would become a monumental headache. From this, he concluded that while using points to supply food to residents was fine in the early stages, it would become completely unfeasible as numbers swelled. Thus, establishing a self-sufficient system for the residents was imperative. Slowly opening his eyes, the first thing he saw was the ceiling. Shifting his gaze to the door, he stood up and walked out of the mobile base. Sunlight fell upon his face, and he could feel the sun's heat. As far as his eyes could see, aside from the more than 200 newcomers setting up tents, everyone else was basically idle. They spent their days eating and sleeping much like pigs. This only strengthened his resolve to create a self-sufficient system. Scanning the crowd, he spotted Sha Te and called him over. Find a few people with experience and skills in agriculture, construction, livestock, and healthcare, and bring them here. We'll have a meeting. Over these days, Luo Ren had observed Sha Te's performance. He was very diligent in his work and never slacked off on assigned tasks. For this reason, he valued Sha Te and trusted him to handle such matters well. Sure enough, in less than an hour, Sha Te had found the people Luo Ren requested. He led the group to the meeting hall. Calling it a hall was generous. It was quite crude, only slightly better than it. Inside the meeting hall was a long table, simple yet elegant. Its grain indicated it was no ordinary wood salvaged from a furniture store during a rescue mission for survivors. Everyone sat around the long table. Besides Luo Ren and Sha Te, there were 7 others present, the individuals Sha Te had found with specific skills. Sha Te introduced them, Wang Ma and Wang Niu. Before the catastrophe, they ran a greenhouse farm and are very experienced in agriculture. Wang Ma and Wang Niu immediately stood up and politely bowed to Luo Ren. Luo Ren gave them a careful look, then pressed his hand downward. Sit down. After Wang Niu and Wang Ma sat down, Sha Te continued, introducing the next person. Chao Mu, a level 2 construction engineer with over a decade of experience. Luo Ren's gaze fell upon Chao Mu, a man in his 40s with a receding hairline. Luo Ren trusted his professional ability. Judging by his hairline alone, it was evident. Chao Mu hastily stood up, looking very nervous. He bowed to Luo Ren and stammered, Common Commander, I am Chao Mu. Luo Ren wondered, am I really that terrifying? Then he said, sit down. Pointing to another person, Sha Te continued, Chao Ma, an aquaculture expert with 5 or 6 years of experience. What? Luo Ren was taken aback and couldn't help but smile wryly. Aquaculture? There's only a small river near the base. There's no place for you to do aquaculture for now. Sha Te jumped up, his heart sinking. His voice trembled as he spoke. Commander, you didn't specify what type of farming. Beads of sweat as big as beans continuously formed on his forehead and rolled down his cheeks. He had seen Luo Ren's methods, a few lives had been lost with just a word. He hated himself for not scouting the terrain properly. Now he had made a mistake. It was all over. Seeing Sha Te's exaggerated reaction, Luo Ren again thought, am I really that terrifying? He hadn't said anything harsh, yet the man was already sweating cold fear. Holding his forehead, he lowered his head in helpless wryness, then pressed his palm down. I'm not blaming you. Sit down quickly. His voice was gentle, his tone calm, betraying no anger or anything else. Yet Sha Te still hesitated, sneaking a peek at Luo Ren's expression, seeing his usual demeanor and no murderous intent in his eyes. Only then did the stone hanging over his heart finally fall. He said respectfully, thank you, Commander. After speaking, he sat down reassured, thinking to himself, could my impression of the commander be wrong? Is it really over just like that? Luo Ren couldn't read minds and had no idea what Sha Te was thinking. After a moment's deliberation, he suddenly asked, Chao Ma, since conditions for aquaculture aren't sufficient, now do you know any other type of farming? Chao Ma dared not keep Luo Ren waiting and immediately replied, yes. Before aquaculture, I did land-based farming for 4 or 5 years. I have experience with chickens, ducks, pigs, cattle, sheep, and the like. Oh. Luo Ren was pleasantly surprised. This was a versatile talent for land, sea, and air. He quickly said, all right, you can stay, but I'll be frank, if you don't know something, say so. Don't lie to me, or else. You know the consequences. Chao Ma urgently said, I swear to heaven, every word I said is true. If there's any falsehood, may lightning strike me and shatter me to pieces. Luo Ren was quite satisfied with this attitude. He smiled and nodded, then looked at Sha Te. 2 more left. Continue with the introductions. This is Yuan Yongyuan. Before the apocalypse, he was a chief physician at a hospital. And this is Meng Xinrong. She worked at the same hospital as Yuan in nursing, a nurse. Luo Ren said, a nurse and a doctor. Very good. After everyone was introduced, Luo Ren was silent for a few seconds before speaking. I called you here today for one thing, to build a self-sufficient base. Wang Ma Wang Niu, you have farming experience. From now on, you will be responsible for organizing and guiding the base residents in agricultural cultivation. As for Chao Ma, the base currently has no livestock. First assist Wang Niu and Wang Ma with the agriculture. Then looking at Chao Mu, he said, Chao Mu, I give you the authority to form a construction team responsible for the base's infrastructure. It's the dry season now and tents are livable, but when the rainy season comes, that won't do. You must have houses built for everyone before the rains arrive. Also, the base's drainage system needs a thorough overhaul. Oh, and first build a hospital. Yuan Yongyuan will be the director and Meng Xinrong the head nurse. As he spoke, his gaze fell upon Yuan Yongyuan and Meng Xinrong. He continued, I also give you the authority to find 10 to 20 people with medical or nursing experience. From now on, you will be responsible for all the residents' ailments, big or small. This arrangement was what Luo Ren had in mind, but implementation required someone to take charge. So he shifted his focus back to Sha Te for specific personnel allocation and implementation. He deliberately emphasized the words, his expression serious. Then he said, Sha Te, I'm leaving this to you. Suddenly standing up, he fixed his gaze on Sha Te, then gave him a firm pat on the shoulder. I trust you. Don't disappoint me. With that, he smiled lightly, walked to the door, then suddenly stopped. Turning back, his gaze swept over everyone. Forgot. Meeting adjourned. Sha Te watched Luo Ren's retreating figure, clenched his fists, his eyes resolute. He shouted excitedly, rest assured, Commander. I will not let you down. 5 days later. Sha Te was indeed efficient. In just 5 days, the base had transformed from a pigsty to a place where everyone had a job. The previously idle people were now busy, some farming, some building. Everyone was mobilized. Compared to 5 days ago, the base was now full of vitality, and its operational efficiency had greatly improved. Looking at everything before him, Luo Ren felt exhilarated and a sense of achievement. Although Sha Te was the one who actually implemented things, the idea was his, and the orders were his, so his contribution was no less than Sha Te's. Stretching, he returned to the mobile base. Seeing the documents on the table, he sat down and picked one up to read. Just then a guard's voice came from outside the door, reporting, Commander. Resident Sha Te requests an audience. Luo Ren said, let him in. Hearing footsteps, he glanced up and saw it was Sha Te. His gaze returned to the document in his hand as he asked, go ahead. What is it? Sha Te pulled a letter from his pocket, stepped forward, and handed it over. A man just now asked me to give this to you. He said he was one of Tiger King's men. Tiger King? Luo Ren was puzzled. He had never heard of such a person. Taking the letter, he immediately opened it, pulled out the paper inside, and saw the crooked, hideously ugly handwriting. I am the Tiger King, commanding 600 elite soldiers armed with guns and cannons. I hear your city is good. I want it. I hope you see the situation clearly and open your gates to welcome me voluntarily. Otherwise, I will make you know what it means to have your city breached and your people destroyed. Postscript, reply to me within 3 days. What the hell? Luo Ren finished reading, crumpled the letter into a ball, and tossed it into the trash. He assumed it was someone's prank. Looking at Sha Te, he asked, where's the man who gave you the letter? Shate said after he gave me the letter I invited him for tea. Tea? What tea? Tea is so precious these days, and you are willing to give it to some prankster. Luo Ren said somewhat irritably. What was Shate thinking? Such a prankster should be punished by cleaning the public toilets for a week. And since the prank was on him, the punishment should be even harsher. A month of cleaning toilets. No, a year. Only then would the fool learn his lesson and know that the tiger's backside was not to be touched. Commander, when I said tea, I didn't mean actual tea. It was the kind of tea that offers community. Shate rubbed his mouth, his eyes looking at the ceiling, his tone a bit awkward. Luo Ren's movements froze. He opened his dry mouth slightly, then slowly turned his head to look at Shate with a forced smile. Seeing this expression and movement, a chill ran down Shate's spine. He quickly said, Commander, I'll go right now and make that guy clean the toilets for a year. After saying this, he made a swift exit, vanishing in a flash. After Shate left, Luo Ren continued perusing the documents, muttering to himself, don't they know I was a model student in school and a model citizen after stepping into society? How could I possibly understand such jargon? Disturbed by Shate, he stared at the documents for a long while, but couldn't absorb a single word. With a soft sigh, he put the papers down, rubbed his temples, and turned his gaze outside the window where the sunlight was just right. I've been sitting all morning. Time for a walk and some sun. Luo Ren rose, stretched, and strode out of the... He passed through the gate and stepped outside the mobile base where golden sunlight bathed his body in warmth. He let out a long breath, and many of his worries dissipated without a trace. As he withdrew his gaze, he happened to spot Shate returning, accompanied by another person. What's this guy doing back again? Luo Ren examined the figure behind Shate, and upon closer inspection, felt a surge of curiosity. Wow, who's this? He's got quite an arrogant look. Shate spotted Luo Ren and quickened his pace, urging his companion to hurry. In no time, they stood before Luo Ren. Up close, so Luo Ren could see more clearly. The man beside Shate had small eyes, a small mouth, protruding ears, a bulbous nose, and most strikingly, a large birthmark around his eyes, as if he had been beaten. Not only was his appearance odd, but his demeanor was also haughty and arrogant, as though he were the master of the base. Luo Ren pointed at the rat-like man and asked, is he naturally this arrogant? That look of superiority, as if he's about to write a new chapter of a tyrant's tale. The rat-like man was sizing up Luo Ren as he spoke. Before Shate could respond, the man interjected arrogantly, you Luo Ren. Without waiting for an answer, he snorted, hands on his hips. I am the Wolf Head General under the Tiger King. You may call me Wolf Master or Wolf Brother will do. Wolf, your sister. Want a club to the head? How dare you speak to an officer like that? Believe me, you'll blacken your other. Shate, furious and unable to bear it any longer, slapped the man on the back of his head. With his frail build, he nearly stumbled forward. Shate said to Luo Ren, reporting, sir, that prank letter earlier. This guy gave it to me. As you analyze, sir, I thought it was just a prank and planned to have him clean the public toilets for a year. But this fool is stubborn as a mule. No matter what I said, he refused and kept insisting that the Tiger King would come with 600 elite soldiers to rescue him, and also. At this point, Shate abruptly fell silent, swallowing the rest of his words. Clearly what followed was nothing pleasant. Luo Ren enunciated each word. What else did he say? Shate glanced around. Only the guards on duty were nearby. He stepped closer, leaned in to Luo Ren's ear, and whispered, he also said that when that time comes, he'll make you kneel and kiss his feet. Having said that, Shate quickly retreated several steps, keeping a safe distance from Luo Ren. Luo Ren wore a wry smile, his tongue pressing against his cheek, causing it to bulge slightly. His gaze shifted to the rat-like man, who called himself Wolf Head General. He approached a few steps, slapped his right hand onto the man's shoulder, and said in a deceptively gentle tone, you said you want me to kneel and kiss your feet. Wolf Head was much shorter than Luo Ren. Even standing so close, he had to look up to see Luo Ren's face. Within those bruised and swollen eye sockets, his small eyes radiated unbridled arrogance. Unfazed by Luo Ren, he corrected him in all seriousness, not kiss lick. Oh my, you're asking for it. No one could tolerate such insolence. Luo Ren swung his palm in a full arc and brought it down with a sharp smack. Wolf Head spun, leaped, and closed his eyes. One slap wasn't enough. A flurry of punches and kicks followed regardless of form. Luo Ren wished he were 1,000-armed Guanyin, unleashing all his limbs at once on this wretch. The one-sided beating continued for a while, but his sedentary physique began to tire. He gestured toward Shate with a pout. Shate understood, rolled up his sleeves, and took over. After more than 10 minutes, both were drenched in sweat and feeling immensely satisfied. It was far more exhilarating than pounding a sandbag. Wolf Head, bruised and battered, curled up on the ground, glaring viciously at Luo Ren and Shate. Through gritted teeth, he threatened, just you wait. The Tiger King will avenge me. This piqued Luo Ren's curiosity. Who exactly was this Tiger King that inspired such confidence and arrogance in this man? Giving Wolf Head another kick, Luo Ren asked, who's the Tiger King? Is he that tough? Wolf Head snorted. The Tiger King is the Tiger King, commanding 600 elite soldiers with guns and cannons. Destroying you would be a piece of cake. Luo Ren was speechless. The man simply repeated the contents of the letter. Without a second thought, he kicked him again. Speak like a human. You kick me again. Just wait. The Tiger King commands 600 elite soldiers. Luo Ren was utterly exasperated. This guy was truly thick-headed. He had no more patience for him. He gestured to the guard on duty and instructed Luo 27 lock him in the public toilet. The guard Luo 27 responded, yes, sir. Luo Ren had a sudden idea. He leaned close to Luo 27's ear, whispered a few words, then patted his shoulder. Luo 27 nodded, grabbed Wolf Head by the ankle, and dragged him away toward the public toilet. Luo Ren watched as Wolf Head was hauled off, stroking his chin thoughtfully. The Tiger King. They'll see just who you are. Time passed, and soon it was deep night. The bright moon hung high in the sky, casting soft light that provided faint illumination for those below. After a busy day with few entertainment options available at night, most of the base's residents were already asleep, save for a few engaged in population revival plans. In the public toilet, Luo 27 whistled while relieving himself. After a few shakes, he zipped up and stared at the farthest stall for a moment before suddenly announcing time to go home and sleep. After Luo 27 left, the pitch-black public toilet fell into utter silence. Suddenly, bang, bang, bang. A series of kicks against the door. The door of the farthest stall burst open. A pair of bruised purple hands gripped the doorframe as a head peeked out cautiously. The small rat-like eyes gleamed with cunning light. It was Wolf Head, the man beaten by Luo Ren earlier that day. After observing for a while and seeing no one, he crept to the toilet entrance, holding the doorframe as he peered outside. Still no one. He let out a ha-ha laugh, slipped out of the toilet, and stealthily made his way toward the city gate. Perhaps luck was on his side, for he encountered no obstacles along the way. When he reached the gate, he scanned the area. Again, by some stroke of fortune, there were no night guards. Wolf Head glanced back at the mobile base and snarled, Luo Ren, you little brat, just you wait. With that, he carefully climbed the brick wall using both hands and feet. He crept to the edge of the wall, leaned down to inspect the drop, about 3 meters, not too high. He spat into his palms, rubbed them together, then lay flat, inching backward until half his body hung over the edge. He gripped the edge tightly, then shifted further back until his entire body dangled from the wall. Taking a deep breath, he let go and dropped. Oh, damn it. The ground was uneven, and he twisted his ankle upon landing, wincing in pain. After resting a moment, he limped off into the darkness. Shortly after Wolf Head left, 3 figures climbed onto the brick wall. In the moonlight, their identities were clear: Luo Ren, Luo Shan, and Luo Hai. Luo Ren nodded at Luo Shan. Luo Shan waved his hand, and the city gate immediately opened. A small squad of guards swiftly assembled outside. Arrange tonight's watch, Luo Ren instructed. He then turned to Luo Hai, patted his shoulder, and accepted the equipment handed to him by Luo Shan. Together with Luo Shan, he led the guard squad out of the city, following the path where Wolf Head had disappeared. They pursued him through the night, and before they knew it, the sky had turned gray, allowing them to see their surroundings. Luo Ren raised his hand, and the squad halted immediately. Ahead lay a village enclosed by a makeshift fence of barbed wire, wood, and stones. The village had only one entrance through which Wolf Head had swaggered. A dozen or so soldiers, or rather bandits, stood guard at the entrance, armed with homemade rifles and machetes. They were slovenly dressed, and most were playing cards or drinking, with only 1 or 2 keeping a proper watch. So this is the Tiger King's stronghold. After a moment's thought, Luo Ren devised a plan. He intended to slip inside and assess the situation. With a sharp gaze, he noted the guarded main entrance, an obvious dead end. He needed to find another way in. Leading the guard squad around the village, they eventually discovered that the right side was the least defended, with hardly any soldiers in sight. It was the perfect entry point. Moreover, the fence on this side was flimsier than elsewhere, barely enough to hold back a single zombie. Against a dozen or more, it would be useless. Against resourceful humans like themselves, it was practically a decoration. In just 2 or 3 minutes, the guard soldiers had cut a hole in the fence large enough for a person to crawl through. Luo Ren instructed Luo Shan, and I will go in. The rest of you stay outside and provide backup. With that, he and Luo Shan crawled through the fence and cautiously made their way toward the village interior. They narrowly avoided detection by patrols several times, but eventually reached the heart of the village safely. The sun rose slowly from the east, painting the horizon with a pale glow as the world grew clear, and beneath an eaves, Luo Ren peered around a corner and spotted 2 men with rifles approaching. His heart raced and his grip on his weapon tightened. He withdrew, quietly moving to the corner where Luo Shan was also peeking out. Luo Shan soon pulled back, holding up 2 fingers and miming a walking motion toward himself, indicating 2 people were approaching. Luo Ren frowned. Their luck was indeed bad. They were being flanked. With no way left or right, it was time. Luo Ren drew his combat knife, assuming a fighting stance, and signaled Luo Shan to prepare. Whoever came first would get a blade straight through the heart. They held their breath, the air seeming to freeze as they listened to the approaching footsteps ready to strike at any moment. Suddenly, creak, the locked door of the building they were leaning against opened from the inside. Someone inside beckoned them in. Luo Ren and Luo Shan exchanged a glance and quickly slipped inside. The room was dimly lit. Luo Ren's gaze swept across, taking in two adults, a man and a woman, and a little girl of only 4 or 5 years old. His heart stirred. This must be a family of 3. He bowed slightly and said courteously, "Thank you for saving us. Uncle, did you come to rescue us?" The little girl's voice was as melodious as silver bells, capturing Luo Ren's attention. She ran over, and Luo Ren saw clearly that she was exquisitely delicate, innocent, and lively like a little porcelain doll. The little girl's bright eyes, shimmering like stars, looked at Luo Ren expectantly, awaiting his reply. "Xin, come here." Just as Luo Ren was crouching down to answer, the little girl's mother suddenly spoke. Luo Ren looked up and met her gaze. In her eyes, he saw wariness. The girl's father abruptly pulled the little girl behind him, gripping a fruit knife, and stared at Luo Ren and Luo Shan with equal vigilance. Luo Ren noticed that although the girl's father was gaunt and sallow, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. It seemed that if Luo Ren made any hostile move, he would lunge like a starving wolf, determined to protect his wife and daughter. The girl's mother was likewise gaunt and weak, clearly from prolonged hunger. The little girl's complexion, however, was fairly normal. The couple must have given most of their food to their daughter. Luo Ren was puzzled that the man had saved them, yet remained so wary, but he did not voice his confusion. Instead, he explained, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Once those outside are gone, well, leave immediately." His tone was gentle, his eyes sincere, exuding abundant goodwill. Suddenly remembering something, he took several compressed biscuits from his pocket and slowly extended them. In extreme hunger, the lure of food far outweighs gold or silver. The girl's father swallowed hard at the sight of the biscuits, his stomach growling uncontrollably. The girl's mother also stared fixedly at the biscuits in Luo Ren's hand, unable to look away. The little girl blinked her big eyes, wanting to take the biscuits, but daring not move when she caught her father's gaze. The girl's father took a deep breath, suppressing his craving for food. Seeing the sincerity in Luo Ren's eyes, he mustered the courage to ask, "Are you from the military?" He had opened the door because he saw Luo Ren and Luo Shan wearing military combat uniforms and assumed they were National Army rescuers. But when they entered and he got a clear look at their uniforms, he regretted it. These were not Xia Kingdom uniforms. At that moment, he had resolved to die protecting his wife and daughter. Yet events unfolded differently than he had feared. The two before him seemed unlike the armed men outside. They appeared genuinely harmless. Hearing the man's question, Luo Ren smiled warmly and said, "We're not military, but we're not bandits either. Rest assured we won't hurt you. Take it." The girl's father stared intently into Luo Ren's eyes. After a long moment, he cautiously reached out and took the compressed biscuit, tore open the package with his teeth, and took a bite himself. It tasted familiar, military-grade compressed biscuit. He waited a while, and feeling no ill effects, handed the biscuit to the girl's mother. Starving, she didn't care if it was poisoned as she took the biscuit and devoured it. That the man could maintain such composure in extreme hunger earned Luo Ren's genuine admiration. The girl's mother, ravenous, quickly finished one biscuit, then tore open another and continued eating. "Hey, wait." Seeing her eat without regard for fullness, Luo Ren grew concerned. The girl's father, whose expression had softened, became wary again, staring fixedly at Luo Ren. Luo Ren smiled. "I was just going to say you can't eat too much at once when you're starving, or you'll hurt yourself." The girl's father understood this logic and relaxed. He said to his wife, "Let it settle, I'll rest a while before eating more." At that moment, the girl's father's gaze toward Luo Ren and Luo Shan softened considerably. He had essentially concluded that these two were not bad people. Relieved, he had his wife and daughter move back, then brought over 2 chairs. A hint of a smile appeared on his face as he said, "Please have a seat." Luo Ren smiled faintly, took a chair, and sat down. Luo Shan waved his hand, moved to the door, and leaned against it, keeping watch outside. The girl's father noticed Luo Shan's movements were precise, indistinguishable from a professional soldier, and a flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. After sitting down, Luo Ren looked at the girl's father across from him and asked, "May I ask your esteemed name, brother?" The girl's father replied, "My name is Qi Jun." Luo Ren nodded and continued, "Brother Qi, do you know Tiger King?" "Of course I do." The words were spat out one by one through gritted teeth. Qi Jun's eyes blazed with hatred. "I do know him, even if he were ground to ashes." Qi Jun took a deep breath to calm himself and continued, "This Tiger King, real name Wang, who was a bully in the village before the disaster. Relying on his uncle's bit of power, he terrorized the countryside and oppressed the people, earning everyone's wrath. After the disaster broke out, that bastard with a few thugs and some guns killed people at will. My father was pushed into a horde of zombies by him and bitten to death alive. As he spoke, the girl's father's eyes reddened and crystal tears welled up. Wang Hu not only kills, but also ravages the village women. The daughter of our neighbor Old Li was violated by him and his men for 3 days and nights until she took her own life. That child was only 14. The girl's mother spoke sorrowfully, recounting Wang Hu's crimes. Luo Ren was furious upon hearing this. He clenched his fists and cursed beast. Then looking at Qi Jun, he said, "Brother Qi, please tell me everything about the village. I came here to uncover Wang Hu's true strength and eliminate this detestable beast." Hearing this, Qi Jun was overjoyed and poured out all the village's information to Luo Ren. He didn't care whether Luo Ren's promise to kill Wang Hu was real or not. At this moment, he had no choice but to believe. Luo Ren recorded the key points Qi Jun mentioned in a small notebook. After about half an hour, the girl's father had spoken until his throat was dry, finally finishing everything he knew about the village and Wang Hu. With this information, Luo Ren gained a deeper understanding of Wang Hu and the village. The village called Muzhong Village was a large one with over 2,000 households and a population of nearly 10,000. Since the outbreak, aside from Wang Hu's men, there were still about 2,000 people in the village. Some survivors, others refugees who had fled there or been captured by Wang Hu. As for Wang Hu's forces, they weren't the 600 well-armed soldiers mentioned in the letter. The actual number was around 400 to 500, with only about 200 equipped with makeshift guns scavenged from villagers' homes. The rest were armed with machetes and cleavers, their combat effectiveness negligible compared to the Guard Corps. In addition, he learned Wang Hu's residence, the 3-story villa at the highest point of Muzhong Village, visible at a glance, along with the village's layout and routes. Still, about 200 with makeshift guns and 200 to 300 with blades would be no match for the well-equipped. At this point, Luo Ren was 100% confident in wiping out Wang Hu's forces. With intelligence gathered, he prepared to withdraw. But since it was daytime and they risked exposure, they would have to wait until nightfall. However, things rarely go as planned. Just then, Luo Shan, who had been keeping watch at the door, whispered, "Someone's..." Luo Ren's heart tightened. "How many?" Luo Shan held up one finger. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief. One person was manageable. Bang! The door was kicked open and a soldier from Wang Hu's gang, holding a makeshift gun, stepped inside. "Ah!" The woman's startled cry immediately drew the soldier's attention. He looked to his left and saw a woman in her 30s hiding behind a chair, trembling with fear. Well, a little young wife. I like that. Don't shake, pretty lady. Oh, I haven't even started yet. You'll be shaking plenty soon." Licking his lips, the soldier leered and moved toward the woman. Just then a shadow flashed. A sharp military knife pressed against the soldier's throat. Without a word or giving him time to speak, the blade sliced across his neck. The soldier's eyes bulged. He clutched his throat, trying to scream, but his windpipe was severed. All that came out was a gurgling sound, and soon he fell dead to the ground. Qi Jun showed little reaction, merely covering his daughter's eyes. Though they lived in chaotic times, it was better to shield the young from bloodshed. The girl's mother turned pale. She had seen zombies and corpses, but never a living person killed by throat slitting right before her eyes. Some fear gripped her, yet she was strong enough to suppress a scream. Luo Ren emerged from the shadows, glanced coldly at the body on the floor, then looked at the little girl's family. "This place is compromised and no longer safe. Come with us." Qi Jun agreed without hesitation. They had no other choice. Patrol soldiers usually worked in pairs. If this one didn't return soon, his partner would come to investigate. Staying meant discovery and certain death. Looking at his daughter and wife, he knew they could suffer a fate worse than death. That outcome he refused to witness and would never allow to become reality. "All right, let's move out now." Seeing Qi Jun's agreement, Luo Ren wasted no time. With Luo Shan in front and him behind, they led the little girl's family toward the way they had come. They hadn't gone far when shouts erupted behind them. Enemy incursion. The sluggish soldiers of Wang Hu's gang snapped to attention. In broad daylight, with excellent visibility, someone soon spotted Luo Ren's group and gave chase, shouting. Bang! The sound of a makeshift gun. Tiny lead pellets sprayed out, covering a wide area. Fortunately, the shotgun's range was short, and they missed Luo Ren's group. Luo Ren glanced back and saw over 30 soldiers with makeshift guns closing in. He urged urgently. Luo Ren and Luo Shan retreated while fighting back. Relying on their superior weapons, they managed to wound and kill several soldiers armed with crude rifles. Yet more enemies immediately gave chase, forcing them to quicken their pace. Suddenly, a large number of soldiers emerged ahead, blocking their path. Seeing the dire situation, Luo Ren handed a submachine gun to Qi Jun. "Point the muzzle at those bastards, release the safety, and pull the trigger." "Got it." At this moment, every extra hand meant added strength. Qi Jun's wife, frail and exhausted, could barely run, let alone endure the recoil of a firearm. As for the little girl, she had likely never even handled a toy gun. Thus, only Qi Jun could bolster their fighting capability. Qi Jun glanced at Luo Ren, took the submachine gun, and immediately switched to a combination of burst and single shots. His accuracy and technique surpassed Luo Ren's and even excelled Luo Shan's. Luo Ren's mouth fell open in astonishment. Qi Jun shot him a look and explained, "I used to be a..." Luo Ren's sudden realization dispelled his sense of inadequacy. He had thought himself too inept, but it turned out the other man was simply skilled. Luo Shan handled the enemies from behind, while Luo Ren and Qi Jun jointly engaged those ahead. Despite being outnumbered tenfold, their combined firepower managed to gain a slight advantage, preventing the enemy from advancing a single step. Yet it was merely a deterrent. Unlike zombies, these soldiers knew how to dodge and seek cover. Often emptying an entire magazine only resulted in 2 or 3 casualties, far from the ease of a shooting game. If this continued, their ammunition would eventually run out, leaving them like fish on a chopping block. Damn it! Luo Ren cursed, tearing a grenade from his chest, pulling the pin and hurling it. The enemy soldiers, curious about the flying object, crowded around to inspect it. But when they recognized it as a grenade, sheer terror seized them. Boom! The blast wave and shrapnel instantly incapacitated 5 or 6 of Wang Hu's soldiers. The rest, gripped by fear, retreated dozens of meters to maintain a safe distance from Luo Ren's group. No sooner had the grenade's explosion subsided than gunfire erupted at the village entrance, even more intense than the current skirmish. A shrill whistle pierced the entire village. The soldiers, locked in a stalemate with Luo Ren's group, turned pale and abandoned the siege, rushing to reinforce the entrance. Luo Shan, sensitive to the sound of gunfire, said, "It must be Luo Erba and the others attacking the entrance. They're buying us a chance to escape." Luo Ren urged, "Quick, seize the opportunity. We need to retreat now." The 5 of them fled at full speed. Along the way, Luo Ren saw the mother carrying her daughter far too slowly. He snatched the little girl Xin into his arms and ordered Luo Shan to carry the mother on his back as they sprinted toward the broken fence. Soon they reached it. Luo Ren and Luo Shan covered the rear as Xingxin's family slipped out first, then the 2 men swiftly followed. Outside the fence, Luo Ren cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted toward the entrance, "We're safe. Retreat." The next moment, the gunfire at the entrance ceased, followed by 2 massive explosions. Luo Ren saw debris flying and dust billowing. He waved his hand and said, "Retreat." The 4 of them withdrew, soon rendezvousing with the guard squad and fleeing the area swiftly. Yet the enemy had no intention of letting them go. Hundreds of Wang Hu's soldiers pursued relentlessly. Even after covering several hundred meters, the enemy continued their dogged chase, determined to annihilate them. Luo Ren looked around and spotted a hill ahead with a single narrow path winding from its base to the summit. The terrain on either side was treacherous and unclimbable, and atop the hill, faint outlines of human structures were visible. Luo Shan returned to the base and summoned reinforcements. "The rest of you follow me up the hill." Luo Shan obeyed, splitting off and fleeing in another direction, while Luo Ren led the others toward the solitary hill path. Among the pursuers, some noticed Luo Shan veering off alone, but none gave chase. The group of over a dozen was far more enticing, especially with women among them. Luo Ren and his party of over a dozen climbed the stone steps to the hilltop, where they indeed found a building, a nunnery. Seeing the enemy closing in, Luo Ren ordered the guards to hold the only path, striking down any who dared approach. After several soldiers fell, none of Wang Hu's men dared to be the first to charge, and a stalemate ensued. "Brother, I never expected you to be so fierce. Every shot hits its mark." Luo Ren took a sip of water and handed the canteen to Qi Jun. Qi Jun didn't drink himself, but first gave it to his daughter and wife. After they drank, he took a sip and returned it to Luo Ren, saying, "I served in the special forces. Luckily, I was on leave during the disaster, so I could protect my wife and daughter. But my father..." His eyes reddened again. Luo Ren patted Qi Jun's shoulder and consoled him, "My condolences." Qi Jun waved his hand and, leading his wife and daughter, pushed open the nunnery's gate and entered. Below the hill, hundreds had gathered, completely blocking the descending path. A military green off-road vehicle roared from the direction of Muzhong village, trailing a cloud of dust. The vehicle stopped and a man stepped out. Small eyes, a small mouth, a bulbous nose, prominent ears, and a face bruised and swollen. It was Lang Tu, the same arrogant man who had been brutally beaten by Luo Ren earlier. Lang Tu trotted to the left rear door and respectfully opened it. All soldiers turned their gaze. From the vehicle descended a man 1.8 meters tall, burly, clad in a short-sleeved shirt with a tattoo of a closed-eyed guangong on his arm, a cigarette dangling from his lips. "Hail the Tiger King." Everyone knelt on one knee and shouted in unison. Wang Hu, relishing the spectacle, nodded slightly. "Rise, all of you." He strode to the front of the troops, took the offered binoculars, and peered up the hill. "Just a dozen people. What's there to fear? A mass charge, and they'll be overwhelmed. No. Reporting to the Tiger King, the only path up the hill is this narrow one. We can't launch a mass assault, and they have excellent firearms. Every brother who goes up dies." After hearing the report, Lang 2 related to Wang Hu. Useless. Can't even handle such a trivial matter. Since you can't go up, why not set a fire and force them down? Wang Hu, enraged, cursed while blurting out his plan. Well, at this season the air is humid and the hill isn't densely forested. To set the entire hill ablaze would require a massive amount of fuel. Our gasoline reserves. Lang Tu cautiously watched Wang Hu's expression, his voice trailing off. This won't do, that won't do. What will a? Wang Hu tossed the binoculars to Lang Tu and climbed back into the off. Lang Tu raised the binoculars and scanned the hilltop. His eyes landed on a face he would never forget. Clenching his teeth, he hissed, Luo Ren. Then a surge of elation washed over him. He dashed to Wang Hu's side and exclaimed excitedly, Tiger King, guess who I saw? Luo Ren, the master of Red Brick City-based Luo Ren. Are you certain? Wang Hu grabbed Lang Tu by the collar. Absolutely certain. That Luo Ren is on the hill, Lang Tu affirmed. Wang Hu sneered. Truly, he takes the path to heaven but refuses it and forces his way into hell. Do you have a good plan to capture Luo Ren alive? Lang Tu's eyes darted rapidly, and soon an idea struck him. Got it. We neither set fire nor launch a direct assault. Just one word: besiege. Starve them until their food runs out, and they'll collapse on their own. Excellent idea. Wang Hu's eyes lit up, and he immediately ordered, all troops listen up. From now on, everyone eats, drinks, and sleeps here. Well, starve Luo Ren to death. As the sun set behind the western mountains, a beautiful evening glow painted the sky. At the foot of the mountain, wisps of cooking smoke curled upward as the soldiers actually lit fires, set up pots, and began to cook. Luo Ren frowned at the sight. It seems these bastards plan to trap us here on the mountain. After pondering for a while, he could not come up with a good plan and could only wait for Luo Shan to bring reinforcements to rescue them. Seeing that the enemy had no intention of retreating, Luo Ren ordered the guard soldiers to implement a shift system to prevent a night raid. They were divided into groups of 3, taking turns on watch. This operation had lacked experience, resulting in their encirclement. Fortunately, there was a nunnery providing shelter from the wind and rain and a place to sleep. Entering the nunnery, Luo Ren looked around in surprise. It was not overgrown with weeds and covered in fallen leaves as he had imagined. Instead, it was remarkably clean and tidy, as if someone had swept it. He glanced at Qi Jun's family. Did you do a big cleanup? Qi Jun shook his head. It was this clean when we came in. Is that so? Luo Ren raised an eyebrow and lifted his gun. If it was like this when they entered, something was off. No one lived here, yet it could not possibly be this pristine. He swept his gaze over the Buddha hall, seeing everything clearly. No one was there. Then his eyes moved past the hall to a corner of a building visible behind it, likely the nuns' living quarters. They are just nuns guarding the temple, people of faith, no threat to us. As a special forces soldier, Qi Jun could see what Luo Ren saw, but he simply did not want to disturb the nuns. You only know if someone is good or bad when you meet them. Saying they are no threat is just your subjective assumption. If they attack us while we sleep, there won't be a chance to regret it. Luo Ren retorted. In the current world, maintaining vigilance was essential. Luo Ren knew that Qi Jun was a kind-hearted person. Though battered by a series of betrayals, kindness remained his nature, and that nature would make him tread on thin ice in this collapsed order. If Luo Ren had not possessed the base system and experienced the shock of human evil, perhaps, when Qi Jun had rescued him, seeing this family of 3, the 2 adults weak from hunger and armed only with a fruit knife, their fate might have been tragic. Qi Jun had no words to refute Luo Ren and could only watch as he and several guard soldiers advanced step by step toward the living quarters. Luo Ren's eyes scanned the area, and when he reached the 3rd room, he examined it carefully, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Before this room's door were several clear footprints, obviously made not long ago. Such a lack of attention to detail likely meant it was a nun which relieved him. What combat capability could a few young nuns have? He strode forward, waited a moment, then shoved the door open. Creak! As the door swung open, he looked inside, and at that moment a whistling sound of air being cut reached his ears. A staff came swinging, striking his arm, with great force, knocking the gun from his hand. Then a figure flashed, and Luo Ren found his neck locked by someone. He glanced sideways and saw a bald nun. Seeing their commander captured, the guard soldiers raised their guns in confrontation. One shouted, "Release the commander immediately, or I'll shoot." "Great master. Please, let me breathe." Luo Ren struggled to speak in a hoarse voice, barely able to breathe. The nun surprisingly obeyed, loosening her grip slightly. Luo Ren gasped for air, recovering just in time. A few seconds slower, and he might have suffocated. "Don't come any closer, or I'll choke him to death." The nun held Luo Ren's neck with one hand and pointed a long staff at the guard soldiers with the other. "Master, we are not bad people. There are men at the foot of the mountain trying to kill us, so we borrowed your sacred place to take shelter temporarily. I saw no one in the front, so I thought the back rooms would be empty too. We just wanted a place to sleep. We truly have no ill intentions." Luo Ren babbled, frantically desperate not to die at a nun's hands. Do you need a gun to find a place to... The nun who had shaved off her worldly worries was sharp and did not fall for Luo Ren's story, shattering his lies with a single sentence. When deception failed, Luo Ren instinctively thought of breaking free by force, but the nun's hand clamped around his neck like a vice stronger than a man's. He had no choice but to give up. His eyes darted, and he came up with another idea. Feeling two soft spots on his back, he knew what they were, so he deliberately twisted his upper body and moaned seductively. So big, so soft, so comfortable. The nun's face flushed slightly, but she did not let go. She snorted, "Don't try that on me. Before I became a nun, I could take on 3 at once." Oh my God! This shocking revelation nearly made Luo Ren spit out blood. This woman was too fierce. 1 against 3. It made him go weak in the knees. Jing Hui released this benefactor. Suddenly the door of the first room opened, and an elderly nun in her 60s or 70s walked out. The old nun had a kind face like a bodhisattva, clearly a virtuous master. Nun Jing Hui, hearing this, exclaimed, "Master." The old nun pressed her palms together and chanted Amit Ba. The young nun Jing Hui was very reluctant, hesitated for a long time, but respecting her master's command, she finally let go. She could not understand why her master had told her to do this. Could these men possibly be good people? In her mind, in this current world, there were no good people left, and most importantly, these were men, because men. She stood there in despair, waiting for the tragic outcome to follow. Luo Ren dashed forward a few steps to put distance between himself and the young nun Jing Hui. Turning back, he finally got a clear look at the nun who had held him, big eyes, double eyelids, wheat-colored skin. Even in her monk's robe, she could not hide her superb figure, exuding an heroic spirit, like a female warrior from ancient times. In short, this woman was quite attractive, but Luo Ren's mind kept echoing, "I could take on 3 at once." It left him with an indescribable feeling. Such a fine person, why learn to fight in gangs? Sigh. Lower your guns. He ordered the guard soldiers, then walked up to the old nun, awkwardly pressed his palms together, and said, "Thank you, master." Jing Hui was surprised. This man had not ordered her tied up, but instead thanked her master. This did not match her impression of men. In her impression, men were all greedy, lustful, lazy, and did everything except the right things. "Benefactor, you are too kind. I heard your voice and felt you were not a wicked person. Seeing your face confirmed it, so I deemed you not evil. If you need a place to rest, the last 3 rooms are vacant. Please feel free to stay, benefactors." In truth, the old nun was sweating inwardly. She had let Jing Hui release Luo Ren as a gamble. After all, there were so many guns opposite, and this man was clearly the leader. If something went wrong, not only would Jing Hui die, but everyone in the nunnery would perish. So after listening to Luo Ren's arguments for a while, she felt it was worth taking the risk and came out. Judging by the result, her gamble had paid off. Luo Ren, however, thought to himself, "The old master has a kind face like a bodhisattva, clearly a virtuous monk. Unlike the young nun. 1 against 3. Tisk, what a pity." He pressed his palms together again and bowed. "Thank you very much, master." The old nun also joined her palms and bowed slightly. "You are too kind, benefactor." After Luo Ren discussed with the old nun, the men would stay in the 3 vacant rooms at the back, while Qi Jun's wife and daughter would stay with the nuns. The sun had almost completely set and the sky had darkened. Feeling uneasy, Luo Ren went outside the nunnery and looked down at the bonfires burning at the foot of the mountain. The people had even set up simple tents. He grumbled inwardly, "These people aren't afraid of zombies. Are they planning to stay long?" Returning to the nunnery, everything had been cleared up. The nuns no longer hid and came out of their rooms to chant in the Buddha hall. There was one exception: the young nun Jing Hui did not go to the Buddha hall to chant, but stood guard at its entrance, casting wary glances at him as he entered. Luo Ren stepped forward, not intimidated, and met her gaze directly. After a long moment, he asked curiously, "Hey little nun, you don't look that old. Did you really take on 3 at once?" Jing Hui's cheeks flushed with 2 red spots. She coughed deliberately and said nonchalantly, "Yeah, before I became a nun, I practiced martial arts at a training hall. I was top-notch. 3 boys together couldn't beat me." She then asked innocently, "What did you think?" "So that's the kind of 1 against 3. Luo Ren exclaimed, then awkwardly rubbed his nose. "I thought you meant fighting 3 girls." In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. At the foot of the nunnery's mountain within the camp of Wang Hu's troops, inside Wang Hu's personal tent, he grumbled, "Damn it, it's been 5 days, and I'm bored out of my mind." Wang Hu lounged in his chair, his right arm holding a pistol dangling casually, his face etched with ennui. Suddenly recalling something, he looked at Lang Tu across from him and ordered, "Go fetch those winches later. I need to blow off some steam." Lang Tu, along with 5 other trusted subordinates of Wang Hu, stood opposite him. Upon hearing this, Lang Tu quickly replied, Yes, it'll go right away." Wang Hu twisted his neck, producing cracking sounds, clicked his tongue, and said, "How much food did Luo Ren and his gang bring?" After all these days, they're still damn energetic. Lang Tu flattered, Tiger King, don't worry. Luo Ren and his men must be at their last gasp. A few more days of siege will show results, and then, bang. Before Lang Tu could finish, a massive explosion echoed from outside, the ground trembling. Wang, who sprang up, turned to look at the tent entrance, his face twisted with irritation. He stormed out of the tent cursing, damn it, who the hell set off a blasting cap? Just then a panicked soldier rushed over, knelt before Wang Hu and gasped, reporting, Tiger King, it's not a blasting cap. We're under attack. Wang Hu flew into a rage, brandishing his pistol and shouting, damn it, which blind fool dares to attack me? Go kill them all. But as his words faded, he saw his own soldiers fleeing in terror, and behind them a well-equipped 100-man modern army came into view. Holy crap! Wang Hu's heart jolted with alarm, thinking a professional army had arrived, likely on a bandit suppression mission. Had seen on TV that captured bandit leaders rarely survived. Facing this, he wasted no time. He sprinted to his off-road vehicle, jumped in, and drove off without a care for anyone else. His subordinates were merely expendable tools in his mind. He floored the accelerator and sped away. Nearby soldiers and Lang Tu, who had emerged from the tent, saw this. Someone cursed outright, damn Wang Hu, we risk our lives for you, and you just run. Wang Hu, go to hell. Meanwhile, at the nunnery, Luo Ren was savoring a bowl of porridge with wild vegetables. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion startled him, causing his hand to jerk. The full bowl of porridge spilled onto the ground, wasted entirely. Ignoring the spilled porridge under the gaze of the young nun Jing Hui, he dashed out of the nunnery. Standing at the mountain gate, he looked down and saw Wang Hu's forces being routed by a well-equipped 100-man army led by none other than Luo Shan. Luo Ren trembled with excitement, his face brimming with elation. After a long pause, he exclaimed, finally here. Brothers, descend the mountain. With a rallying cry, Luo Ren led 9 guard soldiers, charging down the mountain, quickly joining forces with Luo Shan. Seeing Luo run unharmed, Luo Shan was even more thrilled. He saluted, Commander. Luo Ren said with slight dissatisfaction, it's been 5 days. Why so late? If not for the nunnery on the mountain with the old nun's rice and the young nun's porridge, I'd have starved. Luo Shan looked apologetic and quickly explained, Commander, I didn't mean to delay. On the way, I encountered a zombie. A massive 1/2 meters tall, incredibly strong with thick fat that bullets couldn't penetrate. Luckily, it was slow. I hid until it left, then returned to base on the 4th day. That wasted several days. Please punish me, Commander. A giant zombie, bulletproof. Luo Ren was astonished. He trusted Luo Shan's words, as guard soldiers never lied to him. He marveled inwardly. Could such zombies exist? Were they evolving or mutating? Recalling many post-apocalyptic novels and Resident Evil-style games, zombies could evolve, some gaining immense strength, others incredible speed, far more formidable than ordinary ones. If true, humanity's plight would be even grimmer. He looked up at Luo Shan, smiled, and said, since that's the case, I can't blame you. Turning toward the village with the army here, there was no need for further plans. Just eliminate Wang Hu. That bastard Wang Hu made me drink porridge and eat wild vegetables for 4 days. I've got no grease in my stomach. Even if for nothing else, I'll destroy him for that. As the saying goes, the east wind blows, war drums beat. With the guard army here, who fears defeat? Luo Ren shouted, target Wang Hu in Muzhong village. Attack. Yes. Over 100 guard soldiers replied in unison. The distance to Muzhong village was short. Led by Luo Ren, the guard army stormed in. The momentarily relieved Wang Hu soldiers panicked, shrill whistles echoing through the village. The guard army advanced, executing those who resisted and knocking out those who surrendered with a rifle, but to the head, as tying them up took too long. Soon the guard army pushed to the village's highest point, where stood a 3-story villa with no other buildings. Luo Ren gazed at it, his eyes burning with killing intent. Squads 1, 2, 3 assault. 3 10-man teams stormed the villa. Soon gunshots, screams, pleas, and sobs intermingled. Then from the 2nd floor balcony, Luo Shan leaned down and called, reporting, Commander, the threat inside is neutralized. Luo Ren entered the villa, noting its lavish interior, carved dragons and phoenixes' antique faces. He remarked, Wang Hu really wanted to be king, but he lacked the skill. Strolling into the living room, the survivors, 5 men and 6 women, were gathered there. Among them was a familiar face, the arrogant, stubborn Lang Tu from that day. Luo Ren approached Lang Tu, grinning. Weren't you pretty cocky? Didn't you want me to kneel and lick your ass? Come on, drop your pants. Lang Tu hung his head, unable to meet Luo Ren's gaze. Without Wang Hu's backing, and knowing no one would avenge him, his arrogance evaporated. Drop them, Luo Ren roared. Lang Tu trembled, frozen. Slap. Luo Ren's palm sent Lang Tu sprawling, his left cheek visibly swelling. Luo Ren's gaze shifted from Lang Tu, scanning the others. Who's Wang Hu? He had never seen Wang Hu and didn't know what he looked like. Who? No, Wang Hu didn't come back. I saw him drive away, said Lang Tu, clutching his swollen cheek. Luo Ren turned back to Lang Tu. Do you know where Wang Hu might have gone? I don't know. Lang Tu stammered. You're pretty docile now, Luo Ren sneered. Then noticing Qi Jun who had come along, he asked, do you think this man deserves to die? Qi Jun ground his teeth. He's committed no fewer evils than Wang Hu. That beast killed my neighbor old Li and kidnapped his daughter, a young girl of barely 10, and abused her to death. A life for a life, a debt for a debt. The world may be in chaos, but today it'll uphold justice. Luo Ren told Qi Jun, go gather the surviving villagers. Tell them it's time for revenge, an eye for an eye. They'll go right away. Qi Jun was overjoyed. He was a kind man, but kindness had limits. The atrocities of these people didn't deserve his mercy. He had longed to see them punished. The bound Wang Hu men in the villa were terrified, to even wet themselves in fear. Within half an hour, Qi Jun gathered the surviving villagers who had suffered under Wang Hu and his men, roughly over 2,000 people. Most looked gaunt and starving. Luo Ren had the 5 men, 6 women, and captured Wang Hu soldiers brought before the crowd and announced, these people are yours to judge. Kill those you deem deserving of death, spare those you think can be reformed. The 2,000-plus villagers, seeing their oppressors disarmed and beaten, felt a blaze of hatred ignite. Their eyes burned with murderous intent. Even a cornered rabbit will bite. With such a chance for revenge, they wouldn't let it slip. The enraged mob surged forward. They grabbed stones, planks, whatever was at hand, and struck with all their might, even using fists to pummel vital points. The ferocity made even Luo Ren shiver involuntarily. Indeed, never incite public wrath. After tens of minutes, the 5 men had their heads crushed, brains spilling everywhere. Lang Tu was reduced to an unrecognizable pulp. The nearly 200 captured Wang Hu soldiers also received the villagers' warm hospitality. Only a dozen were spared. As for the 6 women, no one laid a hand on them. Then an elderly man with graying hair around 60 stepped forward. Pointing at one of the women, he said nervously to Luo Ren, Commander, that's my daughter. Wang Hu forced her here as she's done nothing wrong. Luo Ren nodded slightly and waved his hand. Go on. The old man beamed, rushed to his daughter, and they embraced, weeping. Soon several others came forward, identifying the remaining women as their mother's daughters or wives, all victims of Wang Hu's persecution. Luo Ren was glad to let them reunite. Such scenes warmed his heart. Those who deserve death are dead, and those who should be freed are released. Now listen to me for a moment, Luo Ren said. Over 2,000 people instantly fell silent, their gazes fixed on him, awaiting the words of their savior. Luo Ren swept his eyes across the crowd of over 2,000 and asked, do you know why I went to such lengths to eliminate Wang Hu? The multitude shook their heads in unison, indicating their ignorance. Luo Ren continued, Wang Hu coveted my resources and sent Lang Tu to provoke me openly. That's one reason. He paused, then added, another reason is for all of you. During my investigation in the village, I witnessed your suffering at the hands of Wang Hu and his men. It pained me deeply. That bastard Wang Hu is nothing but a beast. His deeds warrant 1,000 cuts, a slow death by a dull blade, and every one of the 10 great tortures of the Qing dynasty inflicted upon him. None would be excessive. Wang Hu has fled now, but rest assured I will not let him go. The zombies outside won't spare him either. I hope he isn't devoured by them before I get my hands on him. Alas, Luo Ren sighed, his tone shifting from fury to solemnity. He beat his chest and stamped his feet, alternating between indignation, grief, and fervor as he declared, in this vast world calamity has descended, order has crumbled, and the mortal realm has become a purgatory. Faced with such a situation, I cannot stand idly by. I swear here and now that I will restore order and bring everything back to its original state. Luo Ren said bitterly, but this is no easy task, nor can I accomplish it alone. I need your help. His eyes and voice were utterly sincere. People under order, come back to the base with me. There your labor will yield fair rewards. Abide by the rules, and you will receive the base's protection. Moreover, if you have ability and prove it, you may even become a manager at the base, working alongside me to uphold its order. I know we've only just met and you don't know my character or whether my words are trustworthy. But you can ask Qi Jun. After spending several days with me, he should have some understanding of who I am. Under the spell of such passionate rhetoric and the allure of a grand promise, many felt a yearning for the base. Labor yields rewards, rules ensure safety. Did such a place still exist in this world? If it did, it would be nothing short of paradise. Yet a few wary and shrewd individuals seasoned by life's trials harbored doubts about Luo Ren's words. They turned their gaze to Qi Jun. If it did, it would be nothing short of paradise. Yet a few wary and shrewd individuals seasoned by life's trials harbored doubts about Luo Ren's words. They turned their gaze, sensing their eyes upon him. Qi Jun glanced at Luo Ren and said, I can vouch for Commander Luo's character. Back then my family of 3 had gone hungry for days. As a former Special Forces soldier I could endure it, but my wife was already frail and my 5-year-old daughter XNXIN even more so. Even under those circumstances, Commander Luo was willing to take us along in our escape and share his own food with us. With such integrity, I believe every word he says. Hearing Qi Jun's testimony, those shrewd individuals now placed 7/10 of their trust in Luo. As for the remaining 3/10, they doubted his claim that ability alone could earn one a managerial role at the base. Whether before or after the apocalypse, such a statement smacked of empty promises, a grand Pinefesky fantasy. In truth, they had no real choice. To venture alone into this zombie-infested world without the base meant facing dangers too obvious to ignore. Going to the base at least offered a chance at survival. Thus, with 7/10 of trust, they one by one expressed their willingness to join. Having successfully rallied the villagers, Luo Ren ordered a return to the base. He couldn't bear to stay a moment longer in this godforsaken place devoid of everything. These over 2,000 people were gaunt and starving, their malnutrition evident. They urgently needed to reach the base for food, lest they die of hunger and render his efforts futile. And so, with the Guardian army at the lead, the grand procession of over 2,000 villagers set off toward the nunnery. Was not far from the village. Qi Jun's wife and daughter along with the nuns were still there and needed to be retrieved. Thus, Luo Ren chose to take a detour to the nunnery first. Before long, they spotted the hill where the nunnery stood. In the distance, many figures milled about at the foot of the hill. Luo Ren immediately ordered the group to halt. He raised his binoculars and his heart tightened. Those moving figures were not living people, but zombies feasting on the corpses of Wang Hu's fallen soldiers. He hastily looked up at the nunnery on the hill. Thankfully, the zombies hadn't detected the living up there. He breathed a sigh of relief and silently analyzed. The smell of blood from the bodies must have attracted them. Luo Hai lead a squad to escort the villagers back a distance. The rest of you stay with me to eliminate these zombies, Luo Ren commanded. Luo Hai acknowledged the order, selected a 10-man squad, and guided the villagers to retreat. The movement of thousands of people was far too conspicuous, and despite their caution, the zombies ahead caught wind of the noise. Hundreds of zombies ceased their feasting, turning in unison toward the sound. Then Luo Ren heard low growls as the horde, brandishing claws and fangs, charged at them. Luo Ren shouted urgently, "Prepare for battle. Open fire at optimal range. Don't let them get near the main force." At that moment, there was no other option but to fight head-on. Fortunately, the zombie count was only a few hundred, so it wasn't insurmountable. 99 Guardian Army soldiers plus Luo Ren formed a 100-strong line in 3 rows, the first prone, the second crouching, and the third standing. They created a defensive barrier, and as the zombies entered optimal range, pulled their triggers in unison. Rat-a-tat-tat. 100 gun muzzles spat tongues of flame. Bullets poured out like a deluge, and the charging zombies fell row after row. The front ranks mowed down the rear ones pressing forward. Within minutes, several hundred zombies were mostly eliminated. It seemed an easy victory. But just then, thump, thump, thump. A sound like heavy objects crashing from great heights echoed the ground, trembling beneath them. Luo Shan's pupils contracted as he spotted a familiar colossal figure and shouted, "It's a giant zombie." Luo Ren and the other Guardian soldiers also saw the behemoth. It was a hideous, terrifying creature standing over 2 meters tall. Unlike ordinary zombies, it wasn't emaciated but covered in thick layers of fat. Yet the fat wasn't flabby. It didn't jiggle like that of an obese person with every step. Instead, it seemed a hybrid between muscle and fat. Every step of the giant zombie landed like a sledgehammer, making the ground quake. As the giant zombie charged, Luo Ren ordered 20 soldiers to fire at it simultaneously. But countless bullets struck its body without penetrating the thick fat layer or slowing its advance. It was like a humanoid tank, unstoppable. The giant zombie loomed larger in Luo Ren's vision, on the verge of collision. "Commander, watch out." Luo Shan shoved Luo Ren aside, narrowly dodging the creature's charge. Despite its formidable defense, the giant zombie lacked agility. After missing its target, it couldn't stop and slammed straight into a tree as thick as a bowl. With a crack, the tree snapped in half. The sight sent a chill down Luo Ren's spine. If that had hit him, he'd be dead or gravely injured. Luo Shan said urgently, "Commander, this is the same zombie I encountered on my way back to the base. It's incredibly strong, can flip a car with its bare hands. That thick fat is natural bulletproof armor." Luo Ren took a deep breath and quickly ordered, "Everyone spread out. Don't cluster together." The Guardian soldiers dispersed, forming groups of 3 or 4, shooting at both the ordinary zombies and the giant one. But this scattered fire was far less effective than concentrated force. The remaining zombies surged forward, and within minutes 2 Guardian soldiers were bitten. Seeing the mounting injuries, Luo Ren asked anxiously, "Can grenades take down that big one?" Luo Shan blew a zombie's head off and replied, "Grenades rely on shrapnel for damage. They can't penetrate the giant zombie's fat shield. Unless what?" Luo Ren pressed, frustrated by the hesitation at such a critical moment. Luo Shan said, "Unless the grenade explodes right next to the giant zombie." unless the grenade can explode right against the zombie. The meaning of this sentence wasn't hard to grasp. Luo Ren only needed a moment's thought to conceive a method of making the grenade detonate in direct contact with the zombie. It was simple, a human bomb. In essence, a living person would take a grenade and charge at the colossal zombie, ensuring the grenade would be pressed against its body when it exploded. Luo Ren's gaze swept across the faces of the Guardian Army soldiers around him. Though they were androids, they appeared indistinguishable from ordinary humans. He could be ruthless toward enemies, but these soldiers were his own comrades, those who had faced life and death by his side. He was deeply conflicted, struggling to reach a decision. Yet if this behemoth wasn't neutralized, the casualties would. After a fierce internal struggle, he finally gritted his teeth and made a resolve. "I'll kill you, you beast." But before he could issue the order, a Guardian soldier roared and charged at the colossal zombie, without hesitation, wrapping his arms around it and pulling the pin on the grenade hanging from his chest. Boom! The grenade detonated, shattering the soldier's upper body into large chunks. A massive chunk of fat was blasted from the colossal zombie's belly, black blood splattering, revealing glimpses of its internal organs. Another soldier quickly followed suit, rushing forward and embracing the colossal zombie. Boom! 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 3 grenades on the soldier's combat suit exploded simultaneously, unleashing a violent force that toppled the colossal zombie onto its back. A large hole was blown into its torso, exposing its entrails completely. "Beast, go to hell." A third soldier charged forth with a roar, clutching several grenades whose pins had already been pulled. He hurled them all into the colossal zombie's open belly in one go. A series of explosions followed. Flesh and black blood sprayed everywhere. Even with its thick layers of fat, the colossal zombie couldn't withstand the devastation. Its upper body was utterly obliterated, leaving only shreds of skin connecting it to its lower half. Unable to support itself, it crashed to the ground with a thunderous thud. Luo Ren's eyes reddened as he roared and charged forward furiously, emptying the remaining bullets from his magazine into the colossal zombie's head. Dozens of bullets tore through the air, destroying the zombie's eyes and tearing its flesh. But when they struck the skull, sparks flew, leaving only a few shallow pits. Its hardness rivaled that of steel. With his magazine empty, Luo Ren tore off a grenade, and just as the zombie opened its mouth, he shoved it inside, then quickly scrambled away. Boom! The violent explosion shattered the colossal zombie's head into pieces, sending brain matter flying. At the same time, a milky white thumb-sized crystal shot out and landed right at Luo Ren's feet. Ding! Killed a level 1 evolved zombie. Earned 100,000 points. Level 1 evolved zombie. Luo Ren was puzzled by the system prompt and noticed the milky white crystal on the ground. He bent down to pick it up, examining it closely. What's this? Could it be the colossal zombie's relic? No, relics are treasures left by enlightened monks after their passing. How could such an ugly creature give birth to a relic? Maybe it's a stone. With the colossal zombie eliminated, the pressure on everyone dropped significantly, allowing them to concentrate their firepower on the remaining zombies. In about 2 or 3 minutes, the rest of the zombies were cleared out. This battle had taken a heavy toll on the Guardian Army due to the sudden appearance of the colossal zombie. 17 soldiers had been lost. They hadn't died at the hands of the colossal zombie, but had been bitten by ordinary zombies. Knowing they would soon turn into zombies themselves if they didn't die, they had no choice but to take their own lives. "Bury the fallen," Luo Ren said solemnly, gazing at the departed. That day, 17 graves appeared at the foot of the nunnery. The old nun and her young apprentice chanted sutras for their souls. Luo Ren gathered some wildflowers and placed them before the graves, murmuring, "Thank you." In this apocalypse, death was more common than life, so they moved on. It was time to return to the base. The old nun reluctantly glanced back at the great Buddha in the hall, pressed her palms together, and said, "Amit Ba." Then, without looking back, she followed Luo Ren's group. After about 2 hours, the massive crowd of 2,000 people finally reached the base. By then, the sky had grown. The newcomers were astonished at the sight of the base. A 3-meter-high wall built of red bricks, lights glowing within the city, and no sound of generators. Yet there was light. It was simply incredible. Seeing the residents' faces radiating happiness and contentment, they realized Luo Ren hadn't deceived them. This truly was a paradise in the apocalypse. From afar, they spotted the Guardian Army formation, with Saudi leading all the residents to welcome them. "Long live the commander. The commander is so handsome. Commander, I want to have your babies." The residents were all filled with reverence, cheering for Luo Ren and the Guardian Army. Walking along the path lined with cheering crowds, feeling their admiring gazes, Luo Ren thought to himself, "This feeling is damn amazing. Saudi is getting better at handling things." With 2,000 people entering the city, the base suddenly felt cramped. This wasn't what a paradise should look like. Luo Ren immediately expanded the wall's diameter by 1 kilometer. A red brick wall spanning 1 kilometer in both length and width materialized out of thin air. The 2,000 newcomers were wide-eyed, their mouths agape, as if they could swallow an egg. This was a miracle, nothing less. Their reverence for Luo Ren now equaled that of the earlier residents, and they believed everything he had told them without a shred of doubt. Luo Ren left the task of settling the 2,000 newcomers to Saudi and returned directly to the mobile base. After days of constant tension, he was utterly exhausted and just wanted a good night's sleep. He instructed the guards not to disturb him under any circumstances, took a shower, changed into pajamas, and lay comfortably in bed, sinking into a deep slumber. In his dreams, the base's population had surpassed 10 million, and they possessed everything: planes, artillery, tanks, warships, even aircraft carriers. By then, he had unified the entire world. Ding! Population has exceeded 5000. The base meets upgrade conditions. Please upgrade as soon as possible. Ding! New mission issued: upgrade the base to level 2 and upgrade the level 2 arms factory. Reward 100 million points. The system's abrupt voice jolted Luo Ren awake. Didn't I say no disturbances? How? I can upgrade. Still groggy a moment ago, Luo Ren snapped, fully awake, his excitement and elation causing him to gesticulate wildly. Ha ha ha. I never expected that, waking up to find the population had surpassed 5000. Finally, I can upgrade. Luo Ren rushed out of the mobile base, grabbing a soldier standing guard. How long have I been asleep? The soldier nearly thought he had lost his mind, but seeing the wisdom still gleaming in Luo Ren's eyes, he breathed a sigh of relief. You've been asleep for 2 days? Damn, I slept that long. I must have been really worn out. Sigh. I'm always worrying about the base, day in and day out, exhausted in body and mind. But what can I do? I'm the one chosen by the system. An indescribable expression crossed Luo Ren's face. A mix of helplessness, joy, pride, and a hint of smugness. Without further ado, the priority was upgrading the base to level 2. Gazing at the mobile base, Luo Ren silently commanded, upgrade the base. Ding. Base upgraded to level 2. Level 2 arms factory unlocked. Ding. Base upgraded to level 2. Level 2 city wall unlocked. With the base upgrade complete, Luo Ren immediately upgraded the arms factory. Ding. Arms factory upgraded to level 2. Ding. Mission complete. Earned 100 million points. Unconcerned with the reward of 100 million points, Luo Ren hurriedly checked what the level 2 arms factory could produce. Light machine gun, 5000 points. Sniper rifle, 5000 points. Anti-material sniper rifle, 1000 points. High explosive grenade, 1000 points. Soldier capacity limit increased to 1000. Luo Ren was overjoyed. Being able to produce anti-material sniper rifles meant that facing that colossal zombie, a level 1 evolved zombie, he could take it down with a single shot, no longer needing suicide bombings. With plenty of points to spare, he maxed out the soldier count, equipped each squad with 1 anti-material sniper rifle and 2 light machine guns, and replaced all standard grenades with high explosive ones. Thus, no matter how tough an evolved zombie's hide was, 1 shot would send it to the afterlife. If 1 shot wasn't enough, 2 would do the trick. After sorting out the equipment, the next step was the city wall. He wondered what the level 2 wall would look like. Luo Ren's field of vision expanded as he selected the square wall spanning 1 kilometer in diameter and chose to upgrade. Whoosh! The red brick wall was suddenly enveloped in a dazzling white light. After a long moment, the white light gradually faded. Luo Ren looked at the wall. The original red bricks had vanished, replaced by a sturdier concrete structure reaching 4 meters in height. It was wide enough for 5 people to walk side by side, and the gate had transformed into a large liftable iron door. The dramatic transformation of the wall didn't go unnoticed by the city's residents. Surprisingly, they didn't panic. Instead, they looked toward the central mobile base and smiled knowingly. This must be another miracle from the commander. The next day, after finishing his breakfast, Luo Ren found himself utterly bored. Having fought continuously for several days, he was thoroughly exhausted. He had originally planned to rest for 3 days, but to his dismay, he had slept through 2 of them. A terrible waste. He toyed with a milky white crystal in his hand, which had dropped from the head of an evolved zombie. It felt smooth and warm to the touch, like a bone trinket polished by the hands of many elders. Luo Ren asked, "System, what is this?" Grade 1 evolution crystal obtained after killing a Grade 1 evolved zombie. Its function is to suppress ordinary zombie viruses and enhance human physique. Luo Ren exclaimed with delight, "This can suppress the zombie virus. With the evolution crystal, I won't have to fear being bitten by zombies anymore. And now that I have an anti-material sniper rifle, I can hunt evolved zombies. With enough evolution crystals, when I run out of ammo in battle, I can even engage zombies in close combat." Reminder to host: the evolution crystal only suppresses ordinary zombie viruses and delays the onset of the virus. Depending on individual constitution, this delay can range from 1 to 3 months. After consuming 3 crystals, antibodies will be produced. Further consumption will only enhance physique and will be ineffective against Grade 1 evolved zombie viruses. Luo Ren's excitement was doused like a bucket of cold water by the system. What good was that? It only suppressed the virus, and at most for 3 months. Consuming 2 more after that would only buy a few extra months. Worse still, it was useless against grade 1 evolved zombie viruses, a rather useless function. However, the function of enhancing human physique intrigued him greatly. Luo Ren immediately asked, enhance human physique? To what extent? The effects vary depending on each individual's constitution. Luo Ren felt like rolling his eyes at the system. That was equivalent to saying nothing. He would have to try it himself to find out. Fondling the evolution crystal, Luo Ren finally asked, is there any risk in consuming this? For instance, could it fail? What is the probability of failure? Using the evolution crystal will not result in failure. The process is merely a little painful. Luo Ren let out a sigh of relief looking at the milky white evolution crystal. At least it didn't look as disgusting as a zombie, or he wouldn't have been able to swallow it. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. His saliva erased the memory of it coming from a zombie's head and downed it in one gulp. Contrary to his expectations, it didn't choke him. The moment the evolution crystal entered his mouth, it instantly turned into a liquid that flowed into his stomach, filling him with a warm and comfortable sensation. This isn't painful at all. 1, 2, 3. 3 seconds later, Luo Ren's hands clenched tightly, his face flushed crimson, and veins bulged on his forehead. He forced out a complete sentence word by word. Damn it, this is insane. It really is a tiny bit painful. Following that was his agonizing roar. Hearing the noise, the guard soldiers outside rushed into the mobile base. They saw Luo Ren's face flushed red, his features twisted in pain, his fists clenched so tightly that his nails dug deep into his flesh, drawing blood. A terrifying sight. Don't come near me. I'm fine. Get out, and don't let anyone in. Luo Ren struggled to spit out these 2 sentences as if he had exhausted all his strength. Though flustered, the guard soldiers obeyed orders and returned to their posts, blocking the curious onlookers, including Luo Shan, Luo Hai, other guard soldiers, Saudi, and a small number of nearby base residents. Bang! Luo Ren slammed his fist heavily onto the table, his teeth grinding audibly. The system was too damn cruel. Calling this a little pain was an understatement. It was worse than death. Fortunately, it didn't last long. After about 3 minutes, the pain gradually subsided. Luo Ren's twisted face slowly returned to calm, and his clenched fists gradually relaxed, leaving 4 nail wounds on his palms. Why does it smell so bad? Luo Ren gasped for air when suddenly a foul stench hit him, as if a toilet had leaked. He quickly glanced toward the bathroom. No problem there. So what was it? He raised his hand to wipe the sweat from his forehead, then sniffed his arm. Looking closely, he saw a layer of sticky substance covering his arm, emitting that foul odor. He looked over his body. Not just his arms, but his entire body was covered in this sticky, foul-smelling substance that felt like snot. Oh my! Luo Ren jumped to his feet and rushed into the bathroom. He turned on the water and poured in shampoo, body wash, soap, and essential oils all at once. He didn't stop until a whole bottle of shampoo and body wash were used up and a new bar of soap was reduced to a tiny sliver. He sniffed his arm and said narcissistically, fragrant. This is the scent befitting this commander. In his haste to wash, he hadn't noticed before, but now he realized he had 8-pack abs. The muscles on other parts of his body were also defined. Not the bulky kind from the gym, but the explosive, powerful muscles of a combat athlete. Looking a little lower down his abdomen, Luo Ren's eyes widened in shock. Holy crap. Thighs. Too. Luo Ren stammered in excitement. Not only had his muscles changed, but a certain part had also become particularly majestic, like Zhao Zilong's famed spear. The evolution crystal was truly a blessing for all men. If this had existed before the apocalypse, people would have scrambled to buy it for hundreds of thousands each, since even products with less apparent effects sold remarkably well. And this one guaranteed eternal stamina and never-ending vitality. Luo Ren dried himself, put on clothes, and walked to the mirror. Seeing his reflection, he was stunned again and blurted out 2 uncultured words, holy crap. It was as if he had become a different person. In the mirror, his posture was as straight as a steel spear, his facial features sharply defined, making his already handsome face even more striking. A perfect blend of a pretty boy and a tough guy. In peacetime, walking down the street, he would surely turn heads 100% of the time. Recovering from his surprise, Luo Ren clenched his fist, feeling the explosive power within his muscles. He threw a punch, whoosh. It actually produced a sound of breaking air. He felt that his current physical condition rivaled that of a professional combat athlete. With such a straight posture and handsome face, admiring himself in solitude was boring. He had to go out and show off. Luo Ren stepped out of the mobile base and saw that the area was already crowded with guard soldiers and base residents. When they saw Luo Ren emerge, the noisy crowd fell into dead silence. Is this the commander? Someone asked in disbelief. The dashing aura between his brows still shows it's the commander, but how did he become so handsome? What do you mean? Are you saying the commander wasn't handsome before? Hey, don't twist my words. I meant the commander was handsome before, and now he's even more so. Murmurs of astonishment rippled through the crowd as everyone discussed how the commander's demeanor had suddenly changed. Luo Shan hurried forward as surprised as the others. Commander, is it really you? Nonsense, who else would it be? As he spoke, Luo Ren placed his hand on Luo Shan's shoulder, not controlling his strength. In the past, given Luo Shan's build, he wouldn't have budged. But this time Luo Shan's entire body sank, nearly losing his balance. Luo Ren chuckled wryly, saying, Luo Shan, you've lost your strength. Luo Shan was even more astonished. Not only had his commander's demeanor changed drastically, but his strength had also increased. He couldn't help but say, Commander, it's not that I've lost my strength, it's that you've grown stronger. Luo Ren laughed heartily, having momentarily forgotten that his physical abilities had greatly improved after consuming the evolution crystal. Luo Shan's reminder brought it back to him. Removing his hand from Luo Shan's shoulder, Luo Ren said with a smile, All right, go attend to your own affairs. Don't crowd around here. Luo Shan rolled his shoulder, the soreness fading. Since the commander was fine and seemed even better than before, he had no more worries. He then led the guard away from the area. The other residents also dispersed. Some infatuated young women kept glancing back as they left, their fervent gazes as if they wanted to devour Luo Ren. Among the departing crowd, Luo Ren spotted 3 familiar silhouettes, 2 adults and 1 child, 1 man, 1 woman, and a little girl. It was Qi Jun and his family. Qi Jun, Luo Ren called out, and then hurried after him. Qi Jun stopped at the call, turned around, and smiled at Luo Ren. Commander. His wife also respectfully addressed him as Commander. Only little Xinxin tilted her adorable face, fixed her lively big eyes on him, and called out, Uncle Luo. Huh. Xinxin is such a good girl. You two don't need to be so formal. Just call me Luo Ren. Luo Ren picked up little Xinxin and smiled. That doesn't seem quite right. Qi Jun's wife fidgeted with her fingers, unable to meet Luo Ren's eyes, her heart filled with tension. She had understood Luo Ren's prestige and power here from the very first day. Although Luo Ren wasn't as vicious as Wang, who facing him was still intimidating, and the thought of addressing him so casually was even more daunting. In contrast, Qi Jun was much more relaxed. Having been a special forces soldier, he had spent years in the military. Though discipline was strict, officers and soldiers often mingled casually in daily life. So hearing Luo Ren's words, he felt not nervous but pleasantly surprised. He was surprised that Luo Ren didn't treat him coldly, even though he was no longer of use. Qi Jun chuckled. All right, but calling you by your name directly is still awkward. You're younger than me, so brother Luo doesn't fit. How about I call you little Luo Go? Luo Ren's eyes lit up. Little Luo Go, like little Ma Go. That works. Call me little Luo Go then. Handing little Xinxin back to her mother, Luo Ren said to Qi Jun, Walk with me. I have something to discuss with you. Qi Jun nodded, then told his wife, Take our daughter home first. The two of them walked along the paved concrete road at a leisurely pace. Qi Jun was not much of a talker, so he didn't speak first. Finally, Luo Ren broke the silence. You mentioned you were a special forces soldier, right? Qi Jun nodded. That's correct. Before the apocalypse, I served in the Xia Kingdom's Wolf Special Forces 2nd Squad as the squad leader. Oh, Luo Ren felt a secret thrill. He had struck gold. Not just any special forces soldier, but a squad leader, someone with both exceptional combat skills and strong command abilities. Luo Ren continued, With your skills, I'd like to assign you a task. Qi Jun smiled. You saved my entire family's lives. As long as it doesn't go against my principles, I'll do whatever you say. Luo Ren smiled, too surprised by Qi Jun's immediate agreement. Don't worry, it won't violate your principles. I just want you to help train a few special forces units. It's my duty. Qi Jun suddenly stood at attention and saluted. Seeing his serious expression, Luo Ren laughed from the bottom of his heart. Qi Jun joined in the laughter. At present, the arsenal could produce nearly all firearms except heavy machine guns. Under these circumstances, whether for dealing with evolved zombies or scouting enemy positions, forming several special forces units was essential. Unknowingly, the two had reached the agricultural zone. Seeing the busy figures in the fields, Luo Ren felt a sense of enjoyment. Such scenes allowed him to forget that he was living in an apocalypse. The busy residents greeted Luo Ren as he passed. A man lying by the riverbank quickly got to his feet upon seeing the commander, his face full of respect. Luo Ren nodded at the man, paid him little attention, and walked past him. Suddenly, Commander, be careful. A cry of alarm rang out. Luo Ren turned to see the man pulling out a small knife and lunging at him. With a thud, the blade sank into flesh and was then withdrawn, blood splattering across the man's face. However, the knife had not struck Luo Ren. In the nick of time, Qi Jun had taken the blow for him. Enraged, Luo Ren kicked the man hard in the stomach, the immense force sending him flying 2 meters away. The residents working in the fields rushed over. Luo Ren was their spiritual pillar. Attempting to kill him crossed an unforgivable line. They raised their hose and charged at the man. Get Yuan Yongyuan here quickly, Luo Ren shouted, then immediately turned to Qi Jun asking anxiously, how are you? Qi Jun clutched his wound and managed a weak smile. Don't worry, a wound like this won't kill. Before he could finish, another person swung a half-meter-long blade from behind. Qi Jun shoved Luo Ren aside, grabbing the attacker's wrists to stop the descending blade. Take this. A clear shout rang out as a figure flashed by. The newcomer wielded a hoe like a staff, striking the assailant squarely on the head, sending him crashing to the ground. Hey, is he dead? The young nun Jinghui poked the fallen attacker with her hoe. When he showed no response, she gasped, dropped the hoe, and covered her mouth. I've killed someone. A simple blow from a staff might not have been lethal, but she had used the iron end of the hoe. Luo Ren hurriedly checked on Qi Jun, relieved to find he had not been injured again. Just then, hospital director Yuan Yongyuan arrived with doctors and nurses. Seeing Luo Ren unharmed, he breathed a sigh of relief. Treat him immediately, Luo Ren ordered, then pointed at the two assassins. And do your best to save these two as well. Qi Jun and the assassins were placed on stretchers and taken to the hospital for treatment. Umatba, the elderly nun, also arrived. Jinghui threw herself into her arms, crying, Master, I have broken the precept against killing. The elderly nun who had witnessed the incident patted Jinghui's back and comforted her. Umatba, that man was committing an act of violence first. This does not count as breaking the precept, it was a justified release. Wow. The onlookers couldn't help but give a thumbs up. The old master truly had a way with words, absolutely brilliant. Hearing this, the young nun Jinghui's tears turned to laughter. She stopped crying and murmured, Buddha be merciful. Today I have justly released that man. May the Buddha remember my merit. Everyone was speechless. Rustling footsteps approached as Luo Shan arrived with the guard. They rushed forward, encircling Luo Ren protectively, their eyes scanning everyone present with vigilance. Luo Ren's gaze turned icy. He said to Luo Shan, issue an order to seal the city. Search for the assassins. At the base hospital, Qi Jun's wife, accompanied by their daughter Xinshin, rushed in with a look of anxiety. She grabbed a nurse and asked, which ward is Qi Jun in? Over there. The nurse pointed to Ward 3. Qi Jun's wife hurried into the ward, her eyes instantly welling up at the sight of him. She sat by his bedside and said softly, how are you? Qi Jun smiled as he wiped away his wife's tears, comforting her. It's nothing, just a minor injury. A couple of days rest, and he'll be fine. Shortly after, Luo Ren also arrived at the hospital. The staff were thrilled to see the commander in person. Luo Ren waved dismissively, signaling them not to make a fuss, and casually asked a nurse, which ward is Qi Jun in? The nurse quickly pointed to Ward 3. As Luo Ren passed by, she trembled with excitement and murmured, the commander is so handsome. Luo Ren reached the ward entrance and saw Qi Jun in good spirits, chatting cheerfully with his wife. It seemed he was fine. Not wanting to intrude on the family, he simply instructed Yuan Yongyan, treat Qi Jun well. Don't worry about the cost of medication. Yuan Yongyuan straightened up and replied earnestly, rest assured, Commander. I guarantee Qi Jun will walk out of here fully recovered. Back at the mobile base, Saudi was already waiting at the entrance. As the residential supervisor, Saudi bore responsibility for the lapse in security that led to the assassination attempt on Luo Ren. He was prepared to face punishment. As Luo Ren passed him, he said, come in. Saudi followed, his heart pounding with anxiety, unsure of what Luo Ren would do to him. Luo Ren sat down at his desk and looked at Saudi. You arrived just in time. Saves me the trouble of sending someone to fetch you. Hearing this, Saudi's heart skipped a beat. Seeing Saudi's nervous demeanor, Luo Ren almost chuckled. But as the base's supreme commander, he had to maintain authority. Suppressing his amusement, he said sternly, I'm sure you've heard about the assassination attempt. In this base I was nearly killed. As the supervisor, you've been negligent. Luo Ren's tone was calm, betraying no anger. Yet to Saudi, every word felt like a bomb detonating in his mind. His palms sweated, his Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed nervously. I accept my punishment. Saudi made no excuses, nor did he shirk responsibility. Luo Ren silently commended him. Taking responsibility shows he's a man of talent. However, appreciation aside, mistakes required consequences. If Saudi were let off this time, other managers might see negligence as trivial and fail to give their all in their duties. After a moment of thought, Luo Ren said, this matter could be grave or minor. If I had died, it would be grave. Since I didn't, it's minor. Since I'm still alive, I want strip you of your position. Hey, race your punishment, run 30 laps around the base. Saudi was pleasantly surprised. Such a light penalty. The weight lifted from his heart, and he quickly replied, thank you, Commander. As he reached the door, Luo Ren warned, I hope this leaves a lasting impression. If there's a next time, it won't be. Saudi nodded vigorously, etching Luo Ren's words deep into his mind. He silently resolved to scrutinize every future recruit thoroughly, leaving no stone unturned. Soon news of the assassination attempt spread throughout the base. The guard force searched every corner for the assassin, and residents joined involuntarily to assist. The setting sun painted the sky beautiful yet fleeting as evening arrived. At the mobile base, Luo Shan and hospital director Yuan Yongyuan stood before Luo Ren. Luo Shan reported first, "Commander, we've searched every corner of the base and found no other assassins." Luo Ren nodded and turned to Yuan Yongyuan. "How are the two assassins? Did they die?" Yuan Yongyuan quickly answered, "We saved one. The other died shortly after arriving at the hospital." "Good. Take me to see him." Luo Ren slammed the table and stood up. As long as one was alive, he could find out who wanted him dead. Luo Ren and Yuan Yongyuan arrived at the hospital and went straight to Ward 5. There he saw the assassin from earlier, his body wrapped in bandages, leaving only his nose, mouth, and eyes exposed. Hearing footsteps, the assassin turned his head and saw Luo Ren. Fear instantly filled his eyes. Luo Ren looked at him coldly and said slowly, "Tell me who sent you to kill me, and he'll spare your life." He'll talk. "It was Wang Biao who ordered me to assassinate you." "Spare me, Commander. Wang Biao kidnapped my son. If I didn't come, he would kill my boy. I had no choice." Seeing a chance to live, the assassin spilled everything. Luo Ren was surprised that the man gave in so easily. But who was this Wang Biao? Luo Ren didn't know anyone by that name. Why would someone had never met order his assassination? Puzzled, he asked, "Who is Wang Biao?" The assassin quickly explained, "Wang Biao is Wang He's uncle. After you eliminated Wang Hu, he fled to Wang Biao. Wang Biao sent us to assassinate you for Wang He's sake." Luo Ren suddenly understood. "So that's it." Qi Jun once said Wang Hu had a powerful uncle. I didn't expect him to survive the apocalypse and still wield influence. Truly the wicked live long. "Do everything to heal him," Luo Ren told Yuan Yongyuan. Then clenching his fist, he muttered, "Wang Hu, you deserve death. And Wang Biao, since you want me dead, I won't let this slide." For days passed. The base was no longer as lax as before. 2 armed guards patrolled every street. All metal objects that could be used as weapons were confiscated, screened by the guard force, and selectively returned. New survivors were now required to surrender even the smallest knives. Those unwilling to comply could leave. This showed how deeply the assassination attempt had impacted the base. In those 4 days, the assassin's wounds had healed enough for him to walk with difficulty. On that morning, Luo Ren assembled 500 guards and marched out of the base. Led by the assassin, they headed for Wang Biao's shelter. As the saying goes, vengeance must be swift. The 500 soldiers were all well-equipped, carrying automatic rifles, with each squad also armed with sniper rifles and light machine guns. The assassin was stunned by the display. Wang Biao picked a fight with the wrong man over Wang Hu. The army marched for nearly 4 hours and the sun had already set. Finally, faint lights appeared ahead. The assassin pointed and said, "That's Wang Biao's stronghold." Luo Ren looked through his binoculars. It was a factory covering about an acre, a good shelter with existing walls that needed no extra fortifications. At the main gate, a waist-high sandbag wall was stacked horizontally. A dozen guards had their guns resting on the sandbag wall. Luo Ren looked closer and was shocked to see they were shotguns, modern firearms. He asked in surprise, "Can Wang Biao produce modern guns?" The assassin replied, "The factory Wang Biao occupies does mechanical processing, but with no power they can only make simple single-shot homemade guns." Also, he once looted a police station, getting dozens of guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Luo Ren sneered coldly. Wang Biao's audacity to send an assassin likely came from those guns and bullets. This time he would show him how fragile that courage truly was. Suddenly a piercing alarm blared. The factory had spotted the guard force. Hundreds of guns were simultaneously mounted on the walls, their muzzles aimed at the soldiers. The piercing shrill alarm transformed the once tranquil factory into a fully armed fortress within seconds. Luo Ren turned to Luo Shan and said, "Give me the sniper rifle." Taking the sniper rifle Luo Shan handed over, he poked half his body out of the car's sunroof and mounted the weapon on the roof. The sniper rifle boasted an effective firing range far exceeding that of ordinary rifles. Luo Ren planned to take a few shots first, eliminate some enemies, and boost his team's morale. Through the scope, he aimed at a factory soldier lying on a sandbag. In the crosshairs, the man yawned lazily, showing no signs of facing a war. Bang! The dark muzzle spat a dazzling tongue of flame. The bullet was fired instantly, striking the sandbag wall, sending yellow sand flying. The shot missed, but it startled the factory soldiers, who promptly hid behind sandbags or walls, acting with extreme caution. Damn! Luo Ren cursed under his breath. He should have let Luo Shan handle it. Now, not only had he missed, but he had also alerted the enemy. Since that was the case, there was no point in holding back. It was time to launch a fierce assault with overwhelming. Under Luo Ren's orders, the snipers took their positions, ready to shoot anyone who dared to poke their head out. Then under the snipers' cover, the machine gunners advanced to effective firing range, set up light machine guns for suppression, while the remaining soldiers advanced in an orderly fashion. The battle erupted. The Guardian Army's overwhelming firepower kept the enemy pinned down, allowing the soldiers armed with automatic rifles to advance smoothly. Inside the factory, Wang Biao, hearing the dense gunfire outside, was in a foul mood. He paced back and forth anxiously. Wang, who stood frozen to the side, his head bowed, not daring to speak. Wang Biao, dizzy with rage, pointed at Wang Hu's nose and berated him. Didn't you say that Luo Ren only had 100 men? What's happening now? Even a fool can see the enemy has at least 400, and they have machine guns too. You. Wang, who being scolded, hung his head even lower. He too couldn't fathom how Luo Ren had suddenly gained so many men along with numerous machine guns and sniper rifles. Had he raided a military district? I warned you before to keep a low profile. Not only did you ignore me, but you grew even more arrogant. Do you know that once you nearly got me dismissed because of your actions? And now at this critical moment you still lie to me, causing me to send assassins after Luo Ren. Now look, he's come knocking. We're as good as dead. Wang Biao collapsed onto the sofa, gazing wearily at the ceiling. A few minutes later, a knock came at the door. Wang Biao said weakly, "Come in." "Master Wang, Vice City Lord Ma from Paradise City has arrived," a factory soldier reported, scurrying before Wang Biao. Wang Biao looked toward the door, his heart leaping with joy. The fatigue on his face vanished as he quickly rose to greet the visitor. "Vice City Lord Ma, you finally come. Please save me." A tall, thin, middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes walked in under Wang Biao's welcome. He wore round black-rimmed glasses and had his hair parted in the middle, giving him the look of a refined scoundrel. Seeing Wang Biao's anxious face, he remained unhurried, a smile on his lips. "There's no rush to save you. Is what your messenger said true?" Wang Biao, seeing his demeanor, grew even more anxious and quickly said, "It's all true, every word. As long as Paradise City saves me, not only will the factory be yours, but I and all my men will also join Paradise City, ready to obey Lord Long's commands." Vice City Lord Ma's lips curled into a slight smile. He adjusted his black-rimmed glasses and said, "Very well, please follow me." Wang Biao and Wang Hu followed Vice City Lord Ma outside the factory, where a black Hummer awaited them. Two fully armed soldiers sat in the back seat. Vice City Lord Ma pointed to the space between them. "Master Wang, please." Wang Biao understood Vice City Lord Ma's intention. He was afraid of being double-crossed and wanted to keep him under control. But to survive, he didn't care. Without hesitation, he quickly climbed into the Hummer. Wang Hu watched intently, but remained silent. After finishing this, Vice City Lord Ma took Wang Hu to the highest point of the factory, where they could clearly see the factory forces and the enemy locked in fierce combat. He picked up a large megaphone and shouted down, "I am Ma Hua of Paradise City. Ceasefire immediately." Luo Ren was puzzled. Who was this guy demanding a ceasefire as if he had the authority? Was he mad? Still, he was curious about the identity of this man claiming to be from Paradise City and what Paradise City was. He raised his hand, signaling a temporary ceasefire. The gunfire died down. Ma Hua, smugly believing the name of Paradise City had done the trick, cleared his throat and was about to speak again when he suddenly choked. He turned to look at Wang Hu behind him. "What was that man's name again?" Wang Hu replied, "Luo Ren." Ma Hua nodded and then continued, "Luo Ren is it. From now on, Wang Biao and the factory belong to my Paradise City. They'll give you 3 minutes to withdraw your troops. If you refuse, Paradise City will fight you to the death." Luo Ren turned to the assassin and asked, "Is this Paradise City formidable? How many troops do they have? How do their weapons compare to the Guardian Army?" The assassin replied, "Sir, Paradise City has 5,000 troops, and their weapons are similar to Wang Biao's. They're far inferior to the Guardian Army." Hearing this, Luo Ren's temper flared. 5,000 men. If they dared to come, his 1,000 Guardian soldiers would ensure none of them returned alive. Luo Ren adjusted his sniper scope to aim at Ma Hua and muttered, "You dare threaten me? They'll kill you." Ma Hua, brimming with confidence, was waiting for Luo Ren's retreat when a gunshot rang out. The megaphone in his hand exploded, startling him so much that he threw himself to the ground. Luo Ren muttered, "Missed again." The battle resumed. Under the Guardian Army's intense firepower, the situation remained the same. The factory forces were completely suppressed, only occasionally returning fire. However, due to the wall, they held a favorable position, making it difficult to break through quickly. Faced with this situation, Luo Ren immediately ordered the deployment of anti-material sniper rifles. Instead of aiming at people, they aimed directly at the sandbag barricades at the factory entrance and pulled the triggers. Thump! Though it was a gun, the sound was like a cannon. The 12.7mm bullet was fired, hitting the sandbag wall. The scene was akin to an explosion. The bullet pierced through the sandbag wall, blowing a bullseyed hole in the chest of the factory soldier hiding behind it. The onlookers were stunned, their scalps tingling. Then thump, thump, thump. The sound that was like a demon's whisper to the factory forces rang out repeatedly. Over a dozen anti-material sniper rifles fired simultaneously. The scene could only be described as gruesome. The sandbag walls were blasted through. Those behind them had their arms severed if hit, legs shattered, and those struck in the chest or head died instantly. The concrete walls were harder but couldn't withstand multiple shots. The enemy soldiers lost all will to resist. This was no longer a battle, it was a one-sided slaughter. At this moment, Ma Hua, seeing the dire situation, quickly jumped into the Hummer and fled through the factory's south gate. Wang Hu also found a car and followed. With Wang Biao and Wang Hu fleeing, the morale of the factory forces crumbled instantly, leaving them with only three choices: escape or surrender. If they chose to flee, the few vehicles with fuel had already been seized by the factory's high-ranking officials. For these ordinary soldiers, relying solely on their legs to escape was not only uncertain in speed, but encountering a horde of zombies along the way would spell certain death. They had joined the factory merely to eat their fill and survive. Thus, surrender became their last hope for survival, even if that hope was shrouded in uncertainty. Luo Ren was somewhat surprised. Why had the enemy suddenly ceased resistance? Could it be a trap? But as he watched soldiers emerging from the factory one after another, voluntarily discarding their weapons and raising their hands high, he immediately understood. This was a surrender. Wang Biao does have some self-awareness. Luo Ren immediately ordered the confiscation of weapons and the occupation of the factory. Where are Wang Biao and Wang Hu? Upon entering the factory, Luo Ren's first priority was to find the uncle-nephew duo Wang Biao and Wang Hu. Although Wang Biao had sent assassins after him, if he hadn't committed heinous crimes, his voluntary surrender might earn him a spared life. As for Wang Hu, he must die. The first factory soldier to surrender immediately replied, reporting to the esteemed commander, Wang Biao and Wang Hu have fled. Luo Ren frowned. They had fled. He had thought Wang Biao was wise enough to surrender willingly, but it turned out the highest leader had abandoned his men and run, plunging the soldiers into despair and shattering their morale, leading them to surrender. Luo Ren demanded, which way did they flee? The factory soldier pointed south. They left through the south gate, likely heading to Paradise City with Ma Hua. Paradise City. Luo Ren stroked his chin. Paradise City had 5,000 soldiers while he had only 500 guards. After the battle with the factory forces, nearly half their ammunition was spent. If he pursued, who knew if Paradise City had laid an ambush? Thus it was better not to chase a cornered foe. Moreover, it was deep into the night, and after a fierce battle the soldiers were inevitably exhausted in both bodies, so the immediate priority was to station themselves in the factory. As for the matter of Paradise City, they would decide after returning to the base tomorrow. Luo Ren ordered the soldiers to eat some field rations to replenish their strength, and then reinforce the defensive fortifications at the factory gate. He himself went to the factory floor where assembly lines came into view. Due to the lack of electricity, all these lines had been shut down except for 2 crude lines at the far end, still running on 2 diesel generators. At that moment, over 30 people were still working. Upon seeing the sudden influx of heavily armed, unfamiliar soldiers, they fell to their knees with a thud, their bodies trembling uncontrollably from fear. Luo Ren looked at the assembly lines. The 2 lines produced firearms and ammunition respectively. Who designed these 2 assembly lines? He asked. The workers, trembling, pointed to the man on the far right. This man, around 50 years old, was unshaven, with a receding hairline and wore thick glasses, likely with 1,000 degrees of myopia. Luo Ren studied the man and asked, "Did you design this?" The man knelt, trembling violently, unable to speak for a moment. "You 2 help him up." Luo Ren instructed 2 soldiers to lift the man. He then walked up to him, looking him straight in the eye, and said, "I'm asking you, did you design these 2 assembly lines?" "Yes. Yes, I did." The man stammered, his tongue seemingly tied. Luo Ren was delighted. This man could design firearms and ammunition, meaning he had some skill and could be of use to the base. Luo Ren planned to establish an ammunition production line. On the surface, this might seem redundant for someone with ample points to exchange for unlimited bullets. However, that was not the case, because only he could exchange for ammunition. If a massive zombie siege or an enemy attack occurred while he was away from the base and ammunition ran out, the people in the city would be left to die. Thus, it was essential to set up an ammunition production line. As for firearms, they could be set aside for now. Firearms were like fire and ammunition like smoke, and the fire must be firmly controlled in Luo Ren's hands. Seeing the man's terrified state, it would be difficult to extract any useful information now. It was better to let them calm down first. "Go get them some food," Luo Ren commanded. These people were technical talents. They looked emaciated, clearly having suffered from hunger. They must not be allowed to starve to death, or it would be a great loss. Report. Just then a guard soldier rushed in. Normally the guard soldiers wouldn't come to him unless something major happened. So Luo Ren quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "A large number of zombies have been spotted near the south gate of the factory. Preliminary observations suggest the number could be over 10,000. 10,000 zombies. They must have been attracted by the earlier battle." Luo Ren frowned and immediately ordered, "Prepare for battle. Leave 100 men at the north gate. The rest reinforce the south gate." The guard troops were highly disciplined. Soon they were ready for combat. Luo Ren also arrived at the south gate looking out to see a dense swarm of zombies charging rapidly toward the factory, among them several massive ones. Evolved zombies. Snipers take position. Eliminate those evolved zombies. With anti-material sniper rifles, evolved zombies were no longer a threat. They only needed to be taken out from a distance to neutralize the danger. Moreover, the evolved zombies' massive bodies made them easy targets. If not for the shadow of 2 previous missed shots, Luo Ren would have been tempted to take the shot himself. The snipers took position, their night vision scopes locking onto the grotesque heads of the evolved zombies. They pulled the triggers. Bang! Bang! The muzzles flashed and bullets tore through the air, streaking like threads of fire. The heads of the struck evolved zombies were blown apart by the bullets, killing them instantly. Compared to the suicidal detonation under the nunnery, this was far too easy. After the evolved zombies were eliminated, the ordinary zombies soon entered the range of the light machine guns. The south gate erupted with gunfire, the flashes illuminating the night. Wave after wave of zombies surged forward, most mowed down by the machine guns. Those that broke through the machine gun fire then entered the effective range of the automatic rifles, where they were picked off by precise shots. Gunfire also erupted at the north gate, but quickly died down, suggesting the attacking zombies there were fewer. A hail of bullets rained down and rows of zombies were successively killed, none able to breach the guard's defensive line. Luo Ren looked relaxed, thinking there was no major issue. But suddenly a dark shadow shot out from the zombie horde, moving at an incredible speed, faster than any sprinter. It easily broke through the light machine gun fire and nimbly dodged the automatic rifle shots. Whoosh! The shadow leaped 2 meters high, clearing the guards and entering the factory. It landed on all fours. Luo Ren looked closely and saw it was a zombie. Crunch! The zombie pounced on the nearest guard with blinding speed and bit through his neck. Bang! Luo Ren drew his pistol and fired 2 shots at the zombie, but it dodged them with agility. Its pale eyeballs swiveled wildly, then its head twisted a full 180 degrees before it lunged again. Crunch! Another guard soldier had his neck bitten through. The zombie then lunged at another guard. Luo Ren shouted, "Hold it tight." Knowing he was doomed, the guard soldier, upon hearing the command, wrapped his arms around the zombie tightly. As after biting through the soldier's neck, the zombie tried to lunge at the next person, but the dead soldier held it fast, and no matter how it struggled, it couldn't break free. Bang! 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 Luo Ren aimed his pistol at the zombie's head and fired 3 shots, blowing its head apart. As the head exploded, a milky white evolution crystal fell out. Is this also an evolved zombie? Luo Ren picked up the evolution crystal and examined it closely. It was milky white, warm to the touch like mutton fat jade. Yes, it was exactly the same as the one that had fallen from the giant zombie's head. This was indeed an evolution crystal. It seemed that evolved zombies were not limited to the strength defense type like the giant zombie. There were also speed types. Compared to strength type zombies, these speed type ones were more difficult to deal with. But now was not the time to worry about that. A massive horde of zombies was still attacking wave after wave. Luo Ren immediately threw himself back into the battle, continuing to command the guard forces. The sound of gunfire was incessant. After about half an hour having killed the last zombie, this wave of the zombie tide was finally repelled. Fortunately, there wasn't another speed type evolved zombie, or tonight might have ended in disaster. After waiting for over 10 minutes with no further zombie attacks, Luo Ren immediately led a squad of guard soldiers out of the city in a vehicle. The strength type evolved zombies all had evolution crystals in their heads. These were valuable items and could not be wasted. Hey! Pushing aside the corpse of a zombie, a milky white evolution crystal was revealed. Luo Ren happily stuffed it into his pocket. The other guard soldiers quickly found evolution crystals as well. Ugh! Luo Ren stretched his back. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Suddenly, it was the sound of footsteps, and very orderly, not like the chaotic steps of zombies. Judging by the sound, they were about 3 or 4 li away. Alarmed, Luo Ren quickly returned to the factory. Back at the factory, he could still hear the footsteps, and they were rapidly approaching. How much ammunition do we have left? Luo Ren asked. Reporting, sir, we have less than 1/10 of our ammunition left. Less than 1/10. Judging by the footsteps, there are probably 2,000 to 3,000 people on the other side. Retreat. Luo Ren ordered the retreat without hesitation. The defense against the zombie tide had consumed a massive amount of ammunition. Facing an attack of 2,000 to 3,000 people now, they would surely be defeated. But leaving like this was hard to accept. He ordered the assembly line workers to be taken along with 2 machine tools. Then he looked at the 2 production lines. Blow them up. As for the prisoners, they could fend for themselves. After doing this, Luo Ren led his troops in a swift retreat from the north gate. Humans arrived less than 20 minutes after the zombie tide. This is too much of a coincidence. Could the zombie tide have been lured here by those people? But who are those people? Sitting in the vehicle, Luo Ren analyzed and pondered. At that moment, a name surfaced in his mind: Paradise City. Luring zombies to attack the factory to exhaust our ammunition, then sending in their troops. What a brilliant scheme. But why did Paradise City come all this way? To avenge Wang Biao? That's absolutely impossible. The only thing worth their effort is the factory's 2 production lines. Humph. But you'll be disappointed. The production lines are gone. Furthermore, I've taken the engineers and the machine tools. Once we're back at the base, I can immediately assemble a new production line. Thinking this, Luo Ren's mood instantly lightened. At the factory, over 2,000 soldiers from Paradise City arrived in full force, led by Ma Hua. They trampled over the corpses of zombies, meeting no resistance, and entered the factory smoothly. Ma Hua had already guessed that Luo Ren had retreated. Alarmed, he rushed into the workshop. Seeing the 2 production lines completely destroyed, he flew into a violent. Fuming, he went to the place where the factory soldiers were held captive. His gaze swept coldly over all the bound factory soldiers. He pointed his pistol at one of them and fired several shots in succession, turning the man into a sieve. Why couldn't you bastards have held out a little longer? Now the most important production lines were destroyed, and he had no idea how he was going to report back. As the sky began to lighten, a city wall a kilometer long came into view. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief. They had finally returned. Getting out of the vehicle, Luo Ren looked at his ride, a modified off-road vehicle, and sighed. If only we had enough fuel, we could use all those vehicles out there and wouldn't have to march on foot. Also brought back to the base were the workers who produced guns and ammunition. Through questioning, he learned that the person who had designed the assembly line was named Ji Hang, originally the chief technical engineer at that factory. Luo Ren looked at Ji Hang, who was showing signs of a midlife crisis, and said, "Ji Hang, right?" Ji Hang was nervous and scared, trembling as he replied, "Yes, sir." Luo Ren asked, "Do you have a stutter?" Ji Hang was extremely tense. "3 don't have a stutter." Luo Ren rubbed his chin, looking at him doubtfully. If this wasn't a stutter, then what was it? It was a stutter of epic proportions. Ji Hang quickly explained, I'm just nervous. Scared. Oh, the effort it took to speak. It was agonizing for Luo Ren to listen. 3. Slap. He slammed his hand on the table, feeling a bit frustrated. Now he was starting to stutter himself. He paused to calm down before continuing. I'm not going to kill you, so why are you nervous? Why are you scared? Hurry up and drink some water to calm down. If you stutter again, it'll cut out your tongue. Hearing this, Ji Hang was terrified. He gulped down a big mouthful of cold water, then worked his mouth muscles and finally took a deep breath, sinking his qi into his dantian. Luo Ren watched him from the side. This whole routine was quite professional. An onlooker might have thought he was about to launch into a tongue twister. Sir, I'm fine now. Luo Ren involuntarily leaned back, slightly staring at Ji Hang in astonishment. This was a completely different person. Not only was his tongue untied, but his voice had become booming, comparable to a professional broadcaster. Tap, 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 tap. Luo Ren drummed his fingers on the table. For a moment, he forgot what he was going to say. It took a while before he remembered. Well, Ji Hang, rest assured, I didn't bring you to the base to strip you naked and behead you as a warning. I value your skills. I want you to build a bullet production line for the base. No problem. Ji Hang was overjoyed. This was his area of expertise. His voice instantly became even louder and his breath more steady. All right, enough. I asked you to design a production line, not to be a radio announcer. Luo Ren frowned slightly, finding the man insufferable. Couldn't he just speak normally? Ji Hang couldn't switch back immediately. Yes, sir. I will speak properly, yo. Hiss. Luo Ren sucked in a cold breath, his fists clenching secretly. He really wanted to punch this guy? Shat. Shat, who was waiting outside, heard Luo Ren call him and quickly trotted in. Sir. Luo Ren pointed at Ji Hang. Find him a place to stay and then pick a spot to build a factory. Yes, sir. Shat turned to Ji Hang and smiled. What should I call you? Ji Hang. Shat was stunned by the booming voice and couldn't help but look at Luo Ren, his eyes asking what's wrong with this guy. Luo Ren waved his hand, telling him to take the man away quickly. After Shat left, Luo Shan came in. Reporting, sir, we lost a total of 16 men in this operation. Luo Ren nodded. Through the system, he had already known the number of casualties. Several of those 16 had died in the zombie tide. And as for this zombie tide, he was almost certain it was the work of Paradise City. There were no other factions capable of it. Tell Chi Jun to hurry up and train the Sharp Arrow Special Forces. I want to see just what kind of demon this so-called Paradise City really is. A cold, sharp light flickered in Luo Ren's eyes. Since they were enemies, they should be prepared to be annihilated. It was the same for Wang Biao, and so it would be for Paradise City. At the base training ground, Chi Jun stood as straight as a sheathed sword, his sharpness concealed within. After nearly half a month of recuperation, his once sallow complexion had turned ruddy, his muscles had bulked up, and his entire being radiated vigor and vitality. Before him, 15 carefully selected guard soldiers were engaged in a weighted long-distance run, each carrying 30 kilograms. They completed the 5 kilometers in under 22 minutes. For an ordinary, untrained person, simply walking a few hundred meters with such a load would be a struggle, let alone a long run, a testament to the soldiers' exceptional physique. Qi Jun nodded, finding the results barely satisfactory, and pondered whether to intensify the training. Qi Jun. A familiar voice came from behind. Turning, he saw Luo Ren. Continue with the obstacle course, Qi Jun ordered before walking over to Luo Ren with a smile. Brother Luo. Luo Ren asked eagerly, how's the progress? Qi Jun flipped open his logbook and reviewed the records. Their physical fitness is fine. Next we focus on combat skills. What's the shortest time to train them? Luo Ren was somewhat impatient, eager to send these men to scout Paradise City. He wondered if upgrading the base to level 3 would allow production of special forces, which would make this arduous training unnecessary. However, the conditions for upgrading to level 3 were indeed challenging, requiring a population of 50. Despite daily rescue missions, they had barely gathered 10,000 people. The gap to 50,000 was vast, and at this rate it would take at least half a year to reach the goal. Qi Jun deliberated for a long while before cautiously replying, the shortest. 3 to 4 months. Training had only begun 5 days ago, and achieving physical fitness standards was only possible because the guard soldiers were bioengineered humans with naturally excellent physiques. Becoming a qualified special forces operative required far more time. 3 to 4 months was the absolute limit he could compress. Standard special forces training involved 3 months of basic training, 3 months of physical conditioning, 6 months of various skill training, and 6 months of specialized combat training. An 18-month process to turn a robust, intelligent young civilian into a quasi-special forces fighter. These 15 guard soldiers already possessed the physique familiarity with standard firearms and some combat skills, allowing the timeline to be shortened to 4 months or even 3. Even then, they would only be quasi-special forces. Becoming elite would require at least another 3 months. 3 months. Luo Ren felt a pang of disappointment. This far exceeded his expectations. But there was no help for it. Unlike system production, which could be done in under an hour, achieving goals through training always demanded more time. Sensing Luo Ren's dejection, Qi Jun said helplessly, this is already fast. Luo Ren waved a hand. I understand. Continue your training. With that, he left the training ground. Returning to the mobile base, Luo Ren took out 6 evolution crystals. If all else failed, he could consume the crystals himself to enhance his physical abilities and personally scout Paradise City. He just didn't know how much 6 crystals would strengthen him. Taking a deep breath, he stopped overthinking and swallowed 1 crystal. As always, it dissolved, instantly flowing into his abdomen. Agony erupted in every cell of his body. Unlike the first time, he was prepared, and his previous enhancement had greatly increased his pain tolerance, so he didn't cry out. After 3 minutes, the pain subsided. Without hesitation, Luo Ren swallowed another, and the agony returned. A third, a fourth, a fifth. In less than 20 minutes, only 1 evolution crystal. Taking another deep breath, Luo Ren swallowed the last crystal. By now, he felt no pain. Not due to numbness, but because the power of the first 5 crystals had elevated his physique to an extraordinary level, vastly increasing his tolerance. The 6th crystal's effect lasted only a minute, possibly because Luo Ren's body had accelerated its energy. Exhaling a turbid breath, Luo Ren slowly opened his eyes and immediately detected a foul stench, just like last time. In a flash, he was in the bathroom faster than the speed-type evolved zombie had encountered at the factory. After washing up and changing clothes, he appeared before the mirror in another blur. This time his aura hadn't changed much. Perhaps he had reached the peak of handsomeness. Clenching his fists, he felt brimming with power. He looked at his desk and effortlessly lifted the 70+ kilogram piece of furniture with just his little finger. This strength surpassed even that of a strength-type evolved zombie. Excited, Luo Ren rushed out of the base and stood before the formidable high city wall. The guard soldiers on duty watched him staring at the wall and wondered, what is the commander up to? Just then, Luo Ren took a deep breath, bent his knees, and engaged his leg muscles. With a loud bang, the force shattered the concrete ground into a web of cracks. Luo Ren leaped into the air, soaring far above 4 meters, leaving the guards dumbfounded. Oh no, too high. With a thud, he cleared the wall and landed outside the city. Without planning his landing, he crashed onto the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. The stunned guards quickly recovered, flung open the gate, and rushed toward him. If the commander had died from the fall, it would have been quite the spectacle. As the dust settled, Luo Ren's upright figure emerged. He waved at the soldiers, signaling he was fine, and strode past them into the base. The soldiers looked at the landing site, 2 circular depressions, and then at Luo Ren, whose pants bore fresh mud. They didn't need to guess his landing posture, but none dared to laugh. As he walked, base residents greeted him, but upon noticing the fresh mud on his backside, they wondered if the commander had gone on a picnic outside the city. Of course, they didn't dare to say or remind him. Just then, Qi Jun's wife passed by with little Xin. Spotting the mud on Luo Ren's pants, the girl called out in her clear voice, "Uncle Luo, you've got so much mud on your butt." Luo Ren's steps faltered, and with a whoosh he vanished from everyone's sight like a gust of wind. Wow, The commander runs faster than a rabbit. Exactly. Head win gold at the Olympics. Gold. Head break the world record. Luo Ren dashed into the mobile base, covering his face with his hands. It's over, it's over. All the authority I worked so hard to build gone. A knock came at the door. Who is it? Luo Ren called out. It's me, Commander. Sat. Hang on. Luo Ren changed into clean pants, sat at his desk, and said, come in. Sat entered and said, Commander, I heard you fell. Are you all right? Luo Ren's expression stiffened. Is that what you came to say? Sat shook his head frantically. No, Commander, that's not it. During today's registration, a man claiming to be Ma Hua, the Deputy City Lord of Paradise City, said he wants to see you. Ma Hua from Paradise City. A glint of sharp light flashed across Luo Ren's eyes. He hadn't even sent anyone to investigate Paradise City, yet it had taken the initiative to send someone to him. And it was Ma Hua no less. Where is he? Luo Ren asked urgently. Sha Te's expression turned somewhat awkward. He arrived early this morning. I was busy at the time, so I left him in my office to have some tea. Under Sha Te's guidance, they arrived at his office. Through the window, Luo Ren saw Ma Hua's face dark and menacing and faintly heard, Under Sha Te's guidance, they arrived at his office. Through the window, Luo Ren saw Ma Hua's face dark and menacing and faintly heard, damn, it stood me up. Huh. Luo Ren barely stifled a laugh. He patted Sha Te on the shoulder and said, well done. Creak. Ma Hua's fury was nearing its peak. Hearing the door open and seeing Luo Ren enter, his rage erupted. He slammed the table and stood up, bellowing. Luo Ren, is this your way of treating a guest? You hold Paradise City in such contempt. Do you have any idea how many troops we command? 5,000. Believe me, you'll march my army here and annihilate you. Luo Ren, noticing that Ma Hua bore no bruises or limps and seemed perfectly fine, looked at Sha Te with confusion and asked, didn't I tell you to offer him tea? Sha Te muttered, this time tea means just tea, not the warm welcome treatment. Luo Ren stared at him speechlessly and sighed, I was just praising you. All right, you may leave. He'll talk to him. Sha Te withdrew, leaving only Luo Ren and Ma Hua in the office. Ma Hua, enraged by Luo Ren's blatant disregard as he conversed with his subordinate, turned crimson and panted heavily. Had he not feared cutting his hand, the ceramic teacup would have been crushed in his grip. Luo Ren looked at him, noting his state, and remarked, well, horse face. I mean, Ma Hua. What's the matter? Who got you so worked up? Tell me, and he'll be sure to reward them handsomely. You. Ma Hua was about to explode with fury. He hurled the teacup at Luo Ren, but after 7 body enhancements, Luo Ren perceived the motion as slow motion and caught the cup with ease. This is a fine piece of porcelain. What a shame to break it. Yet as he spoke, Luo Ren crushed the cup in his hand, letting the porcelain powder slip through his fingers while he smiled at Ma Hua. Ma Hua was stunned. Crushing a teacup to powder with bare hands required immense strength. He forcibly suppressed his rage, his expression gradually calming. He sat back on the sofa, crossing his legs. Commander Luo Ren, I've now experienced your hospitality. Luo Ren perched half on the desk, pointing at the idle Sha Te outside the window. Actually, he forgot. Don't worry, I'll make sure to reward him properly. Uffed. Ma Hua spat out the tea he had just sipped and shot to his feet in fury. Calm down. This man is too dangerous, best to tread carefully. Ma Hua muttered to himself before slowly sitting back down. Luo Ren, immensely pleased, teased, Envoy Ma, you don't mind if I call you that, do you? No objection. Good, then it's settled. Before Ma Hua could voice his opinion, Luo Ren continued. You know, I actually preferred you that day at the factory with your megaphone looking down on everyone from on high. Ma Hua took deep breaths, convincing himself to stay calm. Commander Luo Ren, I didn't come here to banter. I've reported the factory incident to our city lord. In his magnanimity, and to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, he sent me to negotiate. If you accept our terms, Paradise City and your base can coexist peacefully. Luo Ren countered. And if I refuse? A cold glint flashed in Ma Hua's eyes. If you refuse, the city lord will personally lead 5,000 troops to raze your base to the ground. Luo Ren felt disdain, but kept his face neutral. What are the terms? First, return Ji Hang and the other workers you took from the factory along with the 2 CNC machines. Second, compensate our losses with 10,000 rounds of ammunition and 100 grenades. Agree to these terms, Commander Luo Ren, and Paradise City and your base will coexist peacefully, perhaps even prosper together. As Ma Hua spoke, he studied Luo Ren's expression, but Luo Ren's face remained unchanged, leaving him 10,000 rounds, 100 grenades. Luo Ren stroked his chin, then looked at Ma Hua. How about 100,000 rounds and 1,000 grenades? 100,000 rounds and 1,000 grenades. Commander Luo Ren agrees. Ma Hua's joy surged. This mission had not only succeeded, but yielded unexpected gains. However, Luo Ren's next words shattered his elation. Give me 100,000 rounds, 1,000 grenades, 30,000 people, and Wang Hu and Wang Biao. Meet these conditions, and we'll have peace from now on. You? Ma Hua could no longer contain his fury. He slammed his hands on the table. You've thoroughly offended Paradise City. When I report back to the city, Lord, 5,000 troops will descend and obliterate your base. With that, he stormed toward the door, but Luo Ren blocked his path. Ma Hua's heart jolted, though he forced composure. What, Commander Luo Ren, you won't let me leave? Luo Ren smiled. As the saying goes, one does not behead an envoy in times of war. Ma Hua exhaled in relief and moved to leave, but Luo Ren still barred the way. But that's an ancient saying, and I'm a modern man. Hearing this, Ma Hua stumbled back several steps to put distance between them, staring at Luo Ren in terror. His gun had been confiscated upon entering the city, and Luo Ren could kill him with ease. Haha. Seeing Ma Hua's state, Luo Ren's eyes brimmed with contempt. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I need you to deliver a message to your city lord. But first I'll show you something. Luo Ren stepped out and gestured for Ma Hua to follow a command Ma Hua dared not disobey. Soon Luo Ren led Ma Hua to the training ground where a squad of the guard force was drilling. Boom. The thunderous roar of an anti-material sniper rifle made Ma Hua flinch. Then came the rattle of light machine guns and rifle fire, an arsenal of every conceivable weapon. Luo Ren smiled. I have 100 such squads. As his words faded, Luo Shan led 900 guardsmen in perfect formation. Uniform steps, upright postures, each radiating vitality and a killing intent that unnerved Ma Hua. Is this a professional army? Neither their equipment nor their soldier quality can be matched by Paradise City's force. Paradise City relies on numerical superiority, but 1,000 against 5,000 isn't a huge advantage. Highly trained soldiers can compensate, and with superior weaponry the guard force would prevail. Ma Hua was stunned. If he hadn't witnessed this, he would have thought Luo Ren a reckless fool. Now he knew he was gravely mistaken. Luo Ren's arrogance toward Paradise City stemmed from genuine strength. Luo Ren sneered. So, Ambassador Ma, are my terms acceptable now? Ma Hua clenched his fist within his sleeve, a barely perceptible glint in his eyes. I will faithfully report your terms, Commander Luo Ren. Luo Ren smiled. Not mockingly, but genuinely. This was the power of strength. Without his 1,000-strong guard force and superior arms, Ma Hua would have been far more arrogant. He had initially considered conquering Paradise City through war, but now he changed his mind. As the ancients wisely said, subduing the enemy without fighting is the supreme strategy. Ma Hua did not leave that very day. Instead, he requested Luo Ren to allow him to stay in the base for a few more days, claiming he wished to thoroughly tour the facility. In theory, after being intimidated by such formidable military might, Ma Hua should not dare to stir up trouble or engage in any underhanded maneuvers. Luo Ren thus granted his request, and even had Sha Te arrange an extraordinarily luxurious room with a view of the latrine. Though Luo Ren believed Ma Hua lacked the audacity to cause trouble, he nonetheless instructed Sha Te to deploy personnel for surveillance, just in case. Thus, over the course of 2 days, Ma Hua roamed through the residential and agricultural zones of the base. As for the industrial and military zones, highly classified areas, even ordinary base residents were not permitted to visit them, let alone an outsider like him. Late at night in Sha Te's office, a dark silhouette flashed past the window, startling Sha Te. Could it be that I've run into a ghost? After all, since a biochemical catastrophe had truly occurred, encountering a ghost was not entirely implausible. Creak. The office door slowly swung open. Sha Te's hair stood on end, his Adam's apple bobbed, and cold sweat beaded on his forehead, a clear sign of extreme tension. He fixed his gaze on the door while cautiously inching toward the window, then slowly pushed it open. If it truly were a ghost, he would execute a swan dive, or failing that, a sliding tackle. The door opened a third of the way, and a foot clad in a white shoe slowly extended inward. Rustle, rustle. At the same time, a sudden gust of wind stirred the potted plants on the windowsill. Faced with such a horrifying scene, Sha Te could not help but let out a terrified scream. He immediately leaped from the window in a swan dive, but the height was insufficient, and his foot caught on the sill, causing him to land face first on the ground with a thud. Luo Ren stepped into the office just in time to witness this scene, utterly bewildered. Was Sha Te practicing? It seemed necessary to build a swimming pool in the base. Look how desperate the kid was, mistaking the windowsill for a diving platform and the concrete floor for a pool. The landing posture looked rather painful. Hey, are you dead? Luo Ren called out, leaning over the windowsill. Hearing this, Sha Te turned his head, saw it was Luo Ren, and breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, it's you, Commander. I'm fine. He scrambled to his feet, wiped away his nosebleed, and shook his dazed head. Next time he would just go for a sliding tackle. A few more swan dives like that, and he would become a ghost himself without ever encountering one. Luo Ren sat down in the office chair, watching Sha Te enter with a disheveled face. He tossed him a pack of wet wipes. Clean yourself up. Thank you, Commander. Sha Te caught the wipes, quickly tidied himself up, and once his groggy mind cleared, asked, Commander, is there something you need so late at night? Something so late at night? You don't seem very welcoming. Luo Ren toyed with a pen, detecting a hint of resentment in Shate's tone. Shate hastily explained, "How could that be? I am always ready to receive you, Commander. It's just, could you please not appear and disappear so mysteriously, creating a horror movie atmosphere? My face can't take much more of this." Recalling the earlier scene, Luo Ren covered his mouth to stifle a laugh and nodded. "That was hasty of me. Let's get down to business. I came mainly to find out what Ma Hua has been up to at the base these past few days." Shate replied, "All that. Commander, you didn't have to come yourself. I was planning to report to you tomorrow." Over the past 2 days, Ma Hua has toured the entire residential and agricultural zones. Apart from one contact with Li Jiao, he has done nothing else. Who is Li Jiao? The base had too many residents, so Luo Ren could only remember a few. The name Li Jiao rang no bells. Li Jiao was among the first to join the base. Since he is a first-class chef, I assigned him to manage the cafeteria. He usually handles the meals for the guard force, and even your daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner are personally cooked by him. Shate answered without hesitation, remembering clearly every person he had appointed. Managing the cafeteria? Luo Ren stroked his chin, lost in thought, then looked at Shate. "All right, I'll return your chair to you. I'm off." Just as Luo Ren lifted his foot, he thought of something else. "By the way, where does this Li Jiao live?" Li Jiao's residence is in Residential Zone 1, Building 3, 5th floor. Shate replied after a moment's thought. Having obtained Li Jiao's location, Luo Ren shot out of the window with a whoosh, vanishing into the night as a dart. The commander is indeed the commander. His jumping ability and speed are truly beyond my comparison, Shate remarked with admiration. Leaving Shate's office, Luo Ren did not return to the mobile base. Instead, he went near the luxurious single room arranged for Ma Hua and found an ideal spot that offered a perfect view of Ma Hua's room. The so-called luxurious single room was a small bungalow about the size of a public restroom inside. In fact, it was originally built as 2 public toilets, but Chao Mu abandoned the idea after contemplating its impact on feng shui. However, he did not demolish them, they were left unused. Now they served perfectly to host the honored angel guest Ma Hua. Luo Ren focused intently on his observation when he suddenly caught a whiff of a foul odor. Glancing sideways, he exclaimed inwardly. It was right next to the public toilet. He had completely forgotten about the room with a view of the latrine. Thus Luo Ren kept watch for about 10 minutes. Seeing no movement from Ma Hua, who seemed to have already fallen asleep, he could no longer endure the stench. His head felt dizzy from the fumes, and if he stayed any longer he would surely pass out. Tossing and turning in his thoughts, Luo Ren then arrived at the residence of Li Jiao, the cafeteria manager. Standing in the hallway, he could already hear Li Jiao's thunderous snoring. This could practically be considered a noise nuisance. Luo Ren muttered. Bang, bang, bang. Luo Ren knocked on Li Jiao's door for nearly a minute, but the snoring inside completely drowned out the knocking. Li Jiao was sleeping like a log. Seeing that knocking would not wake him, Luo Ren had no choice but to go around to the back of the building. Gazing up at Li Jiao's apartment on the 5th floor, about 15 meters high, he quickly found handholds and climbed to the balcony of Li Jiao's apartment in a matter of seconds. Fortunately, the man did not bother to close the balcony door when he slept. Luo Ren entered the room and lit a candle. Although the mobile base had its own power supply, the electricity was limited and was only provided to essential facilities. The residential zone lacked such amenities, so nighttime lighting relied on either candles or kerosene lamps. At that moment, the entire room was filled with Li Jiao's pig-like snoring. Luo Ren walked to the master bedroom door, found it unlocked, and entered directly. He immediately saw Li Jiao lying on the bed like a dead pig. A big face and a thick neck, either a tycoon or a cook. Luo Ren breathed into his palm and delivered a sharp slap to Li Jiao's buttocks. Slap. With the crisp sound, the snoring abruptly ceased. Li Jiao jolted awake. Just as he opened his mouth wide to let out a blood-curdling scream, Luo Ren shoved his own sock into his mouth. It's me. Don't yell. Recognizing the visitor by the candlelight as the commander himself, Li Jiao was so startled that he leaped straight out of bed. With the sock stuffed in his mouth, he could only produce muffled sounds. The two moved to the living room. Luo Ren sat down on the sofa, fixing his gaze on Li Jiao. Li Jiao stood there stiffly, extremely nervous, wondering why the commander had come to see him at this hour and had slapped his buttocks so hard they were swollen. Could it be that his pilfering of food from the cafeteria had been discovered? At this thought, Li Jiao dropped to his knees with a thud and cried out, "Commander, I know I was wrong. I really was just too hungry, so I stole food from the cafeteria. Please forgive me this once. I won't dare do it again." As he spoke, Li Jiao stole a glance at Luo Ren. Seeing Luo Ren's calm expression and silence, he was startled again, thinking, not this matter. Could it be about Lien and me? At this thought, he grew even more anxious and quickly explained, I. Commander, I'll confess. That day Lien and I did a little romantic thing when the cafeteria was empty. But we are true love. Luo Ren watched him calmly, but his inner thoughts were quite lively. This guy is quite something. not only stealing food but also getting romantic in the cafeteria and calling it true love. He was not a 3-year-old child, so he naturally understood what Li Jiu meant by romantic. However, that was not the purpose of his visit tonight, and he would not bother with such trivial matters. He would leave them to Shate. Luo Ren stroked his chin, his expression indifferent. I understand the situation. Be more careful next time. As for your romantic activities with that Lien, avoid public places in the future. It creates a bad impression. Regarding the food theft, as long as you perform your duties well, speak to Shate and have your daily food rations doubled. So you were unaware of the secret indulgences and romantic affairs, Commander. Li Jiu was startled at first, but then a wave of delight washed over him as he mused. Haha, but the commander truly has a magnanimous heart. Not only does he not reproach me for these matters, but he has even doubled my rations. From now on I shall dedicate myself wholeheartedly and never let him down. Thank you, Commander. Your breadth of spirit is as vast as the ocean as. Li Jiu faltered at a loss for words. Yet with a sudden flash of wit and a roll of his eyes he conjured a peculiar compliment, as grand as a bull's kidney, as brimming with vitality as braised pork. Enough. Luo Ren swiftly cut him off, fearing that if he let the man continue he himself would be likened to a feast of 100 dishes. He got straight to the point. Li Jiu, I came today to confirm. Have you had any contact with Ma Hua in the past couple of days? Ma Hua. Li Jiu pondered for a moment before recollection dawned. Commander, you mean that envoy from Paradise City, don't you? He did approach me on his own. He said that if I desired wealth and glory, I should seek him out in the dead of night after everyone had fallen asleep. Oh, and did you go to him? A sharp glint flickered in Luo Ren's eyes as he leaned back on the sofa, draping his arms over its back. No, I couldn't be bothered. What wealth and glory? I'm doing just fine in the base. I don't want any of his riches. Besides, Li Jiu said, casting an ingratiating look at Luo Ren, with such a benevolent commander as you, it's a blessing I've earned over 8 lifetimes. I wouldn't dream of leaving. Luo Ren raised an eyebrow. This fellow sure has a way with words. He promptly agreed. Your rations will be tripled. Really? Haha, thank you, Commander, thank you. Li Jiu was overjoyed. With triple the food, not only could he eat his fill, but Lien could as well. Returning to the main topic, Luo Ren continued. Do you know why Ma Hua approached you? Li Jiu shook his head vigorously like a rattledrum. No idea. Luo Ren's ears twitched as he scanned the surroundings to ensure no one was eavesdropping. Lowering his voice, he said, this Ma Hua is ostensibly an envoy, but in truth he's a spy sent by Paradise City to sabotage us. His aim is to weaken the base's military strength so that Paradise City's army can breach our defenses. However, I still don't know exactly how Ma Hua plans to cause trouble. So I want you to approach him, willingly uncover his scheme, and report everything to me. Are you willing? Li Jiu was taken aback by this revelation. The thought that Ma Hua was a saboteur enraged him. The base was too precious to be undermined. For the sake of triple rations, he would never allow it. He nodded eagerly. Commander, I'm willing. Luo Ren smiled with satisfaction. Good, I knew I could count on you. Once the mission is complete, your rations will be increased 5-fold. But be careful not to let Ma Hua catch on. He'll take my leave now. Remember, I was never here today. Watching Luo Ren slip out through the window, Li Jiu resolved in his heart to extract Ma Hua's true intentions, for the base, for Lien, and for that 5-fold increase in rations. After leaving Li Jiu's place, Luo Ren proceeded to the residence of Qi Jun and his family of 3. A knock echoed. Who is it? Qi Jun opened the door and, seeing Luo Ren, said, Brother Luo, please come in. Luo Ren wasted no time and cut straight to the chase. I'm here today to give you a task. Over the next few days, keep an eye on Ma Hua. I've already arranged for Li Jiu, the cafeteria manager, to coax information out of Ma Hua. If Li Jiu is wholeheartedly loyal to the base, protect him covertly and assist him. But if he shows signs of betrayal, report to me immediately. Qi Jun nodded. Consider it done. Good'll be off now. Luo Ren patted Qi Jun on the shoulder and departed without delay. The next day at the cafeteria did not serve all base residents, but only the guard forces. The residents received raw ingredients and cooked for themselves. At this hour, the guard forces were in training, leaving the cafeteria empty save for Li Jiu and a team of chefs. Just then Ma Hua entered the cafeteria. Spotting him, Li Jiu dismissed the server at the window and took over himself. Ma Hua smiled and said, "One breakfast, please." Li Jiu quickly prepared a serving and in a voice low enough for only the two of them to hear asked, "Ambassador, Ma, you said last night that if I came to you after everyone was asleep, you'd grant me wealth and glory. Does that offer still stand?" Ma Hua cast a delighted glance at Li Jiu. After waiting in vain all night, he had thought the plan was doomed, only to find a twist today. He gave Li Jiu a subtle nod. Li Jiu smiled and nodded in return. As the night deepened and the base's inhabitants drifted off to sleep, a portly figure crept stealthily into Ma Hua's luxurious private room. Ma Hua had been waiting. Seeing the visitor, a smile crept across his face. "Have a seat." The newcomer was Li Jiu. He sat opposite Ma Hua, his face alight with anticipation. Ambassador Ma, out with it. What wealth and glory. Don't rush. Have some tea first. Ma Hua handed Li Jiao a cup of freshly brewed tea, speaking with a gentle smile. Li Jiao took a small sip and pressed on, tea's been had. Please, Ambassador Ma, speak quickly. If the guard forces catch me sneaking around at this hour, I'm done for. Even if they don't, and some resident reports me to the Saudis, who then inform the commander, I'm as good as dead. Seeing Li Jiao's impatience, Ma Hua decided not to beat around the bush. You must have guessed why I asked you to come in the dead of night. I won't hide it from you. I need you to poison the food meant for the guard forces and Luo Ren. Once it's done, my Paradise Army will descend in force, eliminate Luo Ren, and the position of base commander will be yours. What? Li Jiao feigned shock, his voice trembling. Ambassador Ma, you must be joking. That's even worse than breaking base rules. And since I'm in charge of the cafeteria, if the guard forces and the commander fall ill, he'll be the prime suspect. Your Paradise Army won't even have arrived before I'm dead. Find someone else for this. With that, Li Jiao made to leave, but Ma Hua grabbed him. Ma Hua lifted the back of his shirt, revealing a dagger, and gripped its hilt. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to act immediately. Just agree, and tomorrow he'll leave the base for Paradise City. He'll request the city lord to station 5,000 troops close to the base, undetected by Luo Ren. Then 3 gunshots will be the signal. You poison the food at that moment, and as the poison takes effect, my Paradise Army will launch the attack. Li Jiao caught sight of Ma Hua's subtle movement and broke out in a cold sweat. Suppressing his fear, he forced composure and said, You mean after eliminating Commander Luo Ren, the position of base commander will be mine? Ma Hua nodded solemnly. I swear it. Li Jiao gritted his teeth and stamped his foot. Fine fortune favors the bold. I'm in. To be honest, I've wanted to kill Luo Ren for a long time. On the day the virus broke out, my mother and I came to him for refuge. Just because she said a few harsh words, he shot her in the head. To survive, I've had to swallow my pride, cooking for him every day. Every time I see those dishes, I want to sprinkle rat poison in them. Li Jiao spoke his fabricated tale with such fervor that he grew increasingly agitated, startling Ma Hua, who quickly covered his mouth. Keep your voice down. Seeing Li Jiao nod, Ma Hua released him and consoled. I never imagined Luo Ren could be so cruel, laying hands on an elder. Rest assured, your revenge will come soon enough. Under Li Jiao's tearful and masterful performance, Ma Hua was completely convinced of his sincerity, secretly rejoicing in his heart. This is truly fate. Luo Ren would never have imagined that the man preparing his meals every day harbored such a deep-seated vendetta against him. The success rate of my poisoning plan is nearly certain. With this thought, Ma Hua immediately pulled a small bottle filled with white powder from his pocket and handed it to Li Jiao, saying, This is poison. It's colorless and odorless when added to the food. Take it for now. Remember, 3 gunshots will be the signal. Poison the dinner that evening. By dawn the next day, when the guard troops and Luo Ren are incapacitated, our heavenly army will launch the attack. Li Jiao took the glass bottle with his left hand, examined it briefly, then extended his right hand, saying, Rest assured, I will complete the task perfectly. Pleasure working with you. Ma Hua grasped his hand and replied, Pleasure working with you. With the plan finalized, Li Jiao did not linger. He promptly bid Ma Hua farewell and departed, casting a solemn and resolute glance back at him, a look reminiscent of a warrior embarking on a perilous journey from which he might never return. Watching Li Jiao's retreating figure, Ma Hua slowly clenched his fist, a ruthless glint flashing in his eyes. Luo Ren, the humiliation I endured, I will make you repay tenfold. The next day, Ma Hua sought out Sha Te early in the morning and asked him to arrange a farewell meeting with Luo. Luo Ren was inspecting the garrison soldiers at the time. Seeing Sha Te approaching with Ma Hua, he paused his work and waited for them to draw near. Soon the two arrived before Luo Ren. Sha Te stepped forward and said, Commander, Ambassador Ma has asked me to bring him here to bid you farewell. Luo Ren nodded, then turned to Ma Hua and asked, Is the food not to your liking, or is the lodging uncomfortable that you wish to leave so early, Ambassador Ma? Ma Hua forced a faint smile and replied, The food and lodging are excellent. However, I am burdened with duties. I must return to report your conditions to the city lord, so I cannot stay long. Luo Ren said, Very well, then I won't detain you. Sha Te, take Ambassador Ma to retrieve his vehicle. Yeah, Sha Te responded, then led Ma Hua toward the base parking lot. Meanwhile, Luo Ren called out from behind, Don't forget 100,000 rounds of ammunition, 1,000 grenades, and the uncle and nephew duo Wang Biao and Wang Hu. Ma Hua nodded repeatedly. As he turned his head, his lips moved. If Luo Ren had seen it, he would surely have given Ma Hua a beating on the spot. After Ma Hua left the base, Luo Ren immediately summoned Qi Jun, Li Jiao, Sha Te, Luo Shan, and the Li Jiao promptly reported everything Ma Hua had said to him the previous day verbatim. After listening, Luo Ren sneered, This Ma Hua certainly thinks highly of himself. Little does he know everything is under my control. Commander, I have something to say. Qi Jun suddenly interjected. In front of the group, he refrained from calling Luo Ren brother Luo to maintain propriety, so he used the formal title. Luo Ren looked at him and said, "Speak." Qi Jun glanced at Li Jiao and said, "Last night, I heard Li Jiao claim that on the day the virus broke out you killed his mother. This." At these words, everyone turned their gaze to Li Jiao puzzled. It was Li Jiao's first time attending such a high-level meeting and his first time being scrutinized by the base's top brass. His heart raced with nervousness, and he involuntarily swallowed. Luo Ren stroked his chin, pondering deeply. On the day the virus erupted, he had killed only one person, a troublesome old woman. Could she be Li Jiao's mother? If so, Li Jiao had witnessed his mother's death without any reaction, showing no trace of hatred in his presence. That would mean Li Jiao's cunning ran terrifyingly deep. At this thought, a chill ran down Luo Ren's spine, and he couldn't help but look at Li Jiao. Though nervous, Li Jiao appeared indignant. "I said that to earn Ma Hua's trust. I don't even know that sharp-tongued, unreasonable old woman. I just couldn't think of a better story on the spot, so I used her as material." Sha Te frowned, scrutinizing Li Jiao carefully. "Are you sure you're not her son? I think you look a bit like that old woman." Li Jiao felt like crying. What kind of mess was this? He was just a cook thrust into this spy mission. How hard it was. Last night he had risked his life to extract intelligence, and now these people were doubting him. He felt more wrong than Do-E herself. "Commander, I swear I'm telling the truth. I don't know that old woman. I can swear to heaven. If I'm lying, may the sky strike me down with thunder and shatter me." Boom. The moment his words faded, dark clouds gathered in the sky, lightning flickered, and thunder rumbled. Li Jiao collapsed to the ground, his face bitter. "Damn heavens, why do you have to set me up like this?" All right. After this exchange, Luo Ren was essentially convinced that Li Jiao was not a spy. The man was simply too amusing. So much so that Luo Ren almost burst out laughing. Suppressing his urge to laugh, Luo Ren thought to himself, "Since that's the case, let's put on a grand show for Heavenly City, one from which they'll never return." It would take some time for the base to reach Heavenly City. Luo Ren guessed that the city lord of Heavenly City wouldn't dispatch troops immediately, so the Heavenly Army's invasion would come at least 3 or 4 days later. Luo Ren wasted no time during these days. He added a barbican at the city gate and mounted 50 light machine guns on its walls. When the Heavenly Army attacked and breached the first gate, they would enter the barbican, like a turtle trapped in a jar. At that moment, the 50 machine guns would emerge from the battlements and unleash a hail of fire far more devastating than the arrows of ancient soldiers. In addition, Luo Ren ordered the guard troops to dig tunnels from the city to both sides outside the walls, creating pits capable of hiding 300 men, each cleverly concealed. Once the Heavenly Army entered the barbican, the 600 troops from the pits would charge out to cut off their retreat. With such a plan, wouldn't the Heavenly Army be utterly annihilated? At Heavenly City, a man stood with his hands behind his back, gazing out the window. He was 6 feet tall with a slender build and a 2-centimeter scar on his face. "Ma Hua, is what you said true? Every word I spoke is the truth. The base has over 1,000 firearms of various types, countless rounds of ammunition, and highly disciplined soldiers. Though our army outnumbers them, I believe we would be no match in a direct confrontation, let alone a siege. Therefore, I bribed the base's cafeteria manager Li Jiao to poison the food the day before our attack. Moreover, Li Jiao shares a blood feud with Luo Ren. The latter killed his mother, so the success rate is nearly certain." Ma Hua stood respectfully behind the man, for this was none other than the city lord of Heavenly City. Long Chi lit a cigarette, took a few puffs, and exhaled a cloud of smoke. He turned to Ma Hua. You've done well. Then it's settled. Issue the order, open the pleasure den for 3 consecutive days. Let the brothers eat, drink, and enjoy themselves. We march in 3 days." "Yes." Ma Hua exited the room, and once outside his face lit up with glee and malice. "Luo Ren let you live a few more days." Ma Hua arrived at the training ground where thousands of soldiers were assembled. Seeing him, they halted their drills and chorused Deputy City Lord Ma. Ma Hua waved his hand and announced loudly, by the city lord's command, the pleasure den will be open for 3 days. After that, the entire army marches. Roar. The moment he finished, the soldiers erupted in cheers that echoed throughout Heavenly City. Their excitement wasn't for the campaign in 3 days, but for the 3 days of revelry at the pleasure den. The pleasure den was filled with delicious food, copious alcohol, and many captured women. A veritable den of debauchery and excess. The citizens of the city, however, showed no excitement at Ma Hua's announcement or the soldiers' cheers. Instead, many trembled slightly, gritted their teeth, and clenched their fists tightly. It wasn't because they were excluded from the pleasure den, but because the food and drink there had been gathered at the cost of their own lives, and the women being abused were their wives and daughters. They hated, deeply hated, but that was all. They ate only 1 thin meal a day, were skin and bones, and had no weapons. So they could only endure the oppression of these beasts, powerless to resist. Hearing that the Heavenly Army was about to march again, they silently lamented the fate of the place that would soon be ravaged, pitying the men, mourning the women, while cursing the beastly Heavenly Army, the damned Ma Hua, and Long Chi, who deserved 1,000 cuts. The 3-day revelry concluded swiftly, and the pleasure den was shuttered. Though many soldiers of the Heaven Army were reluctant to see it end, military orders were as immutable as mountains. Led by City Lord Long Qi with Deputy City Lord Ma Hua as his second-in-command, the formidable force of 5,000 Heaven Army soldiers marched with great fanfare toward the base. After half a day's march, they finally reached their destination. The target, a force of 5,000 men, was far too conspicuous and easily detected. Finding a concealed location was no simple task. By the time they discovered a suitable campsite, the evening meal had already passed. They could only rest for the night and make their move the following day. The following afternoon, dark clouds gathered in the sky, portending an imminent downpour. Suddenly, 3 gunshots rang out from outside the base. Finally, within the mobile base, Luo Ren's half-closed eyes snapped open, a sharp glint. He immediately dispatched a small squad of guard soldiers to investigate outside the city, but commanded them to conduct only a cursory search. After all, the charade must be played out in full. Then he summoned Luo Shan, Luo Hai, and the others. Once everyone was assembled, Luo Ren said, "Proceed exactly according to the original plan. After the evening meal, Luo Shan and Luo Hai will each lead 300 men through the underground tunnel to the concealed positions on either side of the city. Luo Ji and Luo Li will each take 50 men. Luo Ji will be responsible for the light machine guns, and Luo Li for the ammunition supply, ensuring sufficient firepower. As for you, Luo Wu, lead the remaining men to guard the interior of the base, just in case." Luo Shan, Luo Hai, Luo Ji, Luo Li, and Luo Wu replied in unison, "Yes." Having assigned the tactical roles, Luo Ren proceeded to the mess hall. There, Li Jiao was leading a team of cooks in a flurry of activity. Seeing Luo Ren enter, Li Jiao immediately approached with a respectful demeanor. "Commander," Luo Ren said, "you heard the gunfire, didn't you?" Li Jiao nodded. "Yes, 3 shots." Luo Ren's expression turned serious. "Remember your role." Li Jiao understood perfectly what Luo Ren meant. He straightened his back, standing taller, and replied earnestly, "Commander, rest assured. Li Jiao will always be a part of this base." Then his expression shifted. "Besides, I already handed over that bottle of poison to you." Luo Ren teased, "Who knows if you've held some back? And you're the one who said I am your mother's murderer." Li Jiao, flustered, explained anxiously, "Commander, I only said that to deceive Ma Hua. How could that mean sour old woman possibly have given birth to someone as honest, cute, and optimistic as me?" Luo Ren shook his head with a smile. "I'm just joking with you. Go back to work." The dark clouds in the sky drew nearer, as if one could reach out and touch them. A storm was truly brewing. But against this tempest, Luo Ren had already built a secure haven, one that could not only withstand the wind and rain, but also possessed an inner heat that would evaporate the incoming icy downpour. Time ticked by moment until it was the early hours of the following morning. 3 kilometers outside the base, the 5,000 troops of the Heaven Army had assembled. They were all in high spirits, their morale soaring. They were about to attack a place abundant with food, weapons, and women. Once they breached this place, everything, food and women alike, would belong to them. "City Lord, there hasn't been a single guard soldier on the base city walls since last night. It seems Li Jiao has succeeded. Let's attack," Ma Hua said excitedly, lowering his binoculars. Long Qi raised his own binoculars and saw that indeed, as Ma Hua had said, not a single soldier was standing watch on the city walls. He lowered the binoculars, his gaze sweeping over the assembled soldiers. "Brothers, the army in the base city has been poisoned and poses no threat to us now. Prepare the demolition team. At the city gate, blast it open, and we will surge in. Remember, first clear out the guard soldiers, confiscate their weapons, and capture Luo Ren alive. After that, the women in the city are yours to enjoy for 3 days. Long live the City Lord. Hail the wise City Lord." All the Heaven Army soldiers cheered, raising their rifles, their excitement reaching a fever pitch, as if they had already won. "Ma Hua, you will lead 2,000 men in the vanguard. The rest will follow me in the rear. Move out." Though everything seemed to be going smoothly, Long Qi remained cautious. To guard against any surprises, he split the force into 2. If the base city was a trap, he could either provide timely support or make his escape. At his command, the Heaven Army advanced toward the base. The tremendous commotion was detected by both the residents and the guard soldiers within the base. Luo Ren heard it with perfect clarity. Finally here, Luo Ren's gaze turned cold and sharp. By now, Luo Shan and Luo Hai were already lying in ambush on either side of the city, and Luo Ji and Luo Li were ready. Once the enemy entered the kill zone, they would teach them the meaning of being trapped like a turtle in a jar. The sound of footsteps and the beast-like roars of the Heaven Army soldiers grew closer. Soon Ma Hua's 2,000 men arrived at the city gates. Seeing no movement on the walls, Ma Hua's heart swelled with double the joy. "It seems it's truly done. Luo Ren, just you wait." Demolition team stepped forward. "Blow the gates." "Yes." 2 Heaven Army demolition specialists rushed forward, binding a bundle of detonators to the city gate. With a thunderous blast, an explosion several times more powerful than a grenade tore a massive hole in the gate. The Heaven Army soldiers surged forward, eager to indulge in the city's fine food, wine, and women. In less than 3 minutes, all 2,000 men had poured through the gate. But inside there was no fine food, no wine, and certainly no women. They didn't even see a single soul. Before them stood only another wall and another gate. A sense of foreboding crept into Ma Hua's heart. The next moment his premonition was confirmed. From the city walls came the sound of perfectly synchronized footsteps, the clatter of rifles being set into position, and the click of bullets being chambered, echoing in the ears of every soldier below. Retreat. Now, Ma Hua screamed in terror. But it was too late. The 2,000 Heaven Army soldiers looked up to see 50 guard soldiers manning 50 light machine guns, their dark muzzles trained directly on them. Before the panic could fully set in, the next second arrived. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. The muzzles of 50 light machine guns erupted in unison, spewing dazzling tongues of flame. A hailstorm of bullets rained down upon the Heaven Army soldiers trapped in the kill zone. In such a confined space, the Heaven Army soldiers could find no cover. Screams of agony filled the air, unrelenting. Ma Hua had been the last to enter the kill zone and the first to sense something amiss. He fought desperately to escape, but the moment he burst out of the city gate, the sight before him filled him with utter despair. Kill. The battle cry was soul-shaking, a murderous aura like a sharp blade piercing the hearts of every Heaven Army soldier who sought to flee. 600 guard soldiers charged out of the hidden tunnel, their AK-47 rifles aimed at the enemy. Luo Ren's order was to shoot to kill. No prisoners were needed. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat. It was a veritable storm of bullets. An overwhelming curtain of lead instantly engulfed Ma Hua and the other Heaven Army soldiers. They never even had a chance to beg for mercy. Still some distance from the base, Long Chi saw soldiers suddenly appear on the city walls and knew something was wrong. Then came the gunfire, Ma Hua's shouts, and the screams of his men. Realizing it was a trap, he immediately ordered a retreat. As for Ma Hua, and those 2,000 men dead was dead. His own survival was paramount. Report 1627 enemy killed, 24 wounded, and 349 surrendered and taken prisoner. Luo Shan reported to Luo Ren after tallying the count. Luo Ren showed no emotion at the high death toll. He said indifferently, "Burn the corpses for fertilizer. Take the survivors into custody." It wasn't that Luo Ren was magnanimous in sparing these men, rather the base needed population. As long as these men hadn't committed heinous crimes, they could be reformed and become base residents. However, this could only be determined after Heaven City was taken. For now, they would be held temporarily. As for food, they would have to ration it, ensuring only that no one starved to death. Luo Ren gazed at the fleeing remnants of the Heaven Army. That force was even larger than the one Ma Hua had led. He surmised that this must be the army personally led by the city lord of Heaven City. Luo Shan guard the base. Luo Ren did not order a pursuit. Instead, he spoke to Luo Shan, then leaped from the formidable high city wall, landing steadily on his feet. He then gave chase at incredible speed. After being reinforced by 7 evolution crystals, Luo Ren's physical constitution reached an extremely high level comparable to that of a certain captain in sci-fi blockbusters. Whether in speed or strength, he had reached, and even surpassed, the limits of the human body. Following the footprints, he quickly caught up with the fleeing Paradise Army. A rough count of the troops ahead revealed nearly 3,000 men. These 3,000 Paradise Army soldiers were divided into 4 squads surrounding 3 pure black off-road vehicles. Being guarded so closely could only mean one thing: the city lord of Paradise City was inside. With 3,000 guards, even with Luo Ren's physique at the peak of human potential, breaking through was impossible. It had to be said that the idea of capturing the enemy leader amidst a million-strong army as easily as taking something from one's pocket was only feasible in ancient times. In modern society, even a few thousand soldiers with crude firearms were difficult to breach. If it were a million-strong army, just imagine how terrifying that would be. Even a mosquito would struggle to get through. Luo Ren immediately abandoned the idea of capturing the chief to defeat the rest. Instead, he stuck to his original plan: follow the army to locate Paradise City, scout its interior, then return to base and dispatch troops to eradicate it. After midnight, time passed into morning. The pursuing guards had not caught up, and every Paradise Army soldier breathed a sigh of relief, their defensive stance slackening somewhat. At this moment, they were passing through a small town. In the stairwell of an abandoned building in the town, thud, a flash of cold light streaked by as a sharp military knife cleaved a male zombie's skull in two. Dark black blood mixed with brain matter splattered against the walls on either side, emitting a putrid stench of decay. Months had passed since the virus outbreak. Ordinary zombies appeared only slightly thinner from the outside, but without enough fresh human flesh, their internal organs had long begun to rot. The contents of their heads had turned into a mushy paste, foul and nauseating. Holding his breath, Luo Ren quickly ascended the stairs to the rooftop. He raised his binoculars and looked toward the town center where the street housed the largest supermarket. That street was densely packed with zombies. If those inside the supermarket were counted, the number likely reached 3,000 to 4,000. Turning the binoculars, he spotted the Paradise Army marching along a road 3 to 4 kilometers away from. Luo Ren's eyes darted as he muttered, "I may not be able to capture the enemy leader amidst a myriad of troops as easily as taking something from my pocket, but that doesn't mean I can't cause you some trouble." With a plan in mind, Luo Ren leaped into action. Like a master of lightness skill from a martial arts novel, he scaled walls and raced across rooftops, dashing toward the town's supermarket. Soon he came to a halt less than 200 meters from the supermarket. Looking down, the drop was less than 10 meters, not too high. Luo Ren vaulted from the rooftop to the ground, executing a forward roll to absorb most of the impact and landing safely. The loud thud of his landing immediately drew the attention of the aimless zombies. Catching the scent of fresh blood and flesh, they surged forward, jostling and howling as they charged at Luo Ren. 1, 2, 3. Counting to 3, Luo Ren turned and sprinted at a pace that the zombies could not catch, but could not lose either. If anyone were watching from a drone or an aircraft at that moment, they would witness a bizarre scene: a single man running ahead, trailed by thousands of zombies. Far from being afraid, the man kept glancing back to ensure no zombie fell behind. Luo Ren's target was clear: the Paradise Army. About 10 minutes later, the figures of the Paradise Army came into view, indicating that Luo Ren and the zombies had run nearly 3 kilometers. However, with his body strengthened 7 times, Luo Ren himself did not know the limits of his endurance. After running 3 to 4 kilometers, his face remained unchanged, his heart steady, and his breathing even, as if he had merely taken a few steps. Meanwhile, the mass of zombies seemed like perpetual motion machines, tirelessly continuing their pursuit, showing no signs of flushing racing hearts or labored breaths. Before long, Luo Ren was only 500 meters from the Paradise Army. He casually picked up a stone and hurled it, then abruptly changed direction. Bursting into his top speed, he vanished from the zombies' sight like a fleeting shadow. The zombie horde, now drawn by the far greater allure of fresh flesh, no longer cared about Luo Ren's disappearance. They charged toward the Paradise Army, their throats emitting hungry, guttural sounds. Bang! A pebble the size of a thumb struck a Paradise Army soldier squarely on the head, knocking him unconscious with a bloody gash. Those nearby looked in the direction from which the stone came and immediately spotted the zombie horde charging toward them. Panic seized them. "Zombie tide!" someone shouted, alerting the other Paradise Army soldiers. But the zombie tide was too sudden. By the time they reacted, the zombies were already upon them. Bang bang. Muzzles spat flames, felling the zombies that surged forward. Yet more zombies followed, overwhelming the front lines. The Paradise Army soldiers in the first ranks were tackled and torn apart, the zombies feasting on their flesh with savage bites. Screams filled the air. The soldiers at the rear, witnessing the carnage, retreated while firing desperately, trying to distance themselves from the horde. Inside, the Humvee Long Chi was roused. He popped half his body out of the sunroof and saw the zombies attacking from the left flank. The first 2 rows of the left squad had already been devoured, and more zombies were relentlessly charging at the third row. "Everyone stay calm. Right squad disperse and reinforce the left squad evenly." Long Chi quickly regained his composure and began directing the troops. Under his command, the right squad dispersed and merged into the front and rear squads. These 2 squads then extended their lines, allowing those at the back to move forward without fear of hitting their own men. Within mere seconds, the Paradise Army's combat effectiveness multiplied several times. As a result, after the zombies overwhelmed the third row of the left squad, a formidable line of fire had already been established. The attacking zombies fell in waves, unable to advance a single step. Thus, in less than half an hour, all the zombies were eliminated. Their corpses littered the road and the fields beside it. Watching from the shadows, Luo Ren couldn't help but admire. This Paradise City Lord has some skill. In this battle, the Paradise Army lost nearly 300 men. Adding the 2,000 lost in the attack on the base, the total came to 2,300. For Long Chi, who lacked a system, losing nearly half his forces was a heavy blow. A perfect example of losing the bait along with the fish. "You're more of a liability than an asset. It would have been better if you died, but instead you cost me so many." Long Chi scanned the remaining soldiers, his fists clenching. Compared to Luo Ren, he harbored greater hatred for Ma Hua. If not for Ma Hua, he would never have launched the attack, nor would he have suffered such losses. But no matter how deep his hatred, it was futile. Ma Hua was already dead. Meanwhile, Luo Ren's forces were formidable. Even with 5,000 troops, Long Chi had been no match, let alone now, with only half his army remaining. With no other choice, he decided to return to Paradise City and plan his next move. Long Chi ordered the march to continue, and the remaining 2,000-plus soldiers of the Paradise Army resumed their journey, with Luo Ren still trailing them. The sun set in the west, and the moon rose in the east as night fell. Luo Ren followed the Paradise Army into a forest, advancing along a narrow path until he saw a city hidden among the trees. It was more like a fortress than a city, flanked by steep cliffs with a concrete wall about 20 meters high in the middle. Peering inside, it seemed to contain a vast space. As Luo Ren pondered how to infiltrate the Paradise Army and enter Paradise City, he noticed a soldier leave the ranks and head into a patch of bushes alone. Luo Ren quickly followed. He hid among the branches of a large tree and looked down. The soldier was relieving himself. An idea sparked in Luo Ren's mind. Swish! A rustling sound reached the soldier's ears. Feeling a chill down his spine, someone patted his shoulder. Assuming it was a comrade playing a prank, he said, "What's up? Can't you see him taking a piss? Careful, he'll spray you." Luo Ren patted his shoulder again and asked, "Do you know who I am?" "Who cares who you are?" The soldier pulled up his pants and turned around. Seeing Luo Ren's face and then his attire, he squinted. "That uniform looks familiar. Isn't that the base guard's outfit?" "Nice, buddy, you swiped a guard's uniform." "Hey, wait, didn't we retreat without even fighting? How did you?" The soldier sensed something amiss and began to question Luo Ren. Luo Ren replied with a faint smile, "Because I'm Luo Ren." "What a Luo?" The soldier's eyes widened in terror, his mouth opening to call for help. But before he could utter a sound, Luo Ren's hand chopped down on his neck, knocking him unconscious. Luo Ren whispered, "I'll borrow your clothes." In no time, he stripped the soldier of his uniform and put it. After finishing, Luo Ren glanced coldly at the unconscious soldier on the ground, then stomped on his neck, breaking it. After all, only the dead could not talk. "Wait for me." Luo Ren, having changed his clothes, ran out from behind the bushes. As a precaution, he had smeared 2 handfuls of yellow mud on his face. When the other Paradise Army soldiers saw him, they did not grow suspicious, but asked curiously, "Why did you come out of the bushes? What were you doing in there? Was there a woman inside?" Ha! Not being recognized, Luo Ren couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He chuckled. "No women, but there's plenty of yellow stuff. Do you want some?" "Yellow stuff? Gold?" "Yes, of course I want it. I must have it. I definitely want it. Even though gold is useless now, it might come in handy later." A tall, sturdy soldier said this and began walking toward the bushes. Luo Ren immediately grabbed the man and said in a teasing tone, "Don't rush. Once we enter the city, you can go to the latrine. There's plenty of gold there." "Ha ha ha. So the yellow stuff is this? And I thought it was gold." "I'm dying of laughter. Big head, if you want some, you can come to me. They'll provide it for free." Ha! A nearby Paradise Army soldier, upon hearing this, couldn't stop himself from doubling over with laughter. Upon hearing this, the soldier named Big Head's face immediately fell. He shot Luo Ren a vicious glare and then fell silent. Luo Ren just smiled and didn't take it to heart. Successfully blending into the Paradise Army lifted his spirits. Following along without any obstacles, he successfully entered Paradise City, which delighted him even more. After entering the city as he had expected, less than 50 meters past the gate, his view suddenly opened up. The space inside was indeed vast. Truly a place that is easy to defend and hard to attack. Luo Ren marveled inwardly. Compared to the base, Paradise City's geographical location was exceptionally advantageous. The entrance was flanked by cliffs, leaving only a 20-meter gap in the middle. One only needed to guard this 20-meter gap to ensure the safety of the interior. Moreover, the space inside was extremely spacious, with a clean water source enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. Under self-sufficient conditions, although they couldn't eat their fill, they certainly wouldn't starve to death. "I suppose the residents here must be living well," Luo Ren thought to himself. However, as he ventured deeper, Luo Ren realized he was wrong, terribly wrong. The residents here were all skin and bones, looking malnourished. Their eyes were filled with exhaustion, and they were all male. This struck Luo Ren as strange. Could it be there are no women here? When the residents of Paradise City saw the Paradise Army returning, they showed neither excitement nor welcome. Their weary eyes revealed fear along with a flicker of hatred. Luo Ren noticed this detail. He looked at the Paradise Army soldiers beside him, each one strong and stout. Comparing the two groups, he instantly understood. The so-called Paradise City was a paradise for the Paradise Army soldiers, but for the ordinary residents within it was hell. Following the Paradise Army procession to the city square, Luo Ren saw a man standing on a high platform ahead. He was about 1.8 meters tall with a scarred face. Luo Ren guessed, this must be the Lord of Paradise City. Long Qi cleared his throat and said, "Brothers, you have all worked hard. Although we were defeated, it was all because we fell for Luo Ren's treacherous scheme. Once we regroup, we will fight back, kill Luo Ren, and avenge Deputy City Lord Ma." As he spoke, Long Qi observed the soldiers' expressions. Seeing no reaction from them, he clenched his fists, cursed inwardly, and then continued, "I won't say much else. You brothers are tired. So I declare the Pleasure Grotto open for 3 consecutive days to let you brothers properly dispel your fatigue." Hearing this, the previously listless Paradise Army soldiers erupted into cheers. Watching the scene, Long Qi gritted his teeth in secret. Damn it, if you weren't useful, I would have fed you bastards to the zombies long ago. These Paradise Army soldiers cared nothing for the dead, not even Mahua's death. They only cared about their own lives, whether they could survive, and moreover whether they could live happily. What is the Pleasure Grotto? Unlike the others, Luo Ren was completely in the dark. Although he cheered along with them, this was his first time hearing the term, and he didn't understand it. Soon he arrived at the so-called Pleasure Grotto along with the other Paradise Army soldiers. As the name suggested, the Pleasure Grotto was located inside a natural cave. Stepping inside, Luo Ren saw piles of food, barrels of alcohol, and naked women. Now he understood why there were no women outside. They had all been captured and brought here. The so-called Pleasure Grotto was a place for these beasts to vent their desires. Truly a paradise city indeed. Although Luo Ren sympathized deeply with these women, he couldn't rescue them yet. First, his strength alone was limited. Second, he still had more important matters to attend to and couldn't afford to reveal his identity for now. Therefore, he could only wait until he returned with the Guardian Army to annihilate the Paradise Army and rescue these poor souls. Unable to bear watching the Paradise Army abuse these women, Luo Ren quietly slipped away from the Pleasure Grotto alone. It was late at night when Luo Ren arrived at the area where the common people lived. As he approached, a foul stench assailed his nostrils. This place was not fit for human habitation. It was filthier than a pigsty. Yet the people inside slept soundly, perhaps due to extreme hunger and exhaustion. It was impossible to extract information from these ordinary civilians at this hour. Just as Luo Ren was about to leave in disappointment, a Paradise Army soldier came patrolling by. A gleam flashed in Luo Ren's eyes. He immediately put on a smile and walked up to the soldier. "Brother, have a smoke." He pulled out a pack of Huazi cigarettes, took one out, and handed it to the patrolling soldier. The soldier looked him over. His clothes and build were not those of a civilian. Certain that he was also a soldier, he accepted the cigarette and lighter without suspicion. After lighting it, he took 2 deep drags and blew out a large cloud of smoke. Satisfying. Luo Ren's actions greatly endeared him to the patrolling soldier, who took the initiative to speak. "Brother, why aren't you at the Pleasure Grotto? What are you doing here? This place stinks to high heaven and is so uncomfortable." Luo Ren placed his hand on his waist and shook his head. "I can't stay in the Pleasure Grotto all the time. My body can't handle it. Besides, so many people are in that place. What if I catch some virus? That would be disastrous. For the sake of my health, I have to exercise restraint." People as particular as you are rare these days. No one knows if they'll see the sun tomorrow, so who cares about all that? Enjoy yourself while you can. The patrolling soldier laughed heartily. Luo Ren echoed his laughter with a few chuckles, then steered the conversation to the main topic. "Brother, do you know how many people are in Paradise City right now?" The patrolling soldier took a drag from his cigarette and glanced at Luo Ren. Although he found the question odd, he didn't suspect him. Moreover, he had taken a liking to this guy, so he answered truthfully, "Not counting us Paradise Army folks, there should be about 30,000. After speaking, he couldn't help but ask out of curiosity, "Why do you ask?" "Just curious," Luo Ren said with a wave of his hand and a smile. "Considering our heavy losses this time, do you think the city lord will recruit soldiers from among these people?" The patrolling soldier pursed his lips and shook his head. "No. These people hate us to the bone. Even if the city lord had the intention, he wouldn't have the guts. If these people were to join the Paradise Army, they could turn against us at any moment. The risk is too great." Luo Ren was secretly delighted to hear this. It seems Paradise City has little support from its people. That's good. I don't have to worry about inciting public outrage when I attack the city, causing them to join the Paradise Army and defending it. 30,000 people is no small fighting force. These thoughts remained unspoken, of course. He rubbed his nose and asked his final question. "Hey, what about those 2 formidable characters who came before Wang Biao and Wang Hu? Why didn't I see them on this expedition?" The patrolling soldier stubbed out his cigarette. "You've come to the right person with that question. Those 2 had just joined, and the city lord wasn't comfortable with them yet, so he didn't bring them along this time. And speaking of it, the whole reason our Paradise City clashed with that Luo Ren was because of Wang Hu." The patrolling soldier recounted the cause of the conflict between Paradise City and the base, then said with a gloating expression, "After such heavy losses, that father-son duo Wang Biao and Wang Hu are probably in for it." Luo Ren asked in surprise, "Father and son? Weren't they uncle and nephew?" The patrolling soldier chuckled. "Do you think an uncle would risk offending someone like Luo Ren for the sake of his nephew? Let me tell you, Wang Hu is actually the son of Wang Biao and his sister-in-law." This was news to Luo Ren. No wonder Wang Biao hadn't chosen to abandon Wang Hu when he was besieging the factory. They were father and son after all. That explained everything. Luo Ren continued, "Do you know where this father and son duo Wang Hu and Wang Biao live?" The patrolling soldier didn't suspect why Luo Ren was asking about Wang Biao and Wang Hu's residence, assuming he was just curious to see them. He pointed to a single-story house. "See that? The second to last house." Luo Ren followed his gaze. At that moment, candlelight was still flickering inside the room, and two silhouettes were cast against the window. Having extracted all the information he needed, Luo Ren fabricated an excuse to leave and headed straight for Wang Biao and Wang Hu's residence. Upon arrival, he overheard their conversation from outside. It's over, it's all over. That Luo Ren is far too formidable. Out of 5,000 Heaven Army soldiers, only half returned. We're finished. Now not only will Luo Ren show us no mercy, but Long Qi might also vent his fury on us for this loss. Luo Ren recognized it as Wang Biao's voice. Uncle, let's flee. Wang Hu's voice followed. Wang Biao replied, flee. Can we actually escape? This valley housing Heaven City has only one exit, heavily guarded. Do you think this is some TV drama where we're martial arts masters who can slip through an army untouched? Wang Hu said, but are we just supposed to wait here to die? Wang Biao sighed, what else can we do now? If only you hadn't provoked Luo Ren, we wouldn't be in this mess. You're arrogant, reckless, and look down on everyone. How have you not inherited a single shred of my fine bloodline? I truly wonder if you're even my biological son. Wang Hu retorted, who knows? Maybe I'm actually my father's son. You. Wang Biao raised his hand, holding it midair for a moment, but ultimately couldn't bring himself to strike. What an odd pair, Wang Biao and Wang Hu. Since you both know death is inevitable, I might as well send father and son on their way right now. Murderous intent flared in Luo Ren's eyes as he prepared to burst into the room and personally slay the two he had long wanted dead. Just then a patrol of Heaven City guards approached. To avoid exposing his identity, Luo Ren reluctantly abandoned his plan to kill Wang Biao and Wang Hu. With a flicker of movement, he concealed himself in the shadows. Observing from his hiding spot, he wondered, what are these people doing out so late? The Heaven City Guard unit numbered 8 men, each carrying a rifle, their demeanor suggesting ill intent. Upon reaching the door of Wang Biao and Wang Hu's dwelling, the captain kicked it open. The conversation between Wang Biao and Wang Hu ceased abruptly. At the sight of the guards, they were stricken with terror, fear evident in their eyes. The captain spoke coldly, the city lord wishes to see you. Come with us. Without waiting for their consent, 4 Heaven Army soldiers rushed in and forcibly detained them. With guns pressed to their heads, Wang Biao and Wang Hu dared not resist and obediently followed. It seems Long Qi intends to deal with them. Let's follow and see, Luo Ren speculated. He trailed the Heaven City guards to the innermost part of Heaven City, where a 2-story villa nestled against the mountain stood. From its windows, one could overlook the entire city. The guards escorted Wang Biao and Wang Hu into the villa. For safety, Luo Ren chose to wait outside. After about 30 minutes, Wang Biao emerged, his face etched with despair, supporting a battered and swollen Wang Hu. Seeing their condition, Luo Ren could easily imagine what had transpired inside. Wang Biao and Wang Hu returned to their bungalow, with Luo Ren following closely behind. About an hour later, the two left the bungalow and headed toward the city gates. Luo Ren immediately gave chase. At the gates, Wang Biao exchanged a few words with a guard and handed him a slip of paper. After inspecting it, the guard opened the gate and let them pass. Long Qi didn't kill them. He just banished them from Heaven City. But this is no different from death. The outside is swarming with zombies, and they have no weapons, with one of them injured. They're practically delivering themselves as a meal to the undead. Still, there's always a chance for the unexpected. I won't rest easy until I see them dead with my own eyes. Besides, I've gathered enough intel. It's time to leave this godforsaken place. When I return, I'll bring my army and storm Long Kai's villa. With this thought, Luo Ren deliberately revealed himself. As he approached the gate, the guard stopped him. Who goes there? Luo Ren smiled. Brother, I'm here on the city lord's orders to tail those two, and then he gestured a slicing motion across his throat. You understand. The guard's face lit up with realization. He patted Luo Ren's shoulder. I see. I thought the city lord had let them off too easily. Be careful out there, brother. It's pitch black and running into zombies is no joke. Finish them off and come back soon. Whether the guard was genuinely naive or playing dumb, he bought Luo Ren's flimsy excuse. The gate swung open and Luo Ren darted out swiftly, catching up to Wang Biao and Wang Hu. Watching Luo Ren's silhouette vanish into the darkness, the guard sneered. That fool is all happy, thinking he's earned the city lord's favor. Sending him out in the dead of night, surrounded by zombies, to deal with those two. It's practically a death sentence. That guy's never coming back. Luo Ren followed closely. Wang Biao and his son were just ahead, and killing them would be effortless, yet Luo Ren was in no hurry to act. Wang Biao's forehead was beaded with cold sweat. The surrounding darkness filled him with dread. Every faint sound set his heart racing. Thankfully, a flashlight offered a sliver of light. Bang! Just then, an unknown object hurtled through the air, knocking the flashlight from his hand, plunging them into complete darkness. Hidden in the shadows, a smirk curled at the corner of Luo Ren's mouth. He had used a pebble to knock away the flashlight. Though his own vision was impaired by the dark, it wasn't severe. After 7 rounds of physical enhancement, he could still see clearly for 100 meters under the faint moonlight. Deprived of his last source of light, Wang Biao was paralyzed with fierce sweat pouring from him. Wang Hu, however, remained dazed and groggy, relying entirely on Wang Biao's support to stand seemingly oblivious to the terror. Rustle, rustle. The surrounding bushes stirred as footsteps approached from all directions. Oh! Wang Biao let out a piercing scream, unable to contain his fear any longer. He shoved Wang Hu aside and fled in a blind panic. In the face of danger, even his own son was abandoned. Luo Ren stepped slowly out of the darkness, his gaze fixed on the groggy Wang Hu lying on the ground. Stop hitting me, stop hitting me. At that moment, Wang Hu suddenly regained consciousness, flailing his arms wildly. After a moment, realizing no one was striking him, he slowly lowered his arms. As his mind cleared, all he saw were the bright moon and stars above. Feeling the damp ground beneath him, he reached out and grabbed a handful of weeds, finally understanding his surroundings. "Uncle," Wang Hu called out, but received no reply. Ignoring the pain, he struggled to his feet and looked around. He saw no sign of Wang Biao, but his eyes fell on someone he would never forget, Luo Ren. LL Luo Ren. His voice trembled with even greater fear than when facing zombies. In a panic, he scrambled to flee, but after running just over a dozen meters, Luo Ren appeared before him again. A ghost. Wang Hu tried to escape in another direction, but no matter where he turned, Luo Ren was always waiting. "You're not human. You're a ghost." Wang Hu screamed in terror and continued running. Enough playing around. Killing intent blazed in Luo Ren's eyes. In a flash, he leaped past Wang Hu, blocking his path, then seized his neck and hoisted him high into the air. "Die!" Crack! Wang Hu's neck snapped. The light in his eyes faded swiftly, and his struggling body went limp like a sack of mud. Luo Ren tossed the corpse aside without a second glance and set off in pursuit of Wang Biao. The clouds veiled the moon, plunging the world into deeper darkness. Hoot, hoot, hoot. The incessant calls of an owl rendered the night even more terrifying. Wang Biao, hearing the terrified screams of his brother Wang Hu behind him, dared not look back. Stumbling and staggering, he had no idea how far or how long he had run. Now utterly exhausted, he was on the verge of collapse at any moment. Clenching his teeth, he pushed on for a while longer until he could endure no more. With a loud thud, he fell flat on his face. As he did, the dark clouds parted, revealing the bright moon. Wang Biao turned over to lie on his back, gazing at the pure white moon while gasping for air. Just then a shooting star streaked across the sky. His heart jolted, and he had a premonition that something was about to happen. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The sound of dense footsteps reached his ears. Turning his head, he dimly saw by the faint moonlight 5 or 6 figures staggering toward him. Zombies. Wang Biao was terrified. He scrambled to his feet and fled. But he was already spent, and there was no way he could outrun these zombies. Soon the creatures behind him caught up and pounced on him. From such close range, he could even see the shreds of flesh wedged between their teeth. "Oh!" Wang Biao's scream rang out particularly sharply in the dead of night, but in the next second it turned into a gurgling sound as a zombie bit through his throat. Blood bubbled forth from his mouth. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly a figure flashed by. In an instant, the heads of 3 of the 6 zombies were severed. Then, with another glint of cold light, the remaining 3 were also slain. Just as Wang Biao was filled with joy, the newcomer revealed his true face. It was Luo Ren. Seeing him, Wang Biao's eyes brimmed with shock. This man should not have been here. "Wang Hu is dead. Now it's your turn. But seeing you like this, I've decided not to let you die directly. Instead, I'll turn you into a zombie, a mindless wanderer. One day you'll either be killed by some human or you'll drift aimlessly forever." Luo Ren's voice was low, but Wang Biao heard every word clearly. The shock in his eyes turned into hatred, an endless, bottomless hatred. Yet in the next moment, his pupils suddenly contracted, his body convulsed violently, and his limbs twisted in panic. Meanwhile, the blood flowing from the wound on his neck turned a dark crimson. Luo Ren stepped back a few paces to keep his distance. He had witnessed this scene many times before. It was the struggle before zombification. Usually this was the moment to finish the person off. Within less than a minute, Wang Biao's eyes turned a murky gray, his pupils shrinking to mere pinpricks. The blood seeping from his wound became thick and dark red. Wang Biao could no longer be called a man, he was now a zombie. The zombie Wang Biao suddenly lurched up, clawing wildly at Luo Ren, but Luo Ren dodged it with ease. Wang Hu was dead, Wang Biao had become a zombie, and the intelligence on Paradise City had been obtained. It was time to return to base. However, traveling at night was too dangerous and easy to get lost. Better to find a place to rest for the night and set out at dawn. With that thought, Luo Ren vanished swiftly into the darkness. The zombie Wang Biao, having lost its target, let its arms dangle, staggered about, and wandered aimlessly. Luo Ren searched around and found a massive tree that would take 3 people to encircle. Its branches were sturdy enough for him to spend the night. Lying on a branch, gazing at the bright moon and the stars, Luo Ren gradually drifted off to sleep. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of gunfire reached Luo Ren's ears, jolting him awake. It was already broad daylight, and the glaring white light took him a moment to adjust to. Looking around, he saw several wandering zombies beneath the tree, likely attracted by the scent of fresh flesh. What's with the gunfire? Bang, bang, bang. Just as he was puzzled, the shots rang out again, this time in a continuous burst. He'll go check it out. Driven by intense curiosity and confidence in his own abilities, Luo Ren decided to investigate what was happening. Following the sound, Luo Ren sprinted swiftly. The gunfire grew clearer until a scene unfolded before his eyes. A human squad about 20 or 30 strong, each armed with a gun. Remarkably, all of them were women. The leader in particular was stunningly beautiful, exceedingly so. With big eyes, a high nose, bridge lips that seemed naturally tinted with lipstick, and a bust that was neither too large nor too small, along with long, shapely legs, even Luo Ren, a model citizen, couldn't help but swallow quietly. However, these women seemed to be in a dire situation. Facing them was a massive evolved zombie, its thick layer of fat impervious to their bullets. What do we do, Captain? This zombie is different from the ordinary ones. Bullets can't pierce it, one woman cried out in panic. The beautiful leader's eyes were resolute, her silver teeth clenched. No matter what, we can't run, even if it means death. We mustn't lead this giant into the valley, or the residents there will be in danger. Yes. Hearing this, the other women all wore expressions of readiness to face death. It had to be said, these women were braver than some men. The valley was likely their sanctuary, housing many people. To prevent the evolved zombie from threatening those inside, they chose to fight to the death, a path that led only to doom. Luo Ren deeply admired these women and decided to lend a hand, but not just yet. He would wait. Bang, bang. Damn, Captain, I'm out of ammo. Me too. My bullets are gone too. With their ammunition spent, despair crept into their eyes, yet they still refused to flee. Their determined expressions showed they were ready to sacrifice themselves. Thud, thud, thud. Each step the evolved zombie took felt like a hammer striking their hearts. The evolved zombie charged straight at the leading woman. She caught the stench of its foul breath, glanced back at her comrades who had fought alongside her, and closed her eyes, awaiting death. Captain, her teammates shouted in anguish, rushing toward her. No one wanted to see her die, but the evolved zombie was unstoppable, and they were too far away. All they could do was watch as it swung its massive fist at her. Just as despair consumed them, a figure shot out from the jungle, appearing before the woman. To the astonishment of her comrades, this person caught the evolved zombie's fist with one hand, and then kicked its thick, fat-laden belly. To them, this seemed as futile as an ant trying to topple a tree. In their minds, the man would surely be sent flying. But reality defied their expectations. Under his kick, the zombie was blasted backward 3 meters, crashing heavily to the ground. They stood dumbfounded, faces etched with disbelief. The man paying them no heed gripped a military knife and charged at the evolved zombie. With a swift strike, the blade sank entirely into the thick layer of fat. It wasn't the knife's sharpness, but the man's immense strength that made it possible. Then, reversing his grip, he pulled the blade back. With a tearing sound, the giant zombie's belly was slit open, spilling dark red blood and revealing organs unlike the decayed ones of ordinary zombies. These were still intact, its heart even still beating. The evolved zombie flailed its arms and legs, wildly roaring and struggling, desperate to crush this tiny human into paste. But the man's strength was overwhelming, keeping it firmly suppressed. His speed was also remarkable, allowing him to evade every chaotic punch it threw. Dodging one punch, the man struck again, this time at the zombie's neck. The entire blade sank in, and he slashed fiercely. Clang! The military knife hit the zombie's cervical vertebra, which felt like striking raw iron. Yet thanks to the man's formidable power, even that unyielding bone was severed under his blade. The evolved zombie's head, severed from its body, still gaped as it glared at the man. Luo Ren showed no mercy, delivering another blow to cleave the giant zombie's skull, slaying it utterly. As the skull split open, the once sharp military knife in the man's hand bore several new nicks, losing its former keenness, a testament to the immense hardness of the giant zombie's bones. Yet the man paid it no mind. His focus was on what lay within the evolved zombie's cranium. Using the badly damaged blade, he stirred inside the evolved zombie's head, prying out a milky white crystal. The man picked it up and wiped it clean. The sight left over 20 women dumbfounded. A giant zombie that bullets couldn't penetrate had been slain by this man with nothing but a military knife. Was this still human strength? The leading beautiful woman, as the team captain, was equally astonished, but quickly composed herself. She stepped forward, curiously eyeing the milky white evolution crystal in the man's hand, then extended a hand with a friendly smile. Thank you, Monsieur Anton. The man pocketed the milky white crystal, scrutinizing the woman before him. After a long moment, he shook her hand. Luo Ren. Indeed, it was Luo Ren who had acted. He had waited until these women had exhausted their bullets before intervening, a precaution for safety. Giant zombies have thick, tough fat that our bullets can't pierce, yet you killed one with just a knife. How do you possess such strength and speed? Su Antong leaned close to Luo Ren, speaking softly, so only he could hear. Does it have to do with that crystal that fell from the giant zombie's head, eh? But your power far exceeds the giant zombies. You must have used many of those crystals. Do you eat them directly, or is there a special method? Luo Ren regarded the woman with newfound respect. She was sharp. From such scant details she had deduced so much. Yet even if she guessed, Luo Ren wouldn't admit it. Saving them was one thing, imparting his secrets was another. You're out of ammo and vulnerable to zombies. Better return to your shelter soon. With that, Luo Ren turned to leave. Hey wait, Su Antong called out. He looked back to hear her out. Hold on. You're our savior, and we have little to offer in gratitude. Why not come back to our valley with us so we can extend our hospitality? Su Antong's face was sincere without ulterior motives. Yes, without you would have died to that beast. Join us for a simple meal. It's the least we can do. That's right, Sister Antong has never invited a man before. The other women chimed in agreement. Faced with their earnestness, Luo Ren furrowed his brow, pondering. Recalling how these women had been willing to sacrifice themselves for their valley's safety, he figured they meant no harm. Even if they did, his skills ensured a swift escape. All right. In truth, Luo Ren had another aim: to assess the population of their valley. If sizable, he might persuade them to join his base, bolstering its numbers. Things went smoother than expected. If we can get Luo Ren with his strength to join Daughter's Valley, our power will soar. We won't fear giant zombies anymore. Seeing Luo Ren agree, Su Antong's eyes sparkled with delight. Her invitation had been driven by her own subtle agenda. Thus Luo Ren followed Su Antong and her group to where they had hidden their vehicles. There were 3 pickup trucks, enough to carry over 20 people, albeit cramped. Amid the crowd of women, Luo Ren felt their smooth skin and caught the fragrance of their hair. Indeed, no matter the era, women tended to be cleaner than men. Squeezed among men had likely be met with a pungent masculine odor. What exactly is this valley you speak of? Luo Ren asked curiously. Su Antong, seated in the passenger seat, turned back. Its full name is Daughter's Valley. It's our sanctuary. Daughter's Valley. Luo Ren mused, the name odd. Any relation to the women's kingdom from Journey to the West? Su Antong chuckled. Daughter's Valley is Daughter's Valley. The women's kingdom is something else. If there's a connection, it's that they're somewhat similar. Somewhat similar. Luo Ren was puzzled. Su Antong smiled mysteriously. You'll see when we get there. Daughter's Valley wasn't far, just 7 or 8 kilometers away. In this post-apocalyptic world with no traffic jams, the drive took about 20 minutes. The valley was built on natural defenses, but its walls and gates made of wood couldn't compare to Paradise City's fortifications or impenetrability. The wooden walls and gates could only fend off ordinary zombies. Against evolved ones or human survivors, they were virtually useless. As they neared the city, the guards spotted Su Antong and immediately opened the gates. The convoy slowly. Inside, Luo Ren noticed that all the soldiers were women, not a single man. The residents, too, were overwhelmingly female. He began to understand the valley's name. He surveyed the valley. Though not as peaceful and prosperous as his base, it was a veritable paradise compared to Paradise City, a haven on earth. People here farmed, but the area was too small, with scarce arable land. The crops couldn't sustain the population, so daily foraging expeditions were necessary. Su. Luo Ren hesitated, unsure how to address her. Miss Su seemed odd. Miss Su, disrespectful, and using her full name too distant. Su Antong, quick-witted, saw his dilemma and chuckled behind her hand. Just call me Antong, and he'll call you Brother Ren. How's that? Fine by me. Luo Ren didn't stand on ceremony. Antong, what's the population of Daughter's Valley? She thought for a moment. We've never tallied it precisely. Roughly. Around 10,000. 10,000. Luo Ren's eyebrow arched as he calculated. This valley was worth recruiting. 10,000 was no small number. His base had just over that. To upgrade to level 3, he needed 50,000. After returning to base, he planned to conquer Paradise City directly, bringing its 30,000 inhabitants back. That would give his base 40,000. If he could add Daughter's Valley's 10,000 head, hit the upgrade requirement of 50,000. I wonder what the leader of Daughter's Valley is like, Luo Ren thought, then asked aloud. Antong, could you introduce me to the founder of Daughter's Valley? Su Antong only laughed softly behind her hand, saying nothing. Luo Ren's heart sank. Is she unwilling to introduce me to the valley's leader? Seeing his furrowed brow, the woman beside him laughed too, then explained, Daughter's Valley has no single leader. If you insist, there is one. She's right before you. Such an obvious hint, how could Luo Ren not understand? He looked at Su Antong in pleasant surprise. Su Antong smiled faintly and nodded, admitting she was the manager of Daughter Valley. Luo Ren scratched his head and said sheepishly, So you are the manager of Daughter Valley, Antong? I was too blind to see it. Su Antong waved her hand and chuckled. To be precise, I am only one of the managers. How could I run Daughter Valley so smoothly alone? I need my sister's help. So the real manager is all of us. Sister Antong, you are too modest. Indeed, Sister Antong, without your strategic guidance, how could our daughter Valley have developed so well? Yes, yes. The women around chimed in eagerly. Seeing this, Luo Ren thought to himself, I wonder if this woman is truly humble or just pretending, but saying such words will surely win others' favor. Meanwhile, the vehicle stopped in front of a house. The women got out one by one, and Luo Ren followed suit. The house before him was entirely built from wood. Though it lacked the sharp, refined beauty of modern architecture, it exuded an antique charm that Luo Ren appreciated. Su Antong walked to the door and made a welcoming gesture. This is my residence. Please come in, Brother Ren. Luo Ren stepped over the threshold without hesitation and entered the room. The fragrance of wood greeted him, refreshing his spirit. Not only the house, but also the furnishings, the wooden tables, chairs, and more, were all crafted from wood. Please sit, Brother Ren. The other women did not enter, leaving only Luo Ren and Su Antong in the room. Luo Ren sat down at the square table. Su Antong poured him a glass of water, then sat down herself, resting her chin on her hands as she gazed at Luo Ren. Luo Ren, feeling thirsty, took the glass and drank. As he sipped, he noticed Su Antong staring at him intently. Unsure whether to continue drinking, he set down the glass and asked, Is there something on my face? Su Antong continued to gaze at him without any hint of embarrassment. No. Luo Ren grew curious and pressed on. Then why are you staring at me? Huh. Of course, because you're handsome, Brother Ren. Honestly, I've seen many good-looking guys, but I've never met someone like you. A blend of a fresh-faced youth and a rugged man. You're incredibly handsome. An ordinary woman would have been shy, stammering, or making excuses, but Su Antong was straightforward and outspoken, saying whatever came to mind, without holding back. Luo Ren rubbed his nose. He believed Su Antong's words, for he knew his own charm well. Frankly, if he were a woman, he thought he'd be utterly captivated by himself. Good on. He wanted to blurt out those words, but that would seem too narcissistic. Better to be modest. As they chatted, footsteps echoed outside, and the women who had returned earlier walked in. They had changed into clean clothes and carried various dishes, fruits, grilled meat, bread, and other staples. Luo Ren could smell the aroma from afar. As the dishes were set on the table, Luo Ren couldn't help but swallow. After days of eating compressed biscuits, it would be a lie to say he wasn't tempted by this feast. Su Antong noticed his subtle gulp and found it amusing. It seemed no one could resist the allure of delicious food, no matter how powerful they were. The valley only has these simple foods, Brother Ren. Please don't mind them. Su Antong smiled. Luo Ren quickly replied, Given the circumstances, such a lavish meal is already excellent. How could I complain? That's good, that's good. Su Antong gestured invitingly. Then please enjoy the meal. He had been waiting for this moment, but Luo Ren still restrained his urge to feast voraciously. He cast a glance at Su Antong. As a guest, he couldn't start eating before the host. But that was only one reason. More importantly, he wasn't sure if the food had been seasoned. Out in the wild, caution was always necessary. Seeing that Luo Ren hadn't touched his chopsticks for a long time, Su Antong quickly guessed his thoughts. She picked up her chopsticks and, under his watchful gaze, sampled every dish without hesitation. Luo Ren thought to himself, It seems I was being overly suspicious, judging a gentleman's heart with a petty. Having confirmed the food was safe, Luo Ren no longer held back and began eating heartily. If not for Su Antong's presence and the need to maintain his image, he could have devoured the modest meal in minutes, as was his usual whirlwind pace. Brother Ren, is your incredible strength due to that white jade-like object that fell from the giant zombie's head, oi? Seeing him eating with gusto, Su Antong suddenly asked. Luo Ren's movements paused slightly. He looked at Su Antong, swallowed a mouthful of food, and thought, So the invitation was for this. I wonder if she'll force the truth out of me on her turf if I lie. Humph. Though it's hard to fight many with bare hands, I can still escape. If it comes to force, I'll take her hostage first. Capture the leader to subdue the rest. Then we'll see if her sisters care about her life. With this in mind, Luo Ren shook his head. No. As his words fell, Su Antong's expression didn't darken as expected. Instead, she looked slightly disappointed. It seems I was mistaken. Su Antong's reaction surprised Luo Ren, and he felt a twinge of disappointment. Why is she reacting like this? It looks like I won't need to use force after all. After a long silence. Antong. Brother Ren. They spoke at the same time, their words colliding. Luo Ren quickly said, You go first. Su Antong didn't stand on ceremony. It's like this, Brother Ren. You're powerful, but traveling alone forever isn't sustainable. It'll be blunt. I sincerely invite you to join Daughter Valley. Clatter. Luo Ren's chopsticks slipped from his hand at her words. She had stolen his thunder. He had been planning to invite Daughter Valley to join his base, but now Su Antong wanted him to join her. He didn't know how to respond. This, that, I. Luo Ren scratched his head at a loss for words. Sister Antong, it's just then a woman rushed in. Seeing an outsider, she swallowed the words on the tip of her tongue. She leaned close to Su Antong and whispered something so softly that Luo Ren couldn't hear. As Su Antong listened, her expression gradually shifted. By the time the woman finished, her face was grim. "Brother Ren, please think it over. I have urgent matters to attend to." With that, she hurried away with the woman. Luo Ren found it strange. What could be so urgent? Still, he didn't follow to inquire, as he was merely a guest. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Luo Ren set down the chopsticks he had just picked up. He stepped outside and traced the sound to the city gate. It seemed Su Antong had gone that way too. Could it be a zombie siege? The thought flashed through Luo Ren's mind. He immediately dashed toward the... As he neared the gate, Luo Ren could faintly see that the number of female soldiers on the wall had multiplied several times compared to when he arrived. They were poised for battle, but hadn't fired. This doesn't look like a zombie siege, it's more like an armed standoff. Could it be a human attack? What force could be nearby? Paradise City. Though Daughter Valley's military strength couldn't match Paradise City had suffered heavy losses and was in the midst of a 3-day celebration. It was only the 3rd day, so it likely wasn't them. Then who? 100 meters from the gate, Luo Ren could clearly see Su Antong's pretty face. Her fists were clenched and her expression was furious. Luo Ren leaped onto the 3-meter-high wall and looked outside. Opposite them stood over 1,000 people, led by a man in his 20s. Dressed in black clothes and pants, he was tall and somewhat handsome, though far inferior to Luo Ren. He was staring intently at Su Antong.